Dude, I saw a kook on the freeway earlier. Biden Harris and Harris Walls on the freaking bumper sticker with all these other cat stickers.
You saw a car driving.
These are, how did they get
This is like the conservative machine right here. This is your problem, is the bumper stickers.
Yeah. I saw you guys celebrate some dude getting shot in the neck and make a joke and laugh about it.
I would say the one that's worse is the president tweeting videos of Venezuelans getting blown up in the ocean. Wait, do you acknowledge that if celebrating the Charlie Kirk thing is bad, the Venezuelan thing is real bad?
The Venezuelan issue, why is that bad for me as an American?
Wait, do you not care when other people are killed?
Do you know that people in other countries don't give a damn about what happens to you in America?
What did Obama come in after? He came in after the 2008 housing crisis. Was that the Democrats' fault? No, that was a deregulation thing. That was a repeal of Glass-Steagall. That was a repeal of all the mortgage regulations. That was a Republican-run drive-up, right? Where did all the massive spending come from under Bush? It was for foreign wars. What did Biden come in under? He came under the horrible COVID mismanagement, Trump having no leadership or guidance over the country.
Do you not believe all men were created equal?
Absolutely not. I've played too much League of Legends to believe that.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right, so I kind of wanted to talk about a topic that's close to me because I feel like most voters vote local.
Okay.
All right, and so it's kind of going to include some of the immigration, some of the tariffs. So I'm a rancher, and Trump is the best president that we've had in the last 70 years for ranchers. What do you have something to say to people like us who are excited about what Trump's doing with the tariffs? And
Ranchers that doesn't include like ordinary agriculture? Is that just animal ag or?
Yeah, specifically cattle. I mean, I'm not a farmer, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to ranchers.
Sure, because I know he's been horrible for farmers in his first term and right now in this term. The soybean thing that just happened with Venezuela, I think, was
well,
really
I mean,
bad.
part of that's also the overregulation with what they've done with alfalfa and they've done with grain. I mean,
No, it was
corn
due to
subsidies.
Trump's tariffs and horrible negotiation skills and getting outplayed completely by China. Yeah.
I mean, well, we can look with ranching due to gestation periods. We can see specifically that over the next 2 years, we're going to have a turn. We're going to go from being the lowest herds that we've ever had to actually starting to be able to grow again and be competitive in the market. And, all these policies that Trump's put forth have been very beneficial to us. The trade deal with the UK specifically being one, some of these other trade deals, cutting out other countries like Paraguay, which was opened up with Biden. I mean, why do y'all hate ranchers?
Why do I hate what?
Why does the left seem to hate ranchers?
Well, I don't know if the left hates ranchers. Trump hasn't made any trade deals with any countries yet, so I don't know what trade deals you're referring to when you talk about the UK or anybody. All Trump has done is increase the tariffs to basically every country on the planet right now, so I don't know how that's helping.
Well, that's not true. The UK just agreed to get rid of restrictions and match USDA requirements regarding beef, and so they agreed to get rid of the restrictions on how much beef they've included. That's
They
something I know
might
for
have
a fact
agreed in
that's
a
happened.
speech, but there hasn't been any deal formalized yet. These are all skeletons of plans. We're still waiting for something.
Well, I mean, that's better than nothing. You just talked about how, with the border, right? You just talked about how, they just slapped a thing on there and then, we haven't finished the job. Well, at least we got something started. Before it was just continuous bleeding. Would you agree that getting some kind of start is better than no start at all?
No, because we're starting 1,000 feet behind the starting line because Trump started by tariffing the entire planet for no reason.
Yeah, because they've been taking advantage of the great United States.
They haven't been taking advantage of us.
Yeah,
Our economy is
absolutely.
destroying the rest of the world. We're the biggest economy on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. So they should be paying for access to that.
Part of the
exclusively.
reason why we're the biggest economy on the planet is because they don't have to pay for access. We have open and free trade.
Yeah, but listen, everybody wants to be a Walmart. That's great and all, but eventually Walmart has to up its cost, if there's no kind of, benefits to them making money. You know what I'm saying? It's
Part of the
capitalism.
reason why everybody wants to go to Walmart, though, is because everybody can go to Walmart. As soon as you start making it restrictive and you start putting tariffs and other people start counter-tariffing you, nobody wants to go to your place.
Yeah, but whenever you have to pay all these different things with Walmart specifically, right? There's a reason why Walmart's closed down in certain neighborhoods due to crime and theft because it becomes not profitable. Right now, we're running with the biggest deficit we've ever run, and it's time to make some changes. And specifically with ag and ranching, we're actually seeing benefits and changes that are benefiting ranchers, especially with the border control. It's helping to stop the screwworm infestation in Mexico from coming here. If that comes to Mexico, the beef industry collapses completely because of the small herds. I mean, why would we not want this kind of security? Why wouldn't we want these trade deals to benefit Americans?
We don't have any trade deals yet, so I can't really speak to
What do you mean we don't have trade deals? They're announcing trade deals all the time. Stuff is finalized.
Yeah,
They're
and
starting the
we're
process.
always 2 weeks away from them.
Nah, that's convenient. I mean, it's not always 2 weeks away.
It is always 2 weeks away. That's why there's not a single trade deal. The UK trade deal is not done yet.
I'm specifically citing the UK. They've already come back and said we're relaxing restrictions on American beef. We're going to match American. That's a change. That's maybe it's not a formalized trade deal, but whenever it's accomplished a goal, that's basically essentially a trade deal in all but name.
Yeah, the name is important. That's why it's called a deal.
Yeah, but if
like
you-
if I were to tell you that like I have a mortgage on my house, like I'm good to go, like I've got everything done except the bank just hasn't like signed it yet. Well, that doesn't mean anything
Well,
then, right?
sure, but if I go buy a car cash, if I go in there and I'm like, hey, I want this jalopy, and they're like, hey, okay, cool, and I give them $2,000 or whatever, and they give me the car, and I don't have to sign anything except for the title. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but if they didn't give you the title, you wouldn't feel like you owned the car, right?
I mean, maybe, depends
You
on how old
would
the
give
car
them
is.
all the cash, you'd drive out with the car, and you'd
but-
leave the title at the car dealership?
Yeah, but maybe if I get the car dealership, I mean, I would say if they're really getting rid of the restrictions and I have the title, that's the same as the title. It's basically essentially the same.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is that Trump has just been horrible for trade in every respect. I don't know how anybody who likes free trade or thinks that trade is beneficial to the United States.
It's great to sit here and try to say, oh, we're pro-free trade, we're pro-capitalist, and that's like, you have this idea that all the people on the right are just these anarcho-capitalists, which isn't true. We want trade that's going to benefit us, and right now we've been taken advantage of, especially in the beef
Why do we
industry.
think we've been taken advantage of?
Well, because I know for a fact that the reason we're losing beef, we've had beef cattle herds go further down, is because other countries have taken over our market. Under the Biden administration, we've not been able to compete fairly at the international level. We have all sorts of border problems because we have all these different
Let's
diseases
just
come up into the cattle farm.
You think that beef failed under the Biden
And the corn
admin?
subsidies have been a
Why
problem.
how did Biden make beef fail in a way that Trump didn't protect
Well,
in the
that's
first 4
easy.
years?
Well, one, Trump has already got rid of some of the subsidies, like the corn subsidies. He's cracked down on illegal immigration. So, if you know anything about ranching, then 97% of the United States ranches aren't family owned. That's something that's very important to this. And when I look, there's a small percentage, maybe the top 5%, that have most of the base for this production. And those people are all treating unfairly by using illegal immigration labor. And then whenever they get busted, they just use, pay the fine and don't care. And with this bust, it's basically helped the mom and pop, which is 97% of the ranches, so about the 80% that's not these select 10%.
I don't understand. Wouldn't illegal immigrant labor help family farmers keep their costs more competitive so they'd make more money? Is
No,
that the whole
because
reason
we
they
can't-
hire illegal immigrants?
No, because as a regular farmer, I can't go and afford, a regular rancher, I can't go and afford to pay the fine that a massive corporate owned or family corporate owned basically ranch can. They can just pay the fine, hire new immigrants. I can't do that. I have to go through the legal process. I have to hire legal people because they come and check us and come and get us if we do that.
Okay, but then all I'm saying is at the end of the day, this is going to end up raising your costs. So it feels like you're going to be less
No, it's gonna
competitive in
make
the
us
global market
competitive.
anyway, no?
It's going to make it competitive costs. Like if one person has an advantage the other has, that's not good at all. Isn't that what they all want to do with DEI? You want to get rid of a competitive advantage that a certain group has?
Okay, hold on. Just as a baseline, you acknowledge that like a tariff is a tax paid by an importer, right?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, you know that a trade deficit doesn't mean that we're being taken advantage of by another country, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's partially part of that, though.
Well, not how.
Because if you're sitting here having to compete in that unfair advantage, you're going to have to offset it some way in the trade deficit and all sorts of other deficits. Here in
Well,
the
wait,
United States.
why is it an unfair? Maybe we just have more money to spend.
What, do you have just more money to spend? I mean, let's go back to what I was just talking about, though, real quick. You just asked why it would be fair to, the regular guy versus the other. Okay, cool. You can look at the tariff argument and say, okay, maybe these people pay more taxes. But if it eliminates the bigger net negative, which is like the illegal immigrants working for these ranches have a certain special advantage that most ranches don't have. Other countries taking advantages when it comes to production. Like, these are all benefits that we've gained since Trump has taken office that was on a steady decline under the last 3 or 4 presidents.
When you say other countries are taking advantage of us because they can sell us things for cheap, I think that's like a truism that's just given, but it doesn't really logically follow. Inflation is increasing again at a faster rate than it was before. Our trade deficit is exploding. Trump did absolutely nothing to bring it down. Now we're paying a whole new category of tax that we barely paid before, which is the tariffs. We're having to bail out our soybean farmers now because we just got cracked over the head with China and Venezuela. Like the idea that there's all this help coming through because he closed the border, although apparently 25 million illegals are already in here. Like, I don't see where the help is.
I could give you an example, though, right? So this is kind of the bait and switch that the leftist seems to like to do, right? First of all, I go, tariffs are all bad. And then I want to bring up other things like the trade deals, and you'll say, they don't happen. But when I say, I go, hey, look, the UK is now matching American standards. It's a little bit of a bait and switch because you go, they haven't taken advantage of. Then I go and look at Europe, and I go look at Australia, and I go look at, the UK, and they have all these extra standards on beef that restricts us and doesn't allow us to sell over there in their markets. They're able to import over here, and we're not able to export there. That's an unfair advantage. You could say they're not reciprocal, but we don't even have an option to go in there and sell because they're sitting here excluding us. And they're like, maybe it's technically not a tariff, but the tariff is forcing them to react and change their policies at the local level, which benefits us here. So it's kind of like, it's not a direct one-to-one comparison. I'm sure.
I think if I heard more conversation about these particular standards, maybe I'd be more amenable to it. But the problem is Trump speaks so broadly, and then conservatives never actually detail any of these things. Like, it's okay for different markets to have different standards for different things. That's fine, right?
Sure.
What was the FDA? There was some drug that they didn't approve a long time ago that was approved in Europe. I wish I could remember the name of it. But women would take it when they were pregnant and their babies were coming out like 7 arms or something. It was a bad drug that didn't get approved over here. It was approved in Europe. But like there are different standards in different countries for different things sometimes. Like the idea that somebody might have a different standard for beef and then so we can't export to that market as much, at least not all of our beef. I don't know if that's necessarily inherently exploitative. It can. There are some standards like that that are set up to be exploitative. But also, if Trump wanted to negotiate these, he said it himself. We have the largest, hottest economy in the world. Why would we have to start with a global tariff and then work from there?
It's because it's sending a message, and then these people come back and they make more fair deals. They get rid of the
They
tariffs.
haven't made any deals yet, though.
They've made all sorts of deals.
We have
got
zero
deals with
deals.
Panama. We got deals with the UK.
We have zero deals.
What are you saying? We don't have zero deals when they've been announced. We've had the prime minister.
Yes, we've had announcements. He's talked. That's all Trump can do is talk. You know, the deal we did have was the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade deal from Trump.
Sure.
He blew that up. So we have no deals. Negative deals.
So wait, so that's interesting you bring that up. Do you disagree that, like, okay, things change within a period of time? So I've heard people on the left, like yourself, sit here and advocate that this is just a massive failure that Trump came out here to. You just advocated earlier that, oh, hey, this guy, he's a politician. He's going to adjust to what the people want. Trump's a politician. He's saying, oh, this deal failed. Let's adjust. Let's get something new in there. Let's do something else. Now he's trying the stick instead of the carrot, and it seems to be working.
It's not working, though. Inflation is increasing. Our exports and import markets are hurt right now. The treasury yields are increasing. The world economy is losing faith in the United States. Like basically every conceivable metric, we're worse off than we were before. The budget is out of control. The one big beautiful bill massively. Our government is being shut down again. Like everything is failing. I don't know where all the success is coming from.
Like I said, I can point specifically to the beef industry as one of the industries that are growing. And this is kind of the misnomer I think y'all are talking about. We've been a service industry nation for a while now, and it looks like we're trying to move back to more of a manufacturing and production nation. And I think this is one of the major ones. If the beef industry fails, that's a national security crisis. You know, like first thing that happens if you lose your food supply, and that's going to be a bad thing.
Cheeseburgers are the only food supply in the United States?
You act like that's funny. That's a good one though. But here's the thing: like I used to be able to go get a thing of fajitas, some skirt steak, a couple pounds of it, 99 cents a pound. Now it's $14 a pound, right? And that's crazy and it's bad. And that's due to exactly because the Biden era policies under soy, the Biden era policies under alfalfa, the Biden era policies under corn. All these subsidies made people switch, and all of a sudden now we didn't have feed, herds shrunk. We had these unfair deals with these other countries, and now, hey, if we have this screwworm infestation and have a porous border, which we know a porous border causes infestations of these screwworms and other kind of diseases into our beef market. If we don't have this secured, it's gonna be bad. And under Biden, we didn't have any of that. And under Trump, we've secured it, just like the gentleman that just went before me said, and you agreed. So, like, how can you say this is a net bad for some of these industries when we're in a transitionary period?
Well, if we're transitioning backwards, I guess it's a net good if we're trying to regress economically and security-wise. But like, if you care about national security, Trump has been worse on national security in like almost every conceivable metric.
Wait, do you think going backwards into production and manufacturing is actually you think that's going backwards? I guess is what you're saying.
When people speak derogatorily about like service-type economies and then they want to step back into manufacturing, that's a regression.
See, I disagree. I hear a lot of people. I guess they want to go backwards to a time where they had more money in their pocket. Like I hear all these people that were big union guys going, "Hey, I miss working at the factory, making $30 an hour. Why can't we get back to factories?" I hear ranchers talk about, I remember in the 50s, which is crazy that they're talking about the 50s when they had larger herds. Beef prices were way down. Even in the 90s, beef prices weren't as egregious as now, but they're still flying up, and it's because of all the bad lefty policies where they're
That's fine, but like in the 1500s, if you knew the Pythagorean theorem, you were the smartest guy in your math class. Like times change. You can't just say that we can.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because going backwards to a manufacturing economy, that might have been good 50 to 100 years ago when the entire world was doing like manufacturing and was working that way. But you can't no economy. You can't give me a single example of an economy anywhere on the planet that regressed economically.
That's ludicrous to argue that you were the smartest person in the room just because you knew the Parental theorem has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, which is
what is an economy that's going backwards from service to manufacturing? Like, who are you jealous of economically? Who do you think does better than the United States economically?
We could be doing better. China's exploding at one of the quickest rates. They're doing a lot of manufacturing. We're seeing all these other countries.
What is China trying to expand the most into, though? What does Trump complain? They steal our intellectual property. They have things like TikTok. They're expanding in green energy. They're expanding their relations with every other country on the planet. They're expanding like all of their tech industry. They're not trying to do more manufacturing. They're trying to do more service.
Do you think tech is only service, producing tech? Right now we can't even make missiles. We can't even make phones. We're running out of the supplies to sit here and get the rare earth minerals.
We can't make missiles?
Yeah, we don't have the tech.
We literally bombed Iranian nuclear plants, and they didn't even know about it until Trump went on the media and made an announcement about it.
We already had those.
Okay, so we can bomb things. I think we're doing okay there.
You disagree with the Biden administration, the reason why they put forth the CHIPS Act in the first place then?
No, I think the CHIPS Act is fine. I think there are certain things that we can incentivize here.
So then you are pro-manufacturing then?
I never said I was anti-manufacturing. What I took issue with was you attacking service.
I mean, okay. I mean, listen here. We saw COVID. It became the gig economy. It became just service economy. That's bad. I mean, I don't know anybody that can sit here and just make a living wage off of just working Uber or Uber Eats or DoorDash or anything. Nobody can live like that. They have to do this. They have to work the regular job and they have to work one of these in the side jobs to sit here and get by. If we could return to manufacturing, people can work their 9 to 5s, 40 hours a week, and get back to only having to work 40 hours a week.
You acknowledge that those jobs are never coming back like that, right? Like every time you say that, you're selling a lie to people. That will never, ever be the case. That you can put a door on a car and make a living wage doing that. That will never be the case again in any part of the world.
I mean, how are you intending that we're going to automate, say something like ranching? There's no way you can automate ranching. What are they going to have?
Farming uses more like automation and advanced machinery. Like, do you think that people that do agriculture like go out with their scythes and chop the crops?
No, I think as somebody that's done agriculture my entire life, I feel like I have a pretty good idea. I don't think there's any robot that can go out there and kill snakes currently that keep my cattle from being poisoned. I don't think there's a robot right now that can go kill a mountain lion or a coyote that's eating a calf. No, I don't think there's going to be a robot that can build my fence for me currently. No, I'm sorry, there's just no way you can sit here and automate that. Maybe at a feedlot, but that's the second tier part of the production when it comes to ranching.
So I can understand it. You're saying that the process of building a fence today is the same as it was 50 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's not my experience on any of this, but okay.
I mean, the only difference is maybe we have a post hole digger so we can do it faster. I mean, even then, that's still something that's been around 30 years.
Okay, when it comes to manufacturing things, there's never going to be a world where we have like the old like the Detroits, like the car manufacturing plants, where like an ordinary person can do kind of like.
What about aerospace? What about just like we were talking about chips manufacturing?
Even aerospace. I mean, look, you're not. These are all like robot automated jobs.
Shipbuilding. That's another one we need. China's outbeating us in shipbuilding. There's all these different industries that are definitely going to be having to be built here if we build the tariffs, and it is transitory. And
you think that we're going to go back to a world where you've got people that are manually putting these things together and making a living wage doing it? We're going to be competitive with the rest of the world on this?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think we're going to be able to be more competitive because lately with the service economy, what do we make? We make nothing. And when you make nothing, you're worth nothing.
What do you mean by you make nothing?
I mean, if you're just the service industry, if you're only able to sit here, say you're a waiter at a restaurant, right? That's service industry. You would agree with that?
Yeah, but
okay.
like people also consider like programmers like service. I mean,
yeah, there's gonna be a lot. Let's say you're a waiter at a restaurant, for example, right? The only way you have to sit here and serve that burger, that $8 burger you were talking about, is if someone's able to make the beef, to get the beef there, and then they produce it, they like manufacture it, they feed it, all this good stuff, butcher it. You have to have all these different lines in the line of production in order for the service industry to work. And what you're proposing is, let's just kill the beef industry. We don't need that going forward. We're gonna sit here and just import this beef, and then, if we ever have any kind of trade problems with these people and they cut it off, suddenly now the service worker's out of job because they can't get beef for their
So do you think like Microsoft is like a nothing company?
I mean, you think Microsoft is a service company or do you think they're a production company? Because they're both.
What do you mean by, what do you consider production?
I mean, they're building computers. Do you think they're building computers? They build software.
Microsoft build computers?
I mean, they used to. I mean, I'm not sure if they do. I'm thinking
they have Azure. They're like servers and stuff that you can rent space out of, but this is all like service electronic stuff. And they do like software or like Amazon, AWS is like software. Like, do you think it's like fake stuff?
I mean, I guess software would be service, but I mean, just because you have that doesn't mean you don't need HP building it, or like Texas Instruments building TI-83s, or Texas Instruments building computers, or all sorts of companies.
Like, is there an example of any other country on the planet that has gone back to, or whose economy that you think we should emulate, who's doing better than us, who does less service and more manufacturing?
Why would we want to emulate another country when we're the world leaders? I feel like we should lead the way and go back to manufacturing.
Do you see what you just said? We should lead the way and go back?
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
that doesn't
because what's going on right now is not working.
What was going on was we were dominating the entire world economy. We came out of COVID stronger and better than every other economy on the planet.
When?
And what do you mean? Since when?
I mean, it's arguably the whole reason why I think Mr. Pangburn over here brought up Hassan earlier as a joke. I mean, Hassan's always talked about multipolarity. I mean, if anything, the multipolarity people are getting stronger because we're sitting here not doing manufacturing. We're the weakest we've been in 200 years almost.
Our manufacturing has increased. The output of manufacturing in the U.S. has increased like pretty solidly.
In what industries? Like a few like specific ones? Well, major industries have like.
I mean, we probably don't manufacture the same things anymore, but we do like end stage manufacturing better than most other countries on the planet. But we'd rather be making like the widget monster than making the widgets.
Well, you yourself just brought up at the beginning of this conversation the soy industry, right? The soy, how it got devastated by some of Trump's policies, okay? And then how there's having all these problems. Well, that's manufacturing that's gone backwards. You didn't seem to have a problem when something like soy was doing well, but now that ranching's doing well, now it's a problem.
Why would it be a problem if they're doing well? My
wasn't doing
issue is
well.
that conservatives, for some reason, you guys view everything on the planet as like some zero-sum game where the only way to make gains is to destroy some other part of the economy or to destroy some other part of the world in order to have some piece of the pie for themselves. But like you can talk about these things like manufacturing is being destroyed. Why did Elon Musk start Tesla and start SpaceX? Why did he start that in the United States if our manufacturing is so horrible? And when he did start that in the U.S., it's not like did he put together a whole bunch of blue-collar workers in the Uber factories to build the rockets and the cars?
I can't speak to Elon Musk and why he wants to be a patriot and build jobs here in America or return us to space. I don't know all that, but I'll tell you this. When I'm sitting here seeing people sit here and complain about, the soy industry collapsing, or I'm seeing other industries propped up, like the corn industry propped up by subsidies, while, the beef industry languishes and rots on the vine, I sit here and go back to what I said in the beginning. I think it's not that Republicans think it's a zero-sum game. I think it's that we sit here and look and we go, we vote local, right? And whenever I'm having my fences damaged by coyotes coming across, bringing people illegally, or I'm having people sit here getting unfair advantages because they can pay to have illegal workers to pay the fine, hire new people, and then I'm having things like the other countries sit here and have unfair regulations that we can't compete with while we have tariffs on our beef or numbers. I think it's pretty clear that the left, for the last 20 years at least, hasn't cared about people like me. And so when I go and vote, I don't know, it's kind of like a big FU all of a sudden when we're doing good and everybody else is like, oh no, it's so bad. And it's like,
I mean, you can say that, but like the reality is on every single issue listed, Trump has failed, will continue to fail, and by the end of his term will have failed on every single one of those issues. Costs are increasing for everything. Tariffs are hurting every single consumer, disproportionately middle class and worse. The budget is spiraling.
High.
What?
Stock market's at an all-time high. It's hitting record highs.
I'm sorry, stock market? What happened to voting local? Do you think the stock market represents the average person?
Local. Beef prices, like I said,
stock markets were at all-time high under Biden. Would you say that Biden had a great economy?
Yeah, the highest under Biden is like the highest under Biden is the lowest it's been under Trump. So I guess you're giving
welcome
credit
to the stock market. It goes up.
Yeah, I mean, no, it doesn't. What do you mean? We have crashes all the time.
Yeah, and then it goes up. The last 3 or 4 years of Obama's presidency was all-time highs before Trump came in, and then Trump was all-time highs, and then COVID happened, and then Biden was all-time highs. And guess what? By the end of Trump's term, it'll be all-time highs. And guess what? After the next president, it'll also be all-time highs. That's how the stock market works.
Yeah, but whenever we talk about inflation, we can go and look at like average costs going in there, right? Like right now with beef, like I said, it's going to take 2 years for things to like level out and the cost to be passed on to consumers and it go down. But if we continue under the same policies, when the beef prices are just going to keep flying up, soon it's going to be $30 for your $8 burger at the rate it's going. We're at an all-time high for beef prices. Yeah, that's great for a seller's market, but it's really bad for everybody else. And so when I'm sitting here looking at what you're saying, gas right now where I'm at, it's like $2.30, right? I'm sure it's higher in some places like California. Why don't we look at where it's higher and where it's lower? And it's clear that the places with more regulation are way, way higher. So
at the end of Trump's term, when inflation is higher than it should be, when costs are higher than they should be, are we still going to blame Biden for that? Because inflation is higher now. It's coming higher and higher and hotter than it should have been. The Fed is going to have to, unfortunately, they're going to have to lower rates now because inflation is, not only is inflation increasing, unemployment is increasing too. Like on every economic indicator we have, every market indicator we have is looking worse and worse.
Hold on, you're sitting there saying unemployment is up. Yeah, well, cool. That's great and all, maybe. But it's more also at the same, when I look at this, I heard, unemployment's great for all these people. And then you find out, they included all these people that worked like 18 hours a week as employed and whatnot. Like, that's ridiculous. That's not employment.
Well, that's not how unemployment is calculated.
Yeah, it was under one of the things.
No, it wasn't.
That's why under the Biden, they keep having to revise the job reports. We figured out they're lying. And there's just no trust from the left right now. Y'all lied about his health. Y'all lied about jobs reports repeatedly. We know for a fact
there's no trust from the left because Trump himself will openly lie about everything.
But this is something I can look like. I'm not even a super huge pro-MAGA guy. I'm like a Texas Republican. We don't trust big government. And then when I sit here and I look and I sit here and you go, oh yeah, Trump's lied about everything. And I see the stuff he's done. And then I go, it's the highest jobs they've ever been. And then I go, okay, well look, let's see. Why did they just sit here and cut out 100,000 jobs from the last Biden report? Or why'd they cut 300,000? And every time the Biden jobs report came out, it was cut under Trump. We haven't seen those things. We've seen very small corrections, if at all. And so it looks like, maybe it's slower, but it's also not inflated fake numbers the way that you're sitting here pertaining, putting out there.
So you believe the numbers under Trump, but you don't believe the numbers under Biden?
I'm just saying if they're from the same agencies,
you believe the numbers under Trump, but you don't believe the numbers under Biden?
No, what I'm saying, well, hold on. The Biden numbers under Biden that I'm quoting are the same numbers that came out. First, he put one out for the jobs report, and then several times, each time under Biden, those jobs reports got revised. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, job report revisions are pretty common. Yeah, they have.
Okay, yeah, and when they're substantial, and you go all the whole time, hey, buddy, this is the highest jobs we've ever had, and then 3 months later, the revision comes out, and it's 1 million people lower, or 300,000 lower, and it's not the highest. Well, that's a lie. Would you agree? You just said it's exaggerating. It's a lie.
So I don't think the revisions were as drastic under Biden. I think one of the reasons for a lot of the revisions under Trump is because Trump has done a lot of self-inflicted harm on the economy that nobody was expecting and the markets have had to adjust for. For instance, the global tariffs that were completely brainless that have done nothing but damage to the United States economy and reputation abroad.
So wait, just to be clear, you're saying that exaggerating the numbers under Biden is different than Trump exaggerating, saying...
I think they're exaggerating. When they do the prospective job numbers, they collect it from like the census and then they get the later report. Yeah, I know, learning about how the data works is frustrating. That's why Trump wants to fire guys and put in guys to give him the answer
it is frustrating. Whenever you're the average American, I run up several businesses. It's not very hard for me to sit here and go, oh, I did this. If I go to my investors and I tell them, hey, guess what? Our numbers are actually, 300% lower than what I actually told you in, 3 months ago. Like, yeah, that's going to be outrageous. Or at least, we made $300,000 less this month than we actually told you we made. But now that we've done revisions, they're going to go, that's a lie, and they're going to want to pull funds. Like, so whenever you're sitting here going, oh, it's not the same, it's frustrating how numbers work. Yeah, it is frustrating to the average Americans who are like wise to this game now. Like, I just don't understand how you can sit here and say it's not an exaggeration or whenever that's exactly
because they do revisions because the first numbers they get are different than after they verify them on the second batch. They're pulled from different. I think one comes from some census related thing, and the other comes from some final jobs reports related thing from companies. I don't know exactly how they calculate it, but there are always adjustments. There have always been revisions.
Yeah, sure, but and that's a lie, especially when you sit here and you run on, oh, we have the best jobs ever, and then you're going to sit here running the Trump presidency.
Because under Biden, the job economy was very hot. Yes.
No, fake news. And when we sit here, and I want to talk about what you just said. You sat here and said, hey, we're going to sit here and get, the inflation rate, if it's the highest it's ever been. Well, I can't remember a government in recent memory that didn't have inflation rates go up. But if he slows the inflation rate, and it looks like it is drastically slowing.
It's not slowing. It's beating now. I think 2.9 was what it came in under, and it was supposed to be like 2.4. So it's increasing, which we would expect as the tariffs are increasing.
I don't know. I'm seeing 2.4 from multiple sources regularly right now. That's what they're estimating they're going to be at the end of the year. So, I don't know. I guess we have different sources on that one. But if there are 2.4 and it did slow the growth, then hell yeah, that's exactly what we want, isn't it?
I mean, if the inflation is coming in hotter than we would expect it to, and it's coming in hotter for literally no reason besides the fact that Trump is adding costs to everything by tariffing the entire world for no reason, I think, no, that's not what we want. We had an economic contraction for quarter one for absolutely no reason.
2.9% is bad. Whenever Biden came in, we had a 25% to 50% increase almost inflation.
Where was the Biden inflation from?
What was the Biden inflation from?
Yeah.
It's terrible mismanagement, all these different industries.
What was the Biden inflation from?
Are you going to blame COVID? Is that what you're about to try to blame?
Don't we blame COVID for Trump's disastrous fourth year? Does it only work for Trump?
I mean, I'm not sitting here. I'm making claims based off what I'm seeing.
Wait, where do you think the majority of the inflation happened due to under Biden's administration?
Yeah, I would argue that, all the extra checks got sent out. I didn't even like it when Trump sent out checks. But whenever they're sending out all these checks, yeah, that's going to drastically inflate things. Whenever you have people send out, all these different checks going out and no one has to work and you can just go spend money like play money, of course the prices of inflation is going to go up. Do you disagree?
So we had COVID. Was a huge thing, right? We had to do some kind of stimulus for the economy. And then we also had the Ukraine war breakout, which did a lot for shipping and prices of stuff globally as well for a bit, right? So he had to deal with those two things. For the most part, by the end of his term, inflation was, I think it was sub 3 points. When Trump came in, everything was running fine. We had an economic contraction in quarter one for no reason. And now we've had inflation starting to tick upwards again for no reason.
If we look historically throughout history at all the different countries, every time we've had like a giant inflation increase, look at like 1920s Germany, right? Or even Venezuela now, what do? They do stimulus packages and they kept sending out tons of extra cash, all these stimulus bonuses, all this money, and they flood the market. And all of a sudden, about a year later, 6 months later, suddenly that money's not worth anything because inflation's through the roof. That's exactly what happened under Biden. And,
really? Under Biden, the USD wasn't worth anything?
Yeah, it's gone way down. Are you disagreeing that the US dollar?
The only thing that was damaging faith in the US dollar was Trump's crazy tariff plan.
No, that's not true.
It's absolutely.
The US dollar's been on the decline for like 15, 20
absolutely
years.
Not. You can see USD to euro comparison. Like Trump has been destroying the USD with his insane.
That's not true at all. I just don't know where you're getting
your information. You can look at the treasury yields increasing because other people, Japan and Canada, were possibly looking at offloading US treasuries. You can look at the fact that you want to talk about a deficit or increasing US dollars again. Trump's first term, all he did were tax cuts. He didn't pair it with any spending cuts. Massive deficits. Look at the one big beautiful bill. Massive deficits. All Trump does is print money like crazy. For no reason too. He did it for no reason. There's no crisis right now for these 4 years.
No,
why
I
is he printing?
I think the economy is in a great shape and getting better, especially when I look at things like luxury goods.
So do you support deficit spending?
Do I support what?
Do you support massive deficit spending to increase the economy?
It depends, not generally.
It depends on what? If it's a Republican or a Democrat in office?
I mean, sure, I guess, but not really. No, it depends on it. Like, for example, I'll give you one that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like Trump's gun laws as a Texan, right? So I'm not just to sit here die hard. I'm going to die on the hill. I think the big beautiful bill. I'm sure that's what you want to be referring to. I think that was too much. I'm not a huge fan of that. So no, I'm not going to sit here and die on that hill for some of these things. However, I do think whenever he's sitting here and he's sitting here accomplishing things in multiple industries that are improving things for us, I think maybe we should give him a chance. We've done things one way for the last, 16 of the last 20 years, have been done one way. And now, we're getting a change and it's benefiting some people that haven't been benefiting for a while. And all of a sudden, that's a problem. And that's kind of what I keep coming back to you. You're saying it's a zero-sum game on our side. When I'm saying it looks like it's a zero-sum game on your side because y'all hate seeing anybody else win.
When you say try something different over the past 20, 30 years, what I've seen is Republicans destroying the economy, Democrats coming in and having to try to rebuild, and then Republicans coming in and trying to...
Wait, well, how come do the general public, whenever time they're polled, say they trust the Republicans more with the economy than Democrats?
Because the general republic is...
So we're just better at marketing in that case?
Yeah, conservatives, all they do is market. Like when they've invested...
So, what did all they do is market, then that's who are in charge of the
economy.
economy.
What did Obama come in after? He came in after the 2008 housing crisis. Was that the Democrats' fault? No, that was a deregulation thing. That was a repeal of Glass-Steagall. That was a repeal of all the mortgage regulations. That was a Republican-run drive-up, right? Where did all the massive spending come from under Bush? It was for foreign wars. What did Biden come in under? He came under the horrible COVID mismanagement, Trump having no leadership or guidance over the country.
Bush had his own economic win before the housing crisis. He was doing good. We could bash the wars, but, military-industrial complex spending was up, stock was through the roof, oil production was up. There was benefits there in some of those regards. But, the housing bubble, that wasn't good. I didn't like that. The banking crisis under Obama, that also wasn't good. I feel like these are massive crises.
The banking crisis under Obama?
Yeah.
You mean under Bush?
No, the banking crisis underneath it. Wasn't it Bush?
The bailouts, that was because of the mortgage
I didn't like that either. Bush was
but
bad.
these were Republican-led disasters that a Democrat has to come in and clean up under and then still get the economy moving again. Biden had to do it again after Trump, and now we're going to have to do it again after this Trump.
You keep saying get the economy moving again when it's like clear that some people are getting left in the dust. There's a reason why, for example, and I keep coming back to beef, is so high right now, and it's because of the Democrat policies like grain and corn subsidies, where it switched people going away from the stuff that would generally go to beef. All of a sudden, now you don't have the feed supply, and the only people that can survive are people like myself who are grass-fed ranchers, and all of a sudden you just take out a huge swath of an industry that was already hurting. And I can look at other industries like this, and it's just like, hey, at least soy is good right now. What? Come on, man. That's not...
I think that animal agriculture exports are going to be down by the end of Trump's 4 years. I think that the access to other markets is poor. I think that the reciprocated tariffs now, the real ones, not the fake ones that Trump said were there before, are hurting exporters all across the United States. I think the weakening of our dollar is going to end up... I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to hurt our ability to export to other markets.
Well, you look at China. Do you think that would you call what we've done with China a general tariff, or would you call that a reciprocal? Whenever they came in at one rate and then we came back in at one rate, and then all of a sudden they lowered it, we lowered it, we're still 15% higher, and they agreed to it. Would you not agree that that's a win in our book? I mean, just look at how much money the
everything about Trump's trade has been a loss so far. Everybody agrees. Everybody, his whole administration realizes it. He realized
partially due to the tariffs. We've actually, what was it, the last 2 months have reported a surplus specifically due to the tariffs? Do you not agree that's a good thing? Aren't happy that the government's getting a surplus?
You're saying that it's a good thing that we've taxed Americans more on imports?
We're not taxing Americans. We're taxing the overseas people.
I thought we agreed earlier that a tariff is an import tax.
Yeah, and we're incentivizing production here at home. Instead of having to import foreign
when Donald Trump said he could shoot somebody on 5th Street or whatever, and his audience will support him, I maybe would have believed that. If Donald Trump would have said, I could find a way to tax working and middle-class Americans more, and they'll believe me and they'll champion it, I would have never believed that. I can't believe people are defending the concept of raising money via what is honestly like a Democrat dream of having like a type of like an import tax, right? Like, oh my God, we're going to tariff everybody and make all sorts of money this way. It's not even that big of a dollar amount that he's raising compared to all the other money he's lost via the insane tax cuts on the one big beautiful bill. So it's not even a wash with all of his other horrible fiscal policies.
Do you disagree that by taxing foreign products such as foreign beef or foreign manufactured goods, whatever those may be, that it's not going to incentivize people to buy those goods locally, as opposed, because you're saying, it's a tax, Well, that's going to incentivize local people to build and produce and expand their operations, and that's going to allow them to have more production here. So,
It incentivizes local production, but at the cost of local consumers. It means that you're also going to have
in the
less.
short term, in the long term,
No.
it's going to be better off because
Why would you assume that in the long term we can outcompete every single economy in the world on every single
does it
type
cost
of
money
good?
to ship stuff from one country to another? Yeah, absolutely. If we cut that out because it's produced right here in America, you mean of course the costs are
So
going to go
you
down.
think in the U.S. we can outcompete every single country on the planet on every single good?
I mean, it depends. Probably, yeah. I trust in America's production capabilities.
I don't even know what to say.
That sounds
like
we lead the way in
nobody
technology.
serious believes that. That's impossible, and
wait,
it won't happen. It won't happen.
So
at all.
what is it? What is it? Is it that we're the leaders in technology and all this service stuff, or we can be the leaders in production and we can actually lead the world in this? We are the current leaders, or are you saying no, that we're not actually the leaders that you're saying we're number one in?
No, we are the leaders when it comes to like end stage assembly and technology and service and like software. Like this is the stuff that we lead the world in. These are the envies of the world when it comes to production.
Well, so look at like H-E-B, and we mentioned Walmart earlier. Why is H-E-B the fastest growing grocer in the United States? Well, the reason why is because they have taken every step out of the way. They own their like cod farms out in Alaska. They own their lobster farms in Maine. They own their beef production facilities here in the United States. They sit here and they work when they go overseas for coffee. They own the coffee production, right? It's all built within their system, and they are eliminating the middlemen, and that's led to lower costs, even despite the tariffs, because guess what? They're an American company producing the goods here. I can point to numerous examples of this, and that's what the Walmart model was. That, and I'm sitting here looking at this, and I say, oh, you're saying this can't happen, and I'm saying I see businesses internalizing and excluding the overseas people all the time and benefiting, and you're saying, no, that can't happen. Well, why is it already happening then?
It's not happening to a large extent. There is a reason why the
fastest growing grocer in the United States isn't at a quick percent isn't a good example. What do you mean?
Do you think that the whole world is looking at Taiwan because Taiwan makes like the best car doors?
No, it's because they make the chips. But why? If we were sitting here,
Which is an end stage advanced
How
manufacturing. It's
big
not
is
because they're
Taiwan?
mining silicon. It's not because they're out in the coal mines. It's not because
how
they're
big is Taiwan?
pretty small.
Small, right? Like, okay, so I said I'm from Texas, right? Imagine if we just took all the counties that were the same size as Taiwan and we started building facilities there, which they're already doing. Like, I don't see like how we can't produce these in-game things like you're saying, as well as
Because we don't want to build that. We want to do steel.
What, steel? I mean, sure, American steel is better than Chinese steel. Like, do you
If it's so much better, then why do Americans buy Chinese steel?
Well, if we put the tariffs on there, we could build it at a cheaper rate and faster here.
It won't happen. I don't know what to say.
You're just saying it won't happen, and I'm giving you examples of when it is happening, like HEB.
We don't have the people. We don't have the
We
physical.
don't have the people. What do you mean? Aren't you y'all the ones sitting here saying, oh, hey, we need all these illegal aliens for all these jobs because the Americans won't do them. I'm seeing poultry farms, like butchering facilities. They're hiring Americans now after they've cleared out all these illegals. So it looks like we do have the people, and it's just kind of like inconvenient truth to you.
I don't know how to. There's like if I were to ask you for an example, you wouldn't be able to give me a single one. If I were to ask you for there's just no world where we can outcompete the entire world on everything.
Yeah, I could give you
no
an example.
economy does it.
I can give you an example right now. C&J Farms in Texas once
That's
again.
not a country.
Oh, a country. Oh, now we got to change it from like companies to
I'm
countries.
asking about a country that tries to do everything. Some economies, like in some ways, Germany has issues getting trapped in like a manufacturing
they're
economy
also
where they
the
can't
size
make.
of like Oklahoma. So that's a bad
I'm
example.
just saying that you can't make everything. There's a concept called comparative advantages. Some people do some things better than other people. Some economies are geared more towards the production of certain goods or services than other economies. If our unemployment is sub 5% and Donald Trump is obsessed with kicking a whole bunch of people out of the country, where are we expecting to invent all these people to take place of all these other things that we're importing from other countries? We just don't have the people for it.
Hold on. If we have a massive unemployment rate, then why
We don't have a
those-
massive unemployment rate.
Yeah, it seems like we have a lot of people unemployed or working on the gig economy, having to work 2 part-time jobs.
I don't know what it seems like is. I can't talk about it seems like. I can only go by the official reported numbers.
Listen, it's pretty simple. When we go and look, we do have. You were just saying unemployment is climbing. If we're getting rid of illegal aliens, like Trump is trying to do, or stopping the flow of immigration, why wouldn't these people suddenly that are here not be getting hired? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer that you're going to hire here if you can't hire from overseas.
When I say unemployment is climbing, I mean it's getting like back up to, and then it's going to go north of 5%. Not we're at 30%, so we can open every single new shop in the United States that we were importing from every other country.
I mean, hold on. Are you saying all these people that are sitting here working on welfare, living on welfare, they're sitting here?
I don't think there are that many people that are sitting here on welfare not working.
What? There's all sorts of people working on welfare that don't have full-time jobs. Unemployment, there's they get unemployment and whatnot. They don't go work. You literally have to go in there and just show that you apply for jobs just to get it. I remember when I was at college, I knew tons of friends sitting here living basically off unemployment, and they would just extend it for 6 months, and then they would go and get a job for like 1 or 2 months, and then they would do it again. Like, you can't tell me this isn't happening when I've seen it regularly my whole life. Like, I know tons of people. Like, I grew up poor. Like, I saw this. This is what happens. And then when you're sitting here going, oh, it's not happening, it's not believable.
I can't speak to what you see. I live in Miami Beach. I see a bunch of people in swimsuits all the time. And I'm not going to go to Alaska and expect to see the same thing. It doesn't make any, I'm just saying that, in 1 year, what are you looking for to see if everything is going as you would hope it's going in 1 year?
I'm looking at traceable data. And this is why I brought up I came in here specifically talking about the beef industry. It's something I'm familiar with the data, right? When you're sitting here going,
no. So I'm just asking you, don't worry about what I'm saying. I'm just asking you in 1 year, so like if the export total of beef has decreased, would you consider that a Trump failure, or are we just not adjusted yet?
Say that again?
If our total animal agriculture exports have decreased, would you consider that like a failure, or?
Well, they are going to decrease over the next 2 years due to gestation rates, but then they're definitely going to be primed to increase due to how the cattle production.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So cows, it takes about 2 years to get them from pre-production to the feeding lots and feed facilities before they can even be processed. So right now, based off with cattle, it's a really easy one to track. I could sit here and track based off where cows are in their production cycle nationwide. I could tell you within their reproduction cycle at what exact year.
Wait, you're telling me that in cow manufacturing, they don't stagger the gestation? All of them gestated the same cycle?
No, that's not what I'm saying. They do stagger it, so I can tell you exactly how long it's going to take based off economic indicators. And that's why I'm saying within 3 years, we're going to see our first growths in herds since the 1950s. So when I'm sitting here saying, oh, hey, I've seen exact production, exact changes that are benefiting Americans, like with ranching, I can sit here and point to an exact data point. And this is why when you're sitting here saying, oh, the stats for this, and I'm arguing over the stats, and we're sitting here arguing over definitions, or we're arguing over hey, how much unemployment is, I go, hey, well, there's good liars, bad liars, and statistics. That's kind of what you're doing right here. And I think it's kind of like not really being honest whenever I can look at something like ranching and I can point to an exact data set that's going to change based off established principles and established economic conditions. And with cattle, for example, I know exactly it's going to take 3 years based off of the changes that have happened in the 6 months. And it's very simple. And so there's not going to be a change unless something crazy happens that'll,
Okay. I guess we'll see where we're at in a year. But I mean, right now, for CPI and stuff, the cost of a basket of goods, everything has gone up except eggs that came down because of the whatever egg price having. But everything else has gone up in terms of average costs. Housing prices are still going up. Cost of education is still going up. Now we're paying import taxes on everything we get from other countries. Maybe in a year, the cow gestation will save us because of all the beef agriculture, maybe. But it just looks like every indicator right now is bad. We're always 2 weeks away from any actual trade deal from other countries, even though we keep saying things. And now we're having to spend a bunch of money on soybean farmers because Venezuela and China are screwing us because we don't know how to manage any of our trade policy.
Let me just ask you this, because you keep saying we're 2 weeks away from trade. If, say, no trade deal signed, but they suddenly match our standards, is that not a net benefit?
It should be enunciated in a trade deal. I don't know if I would consider that a benefit because it could change at any time.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Every country has the right to govern themselves, right?
Kind of. It depends on what you mean by that.
So, whoever's in charge of the country, whether it's a dictator, whether it's a democracy, whether it's a republic, whether it's whatever, somebody has a governing body that makes the rules, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, okay. And so then, if they have a governing body that makes the rules, they can change those rules at any given time, correct?
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, because
wait,
in the United States...
Are you a free person who can do what they want with their time, assuming you're not breaking the law?
Sure, but
You can say that, but what if we sign a contract? That's why you have contracts, is so that you can hold people to deals so that they're enforcing them in the future. I wouldn't want to be on a friend deal with a country for something as important as trade, because you yourself said it, a lot of these industries have to ramp up and ramp down.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in business, then there's such a thing as a good faith gesture, right? If I'm going into business with somebody for credit card processing, right? And I go in there and I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you the, POS machine for free. And, and you're going to sit here and you're going to get this rate. And I give you the POS system and I give you a trial period before you have to sign it. You would agree that's indicating that you're going to be going along with the deals that we're going to be making, correct?
You would never sign a contract on or you would never operate on good faith like that. I think you would always want something in writing.
But this is
but
international
also, America has
diplomacy,
no more
though.
good faith.
This is different.
Well, no, if you want to talk about diplomacy, America's lost all good faith with the tariff war. We destroyed that.
No. These countries have been taking advantage for a while.
They haven't been taking advantage of us.
Yes, they are. Like you're sitting here, we're acting like, okay, they absolutely have. Whenever they have standards that exclude us from a market, how do you think that's not taking advantage of us?
I thought you just said countries have the right to regulate their own country and decide what they want to import or export.
You're sitting here saying that, oh, hey, they have to be a contract. At least when I see somebody put in an office in another country and they're sitting here trying to make strides and change regulations at the local level.
If you think that there are unfair things like that, why didn't Trump just go out and negotiate that?
I mean, that's what he's doing.
No, that's not what he's doing. He tariffed everybody.
How long do you think a deal takes to make? They take months.
Apparently, a lot longer than Trump thought, because he said we'd have 100 deals in 100 days, and so far we have 0.
I mean, it seems like a lot of these people have been coming and dealing with him. To me,
Doesn't seem like that to me. Again, we're past 100 days, and we have 0 deals. Where are all of the trade deals? They're nowhere.
They're all over the place.
They're
we got
nowhere.
Panama, we got the UK, we got the EU.
They're not materialized yet. We have to mute. We got
the tariffs. China are higher than they've ever been, while theirs are equal to what they were before.
They're not equal to what they were before.
We have a surplus from the tariffs as well.
We don't have a surplus. We're still in a massive economic deficit.
Just checking in, guys.
Yeah,
we have about 5 minutes left there, Mr. Gibbs. Sorry, I had to. Is there anything you wanted to touch on with Destiny for maybe 5 more minutes?
No, I did want to say I thought this was kind of interesting. Y'all were just talking about the political violence thing, and I was making sure I brought my helmet and checked out upstairs before I came out here. But I think that I'm glad you said that. Honestly, I think that it has motivated people on the conservative side to go out and talk, and I encourage you to do more of these debates. I will give you much credit for going and talking to people, because I know that it's a lot of people will just comment and they don't want to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, do you think that the heightened environment overall is going to be something that continues, or do you think that these recent violent activities are going to be a shock thing that are going to make people go away?
I think it'll continue until President Trump tells everybody to calm down.
Do you think that people will even listen to him? I mean, I don't.
He got everybody to ignore the Epstein files. I think he'll get everybody to tone the violence down if he wanted to. Yeah, but I think he likes it. I think the conservatives kind of enjoy the environment.
They enjoy them. I mean, I don't think so. Every time I've ever heard someone do something on the conservative side, say a conservative guy kills somebody, everybody on the conservative side, yeah, that was terrible. Put him in the meat chipper, the wood chipper, right? I've never heard anybody sitting there glorifying, except for maybe I don't know, the Klan or somebody, which is not represented.
Well, I mean, if it's one of theirs, they memory hole it. They never talk about it. If it's a left-wing person, then of course they go crazy about it.
What do you mean? They talk about the Timothy McVeigh all the time and say how terrible he was.
This is decades ago, right?
Sure.
What was the one? Was it Abbott who pardoned the guy who killed the? Was it a BLM protester? I think you had Trump pardoning all the J6ers. He thought that violence was epic. You had.
The January 6th one seems kind of controversial now with all the FBI stuff coming out. But I mean,
well, nothing came out, to be clear.
I mean, sure, that's fair. We can argue about that later. But I'm saying specifically, whenever I'm looking and I talk about this ticky-tack word game BS, I just saw the other day that the Pulse Club nightclub shooter is considered a right-wing violence, and I'm just like, this guy represents the right wing, I don't know about that one. I feel like there's been a dishonest framing, and I don't think that Trump coming out and saying everybody needs to calm down is actually going to do anything. I think that's dishonest as well. They actually believe that.
Well, then no one on the left saying anything shouldn't do anything either, right? If literally none of our speech matters at all, I don't understand how crazy it is that I don't understand how you can say that. You don't believe that. There's no way you believe what you just said. You don't think Donald Trump making a statement that everybody should calm down, you think that would have no impact on the environment whatsoever?
I mean, maybe some. I don't think that. I think that it's going to be kind of turned against him. It's just like whenever he was with the Proud Boys or whatever. He's like, calm down, stand by, whatever. Some people interpret it as, oh, he's going to have his own private army. To most conservatives, it's he's saying chill out. I feel like anything he does is just going to be framed as.
Yeah, but when he said that, everybody understood it as fuck shit up,
do you disagree that anything he says is going to be turned into I don't know, some kind of meme?
No, I think it's very obvious. When you listen to Biden speak, it was obvious he wanted everybody to calm down. When Donald Trump said stand back and stand by.
Hold on. Biden said he wouldn't be upset if he got taken out one time. I mean, what do you mean?
No, he did not say that. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Not only did he not say that, but you can look at all of his actions and providing additional Secret Service members and increasing security for even his political opponents, or reaching out.
If they increase the security and put the C team on him and they get 2 people taking pot shots at him, I don't know if that's really increasing the security just because you throw more bodies, but you put the B team out there.
I mean, he's doing what it's not like Biden himself is out there securing the event.
No, nobody wants that.
But I'm saying as opposed to Biden is providing for additional security and Trump is trying to rescind Secret Service protections, additional ones from every single person he can. He's done that. And I mean, the way that Donald Trump talks about, he went on stage after Erica and was like, well, unlike Charlie Kirk, I hate all my political opponents. It's kind of unhinged to say.
Is it though? I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of hate. Like, just coming on here, I got hate
it comes
just
from
for coming to
him.
me. You get hate from all the people all the time. We all get hate. Like, just
Yeah, but there's a
because
difference
of
between the president saying it.
I mean, is there though? I mean, he's one.
How
Like,
could you
that's
not have a
part of
different
what
standard for the
people
president?
like about him is that he.
Yeah, is that he's hateful.
No, it's that he's a regular person that you could talk to.
I don't want a regular person. I
feel
want
like-
somebody who's better than a regular person. The president of the United States.
You say that, but I feel like the part of being the president is that anybody could be president. That's really the myth. The myth of the United States is that, hey, little Timmy could go up and become the president.
Anybody can be president isn't the same thing as saying everybody can be president. If you're in a dire situation, you're not looking around and it's like, I got the 6'2" jack guy, I've got the guy with all the military general experience, and I got the everyman. I want the ordinary dude to lead us through the zombie apocalypse. What do you mean?
So you're arguing for an elite oligarchy that runs the United States? That's crazy.
Well, hold on. No, if I was arguing for an elite oligarchy to run the United States, I would support Trump and Elon.
No, that's what you're
that's
doing
not what
right
I'm
now.
arguing for. I'm saying that the president of the
You said
United
you don't want
States
it to
should
be
have
anybody. If it can't be anybody, then you want someone specific that you think is special or like higher than the rest.
Do you think a
That's an
mentally
elite
retarded person should be president?
Wait, say that again.
Do you think a mentally retarded person should be president?
Probably not. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm okay with
Should
excluding
child
that.
rapist be president?
A what?
Child rapist be president?
No, I mean obviously not.
Foreign national, a Martian. So
Well, no,
not everybody should be
sure,
president,
sure.
right?
I mean,
we
I'm
want the
talking
best
about-
of the best,
okay,
right?
That's bad faith. I mean, that I'm talking about an average American citizen. I'm not sitting here talking about, Tiny Tim from that, the orphanage that's, been dropped on his head 30 times. I don't think anybody here thinks I'm saying that. Nobody's talking about Pedo Joe hanging out in the bathroom somewhere. Like, nobody's talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the average person that could grow up and come from any social class and become the American president. Yeah, I think
The
people
average
do.
person that comes from any social class to be president.
Yeah, I
And your
think that's
example is
something people-
Donald Trump, the
No, I mean,
multimillionaire
no, it's
real
not
estate
one
mogul
example.
from New York City.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's actually a point that I think you're making right here. It's a good one, is that he's not in the political elite. He comes from the rich elite. And, it's just this big step that we've got with somebody coming from just the economic class instead of this elite political class. I think it's a baby step in the right direction.
The guy that was at all the Clintons' weddings and was making daily trips to Epstein's Island was not part of the elite political class.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Now we're sitting here equating the Epstein thing. I mean, listen, if the Epstein thing matters so much, the Dems would have nailed him with it when they had all the files. But they didn't do it because they knew he didn't have anything. And just like with Jillian Maxwell said he didn't have it, none of the fucking victims have said that he's got these
If we're going to run with that logic, then if the Republicans had anything on Comey or Barack Obama related to the FBI hunt, then they would have released it in 2016 to 2020.
They tried, but the little Dem operatives that were already working, they've sit here and stopped them at every turn. We've seen that even just now. He's not cleared out all these people that are
There's
working
still a
against him.
deep state. There's still how deep does the state go?
I don't know about how there's a deep state. Those are your words, not mine. But I'm thinking that
Those are not my words. Those are Trump's words. Those are the words of the Republican administration for the past 10 years.
We could call it a deep state, but you and I both know that there's always people at each side in trenches whenever they get in charge, and those people that are for holdovers from other administrations are working against it. If that's a deep state, so be it. But you can't deny that there are people that are in power right now that are working against his agenda when he pushed stuff forward. Yeah, I would argue that it's taken him a while to get rid of some of those people, get people in place so that we can do some research on this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he can indefinitely blame whatever the deepest of the deep state, the deepest of the Loch Ness swamp monster, whatever he wants to call it. But I mean, at the end of the day, going back to where we started here, just the idea that you would want the president to just be like an ordinary person that would succumb to his emotions, it betrays all of like U.S. history. Like nobody was like, oh, George Washington, he was like a normal soldier that just marched across the field and shot a dude and then went home. It was like he crossed the Delaware. He was an amazing man. He did crazy stuff. Like I feel like we generally want to advocate for our presidents to be like really exceptional men, not just ordinary people thrust into the limelight. We'll see how they respond, and it'll be like an epic episode of The Apprentice.
A lot of these people in history were regular people that got thrust in the limelight. You can look at Andrew Jackson. He was just a regular soldier that moved his way up the ranks.
Yeah, they
you brought
rose
up
to the
George
occasion.
Washington. We could look at Ulysses S. Grant. We could look at tons of people. Abe Lincoln was just a random hick from the backwoods that got really good at public speaking. And he came up the ranks. Like there's plenty of examples in history of these. Davy Crockett.
But these people made something of themselves and then were elected president. I'm just all of this to go back even a step further. I would expect good conduct from the president of the United States.
I mean, hold on. Are you saying...
I can't believe this is controversial.
It's
because its behavior is indefensible.
We've had plenty of presidents that have said that, we hate our enemies throughout.
No, we don't.
I mean, FDR was sitting here talking about the evils of Nazism and then communism.
Nazism?
Yeah.
What does it say about you if that's an offensive
No,
statement?
I'm not saying it's offensive. I'm not. Hold on. First of all, I'm saying that you said that there's groups that they hate.
Yeah,
There's
the
all
Nazis
sorts
were an
groups.
enemy of the
they're
United
bad,
States of
and the
America.
communists. We have
was like a country
hold on,
that was-
We have presidents saying they hate the Russians back in the day. We have presidents saying
Those are
they
enemy-
hate
yeah,
all these are like. I mean, if these are their enemies, why wouldn't they say they hate them? I feel like
There's a difference between the enemies being foreign nationalists versus like your domestic
Hold on,
citizens.
wait, hold on. We have domestic people that believe in all these things. You don't believe we should hate these people that have these evil beliefs. So you're pro.
It's
being,
all the same to you,
Are
then.
you pro being friends with the Klan and be like, oh, we should never have the president say he hates the Klan or he hates the Nazis?
All
after
right,
this election, I'm just saying that from the same people who said that Obama saying Trayvon Martin looks like me to have that brain break, like half the conservative movement for indefinite periods of time, to come out and say, actually, I don't care at all what the president says. It's all epic and based. That's just astounding to me.
All right. That's,
Here, give him the last word. Give him the last word. Give him the last word. He can have the last word.
I was just going to say that's 5 minutes, guys. No, we'll give you the last. We'll give you the last
go
word
ahead.
there, Mr. Gibbs.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, thanks for debating with me. Yeah, it was fun. And
Where can people come and debate you?
you can find me anywhere as Admiral Gibbs on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Everyone, show up and debate Mr. Gibbs. Give him a round of applause. Thanks. Oh yeah.
All right. I'm short.
You're
You guys
good. You're
are
good.
tall. Okay.
Microphone right up to your mouth if you can. Yeah.
Do I say a statement or you ask?
Whatever you want to do. I think Trump's wrong about basically everything, so we got a lot to talk about if you want. In terms of ground to cover.
The far left is nothing more than a coalition of fragmented groups standing on a platform of pure hypocrisy.
Okay.
That's my belief.
Can I ask, when you say the far left, who are we talking about
These
here?
people right here in this room.
Okay. Okay, so help me sort this one out, okay? Because this is my common rebuttal, okay? So when I ask people, like, who are the far left, okay? I get an answer like this, okay?
Right.
But then when they ask me and I talk about the far right, I would say the same about, like, Congress. So, like, I feel like as much as I love my fans and you guys are powerful, I don't know the capacity for changing the character of the United States or California or even LA. But for Republicans, I feel like they're changing the character of the entire country at an accelerated rate in a way that I really don't like. How can I make these two things equally threatening? Like, make me care about, crazy college kids that are far left.
Well, the youth are the future, right? That's what we've been taught since we were born. The children are the future. So the reason why the far left leaning college kids are an issue is because these are the people who old people like me will hand this country over to. And we're in a time where, it's an unprecedented access to new information, right? So you pretty much can go out and find something that supports what you want to believe within 2 or 3 seconds or minutes. It wasn't like that in the 60s. It wasn't like that in the 70s or the 80s. People had to actually go search for, they had to go do research. You had to go to a library, open a book. And when you're searching to find what you want to believe, like support for what you want to believe, oftentimes you'll find things that go against what you believe, but they make a lot of sense, right? Research is necessary. Now you put on TikTok, you got 100 people, an echo chamber saying exactly what you're thinking, and you really don't have a need to do any type of research, and that's the age we're in.
Sure, so I don't necessarily disagree with some of that. I mean, I would say that every age brings with it, like, access to information in ways that we didn't have before, right? And, the printing press and, radio and then TV. I think was Vietnam the one that they called the TV war, or whatever, the first where you had people that had, like, video footage of soldiers coming back wounded and stuff, and you had a lot of college kids protesting that. For Iraq, that might have been the first time we had, like, embedded units where we were getting, like, reports, like, on the ground and video footage and everything, and now we're seeing, 4K drone high-def footage of people blowing each other up in Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Israel. I do agree the information is increasing. The one thing I guess I don't like or that I'm confused about when it comes to college stuff, when I look at, like, kids who are 18 to 22, aren't you supposed to be, like, kind of stupid? Isn't that, like, the time of your life to be crazy? Because if I talk to some, like, 20-year-old kid and I was like, tell me about your political outlook, and he's like, well, I'm a strong supporter of institutions and fiscal responsibility. I'm like, God damn, this is the most boring fucking household ever, right? Like, aren't I always, like, crazy? Isn't that normal?
Well, Kamala Harris said the same thing about college kids being stupid, and look what happened to her. She didn't get elected, right? College kids are not stupid. They're in school for a reason. You know who's stupid? People sitting out on drugs, doing crime. They're stupid. College kids are in an age of where they're learning, and they're trying to grow into people who can like facilitate the continued prosperity of this country. The problem is we're not giving them a chance to learn through experience what older people like their parents already know.
What do you think is, so I do agree that college kids, for demographic reasons, and like if you're going to college, you're probably a little bit more intelligent. You go there to get more intelligent. Like I agree with that. Have you ever played like board games or whatever?
Have I ever played board games?
Well, there's sometimes people are making like role-playing games. They've got like intelligence and you got like wisdom.
Right,
Some people might call it, like street smarts or book smarts or whatever. However people are life experience, common sense versus, knowing things. Like college kids can be smart, but oh my God, they can also be fucking stupid, right? Like you'll see like a guy who's 22, graduating college, maybe 21 early, like drunk driving or making the dumbest decision ever for the first time, crashes his car, gets his girlfriend pregnant, whatever stuff. Because like, man, their kids are dumb, they make dumb mistakes, they do that, it'll happen. There's no way, like part of the learning experience is making those mistakes and being crazy and being cringe, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's not stupid. He was that age at one point, and he created $1 billion company. The more access you have to information, the less ignorant you are of what's going on. I could see the college kid, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something, like back in those days, yeah, you kind of were expected to be a little bit dumb and gullible. But now people have information, they have answers to things at the touch of a button. I don't think they're as ignorant or as stupid as we would like them to be.
But I mean, like
I think the Democrats banked on that, and it like blew up in their face. And I think that's one of the hypocritical aspects of the far left, is that they expect everyone to be so dumb that they don't actually think, about the issues that they're expected to go vote on. And they just take somebody like Maxine Waters' word for it, somebody like Kamala Harris. Like, I don't think Kamala Harris is smarter than the average 21-year-old college student, honestly.
I think
they can string a sentence together. She can't.
Kamala Harris, if she can't string a sentence together, I have no idea how much you're paying for Trump translations, because there's no way you can understand anything that guy's saying. But like, okay, but let me just back up one more time to this, and then we can move on to the next thing. Do you have any kids?
Yeah.
You ever
Do
have,
you?
You ever have somebody who doesn't have kids try to tell you how to be a parent?
Here's the real question.
Yeah.
Do they?
No. Well, most of them probably don't.
So-
but I'm just saying that, like, no matter how smart somebody is, every parent's had that experience where somebody who doesn't have kids is there telling them, what they're doing. And it's not about them being smart or stupid or whatever. It's just they don't have the experience, the lived experience, right?
This is why your premise is totally bad faith, because your audience is a bunch of people who don't deal with the everyday struggles that you and I deal with. So you can talk. Hold on. You can talk to them. Listen, do you know how much I care about an illegal criminal alien immigrant when my daughter says, "Hey, Dad, I need $4,000 for club volleyball"? I'm like, I don't care about that. This is my issue that I have to deal with today. And when they have kids and they have to deal with paying for daycare, feeding those kids, providing a place for those kids to live, they're gonna care a lot less about some guy in El Salvador getting due process when he's a criminal and he should be deported immediately.
It depends on what your lived experience is, though, right?
No.
Like when I was growing up, okay, there were family members of mine that were criminal illegal immigrants, because half of my family comes from Cuba. But now the difference is my mom loves the illegal immigrants from Cuba. She doesn't like the ones from South America or from Mexico.
Cubans traditionally hate illegals.
Well, once they're here, they do.
Of course, that's the way it's supposed to be.
I'm just saying, you can't say, you want to say Cubans hate illegals. They all wanted Elian Gonzalez to stay when he floated over.
He was legal.
No, he wasn't. They caught him they were illegally immigrating. Wait. They were immigrating illegally.
Okay. But did he touch the soil?
So do asylum seekers.
No. You're being disingenuous. There was a law where Cuban immigrants.
Yes, we had a wet foot, dry foot. I understand.
So let what's his name? Elian Gonzalez. Hey, let him stay. I want him to stay because that was the law of the land. So that's the difference.
But we're not talking about just what the we're not talking about just what the law is. I'm just saying that people can have different.
We're not talking about the laws.
We're not talking about just what the law is.
Oh, just what the law is.
No.
Well, that's what I live my life based on.
Well, we can change the laws, right?
You can, so go vote. Stop complaining.
We can do both. I have a First Amendment and the right to vote. But I'm just saying it's interesting to give so much credence to Cuban immigrants, but not to people from Mexico or South America.
Don't love them as much.
Why?
Because the Cubans believe what I believe. And they
So do a
understand
lot of
what I
Mexican
understand.
immigrants and everything too.
And I love those Mexican legal citizens.
Sure,
But as far as the illegal immigrants, ship them back.
Sure. Okay, that's a perspective.
This is a very simple thing to understand.
Well, it's not as simple. It's a complicated conversation,
It's
right?
really not.
If it was so simple, then Trump wouldn't have failed miserably in it for his first 4 years, and we wouldn't go these 4 years without him also failing miserably in it. By the end of these 4 years, Trump will not have any immigration legislation, number one, and he won't deport more than 1 million or 2 million people, number two. I guarantee you by the end of these 4 years.
That's totally fine. So why are you guys using that as a political talking point? If
Well,
Trump
I'm not.
has-
You wanted to bring it to
what
legal
you're-
immigration, so that's what we're
What
talking
you're
about.
actually afraid of is that what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with Kamala Harris during the campaign. Trump came up with a good idea that gained a lot of traction when it came to getting votes, and Kamala Harris jumped on it. No tax on tips. You're afraid that the Democrats will adopt Trump's policies because they are the policies that resonate with voters. So you have to take the college kids, the people with no real responsibility yet. I'm not trying to devalue you guys' experience. I'm just telling you, have you ever looked at a freaking mortgage that was like $5,000? Have you ever? Most people have not at this stage
Yeah, but
in their
people
life.
aren't voting all the
And
time
that's
on
when you get 'em
wisdom. I
young.
saw Republicans celebrating the fact that they were going to have a tax deduction on the interest rate that you pay on a car loan.
I saw you
None of
guys
these people have
celebrate-
any idea what this even means, but they were celebrating it. So the idea that people have some nuanced understanding of tax brackets.
Republicans celebrate a tax on car loan. I saw you guys celebrate some dude getting shot in the neck and make a joke and laugh about it.
What-
Which one is worse?
I would say the one that's worse is the president tweeting videos of Venezuelans getting
The
blown
one
up in the
that-
ocean. Wait, do you acknowledge that if celebrating the Charlie Kirk thing is bad, the Venezuelan thing is real bad?
The Venezuelan issue, why is that bad for me as an American?
Wait, do you not care when other people are killed?
Do you know that people in other countries don't give a damn about what happens to you in America?
I don't
Have you
care.
been
This
around the
is
world,
our
Destiny?
government. Yes, I have. This is our government blowing up other people. Why am I not allowed to care about
Okay,
that?
But you care about the government and what they do when it's something you don't like. But when when the leadership of the government is duly elected, you go and you tear at the validity of it as if like you don't respect the government. So why care about what they're doing?
If Biden was also
Overthrow it with
no,
the
if
insurrection
Biden,
like
if
January
Biden, yeah, I
6th.
know you guys tried that and failed once. If
I know.
Biden was doing this, if
We
Biden
failed.
was doing it, I would criticize Biden as well. I know it's inconceivable to MAGA sometimes. You could hold your own accountable because you guys are incapable of doing it. But when Biden does bad things, I'll criticize Biden for doing bad
Can you
things.
answer one question for me?
Sure.
Who's sitting in the White House?
Right now, probably Stephen Miller.
So
What do you mean?
go on. So clearly we didn't fail. We were pissed off. We went down.
Wait, what is this? The conversation is not about who won the election.
Why
You guys
not?
are the ones that don't believe election
Your
results.
whole
I do believe the election results.
Your whole existence is about who won the election. This whole event is about
No,
who won the election.
we're having a conversation about policy and leadership right now, right?
We are, because I said the hypocrisy, and you're showing that hypocrisy.
What is
What's
the
price of-
hypocrisy?
Look, you have a kid, I have a kid. What's the price of eggs right now?
I don't know. I'm rich.
That's something that Yes. So give me some money. If
You know
we're-
what I do know
this-
is that the price of groceries as a whole has gone up over the last year, and no conservatives talking about it. Explain that one for
Hey,
me.
you know, I've been tracking that.
Okay.
We're living in inflationary times. If they
Oh,
could
now
take
they're
it
just
under
inflationary
Biden-
times.
Listen,
It's interesting that from 2020 to 2024, it was Biden's inflation. From
love it.
2024 to now, it just is a thing that happens.
it's directly connected to Biden's horrible management of the government, and Trump's gonna fix it. Let me say
What was
this.
the big thing? Wait, what do you think was the number one thing that contributed to inflation through Biden's presidency?
I believe that, well, one thing was killing a bunch of chickens due to some
Okay.
mysterious. Well, that was
strike
Biden's
one.
reason.
Try
That
something
was
else. Try something else.
that
What
was
did anything else happen?
Is that not? Is
Did
that
anything
not,
else happen?
Wait, before
Yeah.
we go forward, is that not the reason that Biden said the price of eggs went up? Because they had to kill a bunch of chickens.
For,
due to
at
some
one point in time, it
avian-
might have been, but that's not what we're talking about. For the majority of his presidency, especially in the beginning,
So,
and then 2022 onwards, where were these big inflation hikes coming from? What were the two huge events that happened?
What I believe was.
Do we not know?
No. Let me tell you. This is what my research that I did, because I'll be honest with you, I
Okay.
wasn't deep diving
That's
into
fine.
this because I was working to feed my family.
Okay.
Okay. But I believe the price of energy increased exponentially.
Okay.
And that creates it has a cascade effect. It raises the price of everything. Everything that has to be shipped. If you raise the price of energy, then everything that has to be shipped, the price will go up.
Okay. I'm about to do a magic trick. Ready?
We know you
about to do a magic trick. Ready?
Make that disappear for
So
all these
I'm
people.
curious. Why was the last year of Trump's presidency so horrible for the economy?
COVID. It was.
Okay. So the whole world economy is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
The government is having to keep things running in every country.
Mm-hmm.
Why can we blame COVID for Donald Trump's last year on COVID, but we can't also recognize the worldwide inflation that happened? Did Biden cause inflation in all the other countries too?
Biden caused inflation in America by locking everything down, bringing the American economy basically to a standstill. We should have kept doing. Let me tell you this: during COVID, right? I still could fly from America to Africa. I did it 4 times during COVID. American KLM was still flying in. The airports were still moving. Everybody's going everywhere. I could still walk into Costco, Ralph's, and Stater Brothers, but I couldn't go into a mom and pop store to buy something because they had to shut down due to COVID. I couldn't go to a restaurant, a small restaurant, while Gavin Newsom's restaurant, the French Laundry, stayed open. The small business is the engine of America. When you shut them down, you shut the economy down. Corporations don't employ more people than small businesses. So I like your question. I think it was asked in bad faith, but that's how Biden
I don't think my question was asked in bad faith. I'll also remark that it was interesting that you mentioned having to work through COVID to pay for your family, and the cost of eggs is important to you.
Oh, yeah.
But you know the name of an international airline, and you flew to Africa 4 times during COVID. I don't know where it,
Work hard.
working hard. Yeah, okay, but I'm just saying that everybody around the world was figuring out how to deal with COVID. There were a lot of shutdowns. There was a lot of worldwide there was a lot of inflation everywhere. It's just strange that, when I'm asking, like, well, why for Biden? What happened in the United States? Well, it was like the after effects of COVID was happening, right?
Biden came in immediately, signed a bunch of executive orders that halted our economy. And then
Things were already shutting down under Trump.
No, what? What was shutting down under Trump?
Everything.
No, don't say everything. Tell me what was
schools, businesses. I lived in California. Did you live here? Did you live in California?
Yes, I do. Schools are not business.
When COVID started, everything was shut down. I drove up and down the 5. I could go 10 miles in 10 minutes for the first time in my life in this state. Who remembers this? Everything was shut down. Hold on. I remember the lines outside the grocery store. I lived in Culver City. I remember the lines outside the grocery stores where everybody had to line up to get groceries. That was all of that under Trump.
Do you know why they had to line up?
Because Biden did it from the future? Was it the T-1000?
Because the small... No. That's because people were going in...
Under Trump.
No, but you know what was happening. People were fighting over
If
groceries.
Trump didn't shut down the economy, then why did COVID hurt his economy at all?
Okay, look, like I said, the whole... you asked me a question. Can I ask you a question?
You haven't answered any of my questions.
I really did.
Can we acknowledge that
I explained the thing about
all the
small
shutdowns
businesses.
and all that stuff happened? That was under Donald Trump.
No, that was not. I don't know.
He was the president in 2020.
What did Trump shut down? Please tell me.
All the states that shut down.
The states are sovereign. So
then why does Biden get blamed for anything?
Can I finish?
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I finish?
You can finish.
Okay. The blue states shut down, draconian lockdowns. The red states, most of them did not. So that's the sovereignty of the state. But when Biden came into office, Biden was putting the pressure on the states to shut down. He was putting the pressure on the businesses, on the states to lock down. So when the president says something, that gives validity to the illegal things that the states are doing. If Gavin Newsom is doing illegal shutdowns, if the president says, yeah, you should shut down, now it's easier for them to do because people look at
Then why didn't Donald Trump just tell all the states to open up?
He did.
No,
he was
didn't.
telling. He was encouraging them.
No, he wasn't. The United States declared a global. This was one of Trump's biggest. I know we forget because we like to wipe the past. Donald Trump's biggest accomplishments was him shutting down flights from China and recommending people, take precautionary measures. Everybody blamed Cuomo in New York for murdering all the old people by sending grandma to an old person's home or whatever.
But didn't the Democrats argue that Trump didn't shut down flights in time? That's how COVID got into America.
Sure, because you could argue that you could have made it earlier.
Hold on,
wait. I'm not. You're talking about what the Democrats said. I'm talking about factually what happened.
I'm bringing up what. Listen,
I'm just talking about what happened.
I was in Frankfurt Airport when Donald Trump shut down all flights coming from Europe into the United States, and I watched as airlines flew people into Canada, and they went around Trump's rule.
Okay, so if Donald Trump was shutting down flights, wouldn't you say that counts as pressure to shut down the economy?
Because the Democrats were they were on one side. Okay, so on one hand, you want the flight shut down.
We're not talking about what I want. I'm just talking about what happened.
No, I'm talking about the hive mind.
You're talking about anything but what would give Trump accountability for anything.
You guys all think the same, so I'm just addressing you as general.
You said we all think the same. I literally predicted like 2 of your answers so far.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Should Trump have shut it down, or should Trump have left it open?
I don't know what Trump necessarily should have done.
that's why I said it's
Let me
bad- it's
finish.
bad faith. It's
Can I
bad
finish my? Can I let you finish?
I don't know.
I don't know what the answer should have been, but I know what the process should have looked
What
like.
would you have done?
The process should have been him conferring with the National Institute of Health and CDC, and him conferring with the state governments to put together some kind of comprehensive guidelines for the whole country, instead of hanging out Fauci to dry, watching the CDC and the NIH issue some kind of guidelines, and then whenever anything didn't go perfectly as planned, him lobbing grenades from the side like a loser, blaming everybody else for all of his problems.
We're not going to disrespect the president. We all watched the video. We all watched the video of Anthony Fauci saying, "Oh, COVID-19 is not a big deal. You get a little flu. You might have a little cough, sneeze, whatever."
That was Trump.
That was
When
no.
Donald Trump.
There is a video. I watched it with my own eyes. Fauci dismissed COVID as a very minor thing. Later on, and Trump went with Fauci's advice. Then when they start saying, then all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, he should have shut this down and shut that down." I saw the trick. I saw how they went from saying it wasn't a big thing to worry about, and then all of a sudden it was the worst thing ever. But what I'm telling you is the arguments are in bad faith. Everything in this movement is built on inclusivity, equity, and justice, all this crap, right? But my thing is this: if we want inclusive, like, would you guys agree you want inclusivity and equity and all that? You guys don't want that.
Not anymore.
Do you guys want? I'm asking this question. I'm asking this question sincerely. This isn't good. Do they believe in that? Do you guys believe in that? Inclusivity, equity?
The problem is, like,
No,
this
I'm
conversation has pivoted to a DEI question after your president killed
This
like
is
a
what
million
they
plus
believe in.
Americans, killed a million plus Americans by telling them not to get vaccinated
here
because nobody had any idea what was going on in this country, what was going on with our health, what was going on with anything, because of all the lies and misinformation and crazy stuff that was being put out.
So you don't know what Trump should have done, but you criticize what he did. And what I do, because this is how my parents raised me, I put myself in that person's shoes.
I told you what the process should have looked like. I don't know what the correct answer
I'm
was.
asking you, what would you have done?
I just told you.
No, you didn't.
You bring your cabinet, your leaders together, you make a comprehensive plan, you get all the governors on board with it, and then you have a unified plan from top to bottom for how you want to approach the country shutdown.
How do you do that when you have a two-party system where one side is vehemently opposed to working with you on anything? And I'm not saying...
Hold on, wait, excuse me. First of all, Donald Trump billed himself as the negotiator.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, you want to talk about a party that was opposed to everything. Seems like Biden had no problem bringing Republicans in to work on his legislation. When McConnell was the leader of the Senate, he said that he was going to make Obama a one-term president and shut down every piece of legislation that came across his desk.
Right.
So who's working with who here?
I think that there's room for bipartisanship. I do not believe that the Democrats were working in good faith with Trump because they were not happy that an outsider actually achieved the office of president like Trump did. They literally blocked Trump on so many different things. They basically were doing the same thing to Trump that you said was being done to Biden.
I don't even want to know what you're implying.
Okay, yeah.
The same.
So this is the thing.
When I'm saying, first of all, Trump is not an outsider. Also, so
He's
Wharton
an
graduate,
outsider. He was not a
billionaire guy,
politician.
real estate investor.
He wasn't a politician.
So I mean, I don't know. Reagan initially wasn't a politician. What do you mean? Arnold
That's-
Schwarzenegger was an actor. He made
Some of the best. The best
I think
were all
people,
outsiders.
when I see a guy who's being an asshole, I think people probably don't like him because he's an asshole.
What does being an asshole have to do with anything?
With whether or not people like
Are
you?
you not going to go to work because your boss is an asshole?
There's a lot of people that quit their job because they hate their boss. Yeah. What do you mean?
Those people are idiots. But what I'm telling you is, this is more like the lane that I argue in. Reality. You're arguing feelings, subjective crap that doesn't mean anything. Objectivity. If I want to argue something, objective. This is about inclusivity, equity, all that stuff.
Okay, if you want to argue,
why did you guys have to pay? If it's all about inclusivity and equity, we could have did this in the park with an iPhone.
if you want to talk about
You
facts,
should donate your
if
money
you
to
wanna
their
talk-
colleges,
If
like
you want to
scholarship.
talk, if you want to
I
talk,
think you should donate the
if you want
proceeds
to talk,
of this event to
right now
their
I'm donating
education.
my money and my taxes so we can pay for a Venezuelan bailout.
Will
That's
you-
what we're doing right now,
will-
or
listen,
Argentinian bailout.
listen.
I don't even know who we're bailing out
Listen,
right now. Okay.
you would like what?
So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm subsidizing all of the meth
Can I
head
make
measles
one
infected red states
May
right
I
now.
please-
That's where my tax money is going. Okay. I don't have any extra money
May I
right now to
please make
donate.
one
Okay.
statement?
What?
May I please make one statement?
Go ahead.
And I'll get off stage.
No, wait, hold on, wait.
I'll
I
stay
have more
here, I'll
questions.
stay.
Why, if you want to talk about facts over feelings,
Let me get one
why
thing.
is it that when we ask about Trump's leadership through COVID, we have a million excuses for?
I don't have any excuses.
So he failed.
I'm not going to say he failed. I think he dealt with... No, listen. How can someone who admitted that they don't know what they would have done and they don't know what he should have
I
done...
wasn't the president.
That's the point. It is something that has... This is something that in our lifetime has never occurred.
Yeah, these are the Democrat arguments for why people were shutting down and people didn't know how long the economy should stay closed for and what the stimulus should look like.
Anybody can armchair.
Did Trump make any mistakes during COVID?
Look.
Did Trump make a single mistake during COVID?
Let me think. Did January 6th happen during COVID?
Maybe, yeah.
He should have never conceded the election. He should have just freaking cast. That was his only mistake. Now can I ask my question?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. All I'm saying is, will you, since we're all about flowers and equality and everybody get free stuff, people will argue for illegal criminal alien migrants to come live off the American dime, right? You want to give my taxpayer dollars to them. Will you give the proceeds from this event to these kids for whatever they want, just to make their life a little bit more equal to yours and mine, since we're doing so well?
I've never advocated for that. What are
I'm
you
just
talking
asking.
about? Well, there's no advocation for this.
So you don't want equity and economic equity?
Do you support Chicago police fighting back against ICE?
No.
Okay, so then you don't believe in the Second Amendment or the state's rights to have a militia.
No, that's not a militia.
That's
though.
literally what the
That's not
militia
a
is.
militia.
The whole reason the Second Amendment exists was for the states to protect themselves from a tyrannical government.
Are you really gonna try to conflate a paramilitary group, which is police?
The Chicago police?
The police department
is paramilitary, but the guys coming from the Black Hawk choppers with the masks who are...
Dude, these guys have tanks. There are police departments with tanks. No, there's not.
Paramilitaries have tanks. What are you talking about? What does that have to do with
There
anything?
are police departments with tanks.
Well, so? Yeah, they get it from the military.
That makes them paramilitary. What I'm telling you is this. That is not a militia. The law enforcement's job is to uphold and defend the Constitution. That's what their job is.
To enforce their
When
state
they're
laws.
fighting against
to
the
enforce
federal,
their state laws.
Listen,
state sovereignty doesn't matter
when
now
they're-
to conservatives?
You're conflating two different things.
I'm not conflating anything.
You kind of just going off of an emotional thing.
I'm not going off an emotional. I'm going
You
off a
really
legal
are.
thing. You're going off of emotions. You think
The-
cops are there to
the
make you
go-
feel
the
good.
federal
State
government-
police are there
the
for state
federal-
laws. Local police are for local laws. The federal government is there
The
for federal laws.
government trumps, no pun intended, any local law enforcement.
If they trump any local
Is
law
that
enforcement, well, you tell me. Why did Trump allow half the country to close then under COVID?
Huh?
Why
You're
did Trump allow
moving
half
the goalposts, Destiny.
I'm not moving the
doing that
goalposts.
with
The
you.
president has that
I'm
much
not doing
control
that
over
with you.
everything.
I'm not
Then
doing
why
that
did
with
Trump
you.
allow half the country to close under COVID?
Someone may want to do that with you, but I'm not doing it. Are we talking about the police departments committing treason against the federal
They're not
government?
committing to. They have no
That's
obligation.
exactly what they're
They
doing.
don't have
do.
obligation to enforce federal
They
law.
took an oath to defend the Constitution
There's-
and the
it's-
citizens under their care.
The police force is there to enforce the laws that they have jurisdiction
Right.
over.
But
not federal laws.
But the police forces are abandoning their responsibility, like
not
in
abandoning.
Portland.
They don't have an obligation
Come on,
to do
man.
that.
When you call the police in Portland, they don't show up for 3 hours. Someone got knocked unconscious the other day in Portland. The ICE agents had to come get that guy off the street and bring him in for medical care.
Yeah, there was a lady that got shot and killed by the feds in the Capitol building
Those
on
things happen.
January 6th when Trump refused to send anybody there.
She shouldn't have been trying to break into Congress.
Sure, but Trump also probably shouldn't have told them all to go there, right?
Hey, he did tell him to go peacefully.
No, he said they
And
would be marching peacefully. He also
patriotically.
don't fight like hell or they're going to lose their country. And that's what they went and did.
Hey, I saw you lose this argument on
I
Jubilee.
didn't lose
don't
this
wanna
argument. I won
rehash
it
this
completely.
out
It's
again,
completely 100%. I know
listen,
every part of that argument.
Trump
Trust
said
me.
peacefully and patriotically.
Trump said fight like hell or you'll lose your country. If he said peacefully and patriotically, how does so many people misunderstand him?
So anytime you,
Is he a bad communicator too?
Listen, I heard Hillary Clinton say, "I'm a fighter." Kamala Harris said, "I'm a fighter." Neither one of these women have ever.
How many people do you see
have
fighting
ever
in the
thrown a
street
punch.
with Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris banners?
Dude, I saw a kook on the freeway earlier. Biden Harris and Harris Walls on the freaking bumper sticker with all these other cat stickers.
These are car driving.
These are. How did they get?
This is
a
like the
license?
conservative machine
How
right
did they
here.
get a
This is your
license?
problem.
Yes.
Is the bumper stickers.
Yes,
That's what's
yes.
driving you crazy.
I'm just listen, Destiny. I'm a common man, and my concern.
You had 4 trips to Africa over COVID. What kind of
What can I
common
say?
man?
Very common. I'm a common man. I have my concerns are those of a common man. Arguing all these different issues, it means nothing to me.
Not compared to DEI?
How do I feed my family? And are you going to give the proceeds from this event to these beautiful people who showed up? I
After
don't
you
think they got the
defend-
show they wanted because those first 3 guys
After
were
you
terrible.
defend states' rights to defend themselves
Let's
from a
have
tyrannical
equality.
federal government.
How about this, guys? How about I'll give you everything in my pocket. You guys divide it up immediately. Destiny donates the proceeds of this event to you guys equally.
All right, final.
I think that's a good idea.
Brandon gets the final word there. Brandon gets the final word. What do you got?
My final word is this, guys. Just wait a little while. Don't be so. Listen. Don't be so hyped up over what's happening even now. In 3 years, Donald Trump's going to be gone, and you're going to have to make a very important decision about the future of this country. I would start preparing to make the right decision about that instead of complaining about something you can't change. Trump will be president for the next 3 years, whether you like it or not. In 4 years, a lot changes. A lot of you will have families, maybe kids, whatever that you want or you don't want. When you start having those type of responsibilities, your entire perspective is going to change. Mine did as I got older. I would not hang my hat on this crap because you're going to inherit this country and your children will inherit it from you. Don't create a situation that they can't come back from. And I think that's what we're at risk at with this type of rhetoric. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Put your hands together for Brandon. He had a really good run. All right. Wow.
What do you got for me? Are you a Trump guy?
I am a Trump guy.
Ooh.
Well,
Okay.
I voted for Trump. Not going to defend everything, but
3 times or?
yeah, 3 times. No,
Okay.
no. Basically, my first question is why?
Wait.
Yeah,
Can I ask how old you are real quick?
I'm 26.
Okay. All right. Just curious. Okay, go ahead.
My first question is why is it incumbent on Trump to come out and condemn all political violence post Charlie Kirk assassination?
I feel like there's like a basic like humanity thing that I think every human being should have like an instinct when they see violence and like a healthy environment to want to discourage it as much as possible. I think that when people are calling for violence or when people seem to be okay with violence, I think it says something about what their political goals are or what their goals in general are, or what their morality is. I mean, Donald Trump is the de facto and de jure head and leader of the nation, the head and leader of the Republican Party. And I mean, I guess it's controversial to say this, but like, I mean, a lot of political violence comes from the right, or is at least happening to the right. So it just seems, it seems morally deficient and character deficient for him to not seem to want to make statements to bring the temperature of the country down like Biden would.
But then I would just say that your reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination wasn't necessarily human either. There wasn't a human element there either. So
I feel like there was a very human element to my reaction. What like it's pretty not too common that you watch people that you've ever like interacted with get killed before, and then the idea that you would be in similar situations potentially, I think is kind of unnerving. I think it's fair for me to say that when this happens in my country, and then the next day I see the president of the United States just saying unhinged statement after unhinged statement after unhinged statement, I think it's fair for me to look at more than just kind of like the virtue signal position and try to think more strategically of like what needs to happen to actually make the country a calmer place. Because so far, Democrats disavowing violence over and over again hasn't seemed to work.
that's my point, is that it seemed like you were setting up some kind of rule where it's like before you make any principled statement, you have to say, or you have to hear it from Trump first, and I don't think that's a requirement. That wouldn't be my rule, basically. Like, I think you could just have a principled statement. I mean, I understand the prisoner dilemma stuff, but like, you could just have a principled statement. And I think not everyone, the culture isn't necessarily run by the president. I think nowadays it's run by online media, and I think you're the biggest influencer on online media.
You don't think
So
Trump is
that's
a big
why-
influence in online
that's
media?
why I'm looking to you.
Okay.
That's why I'm looking to you. That's my rule of you should come out, especially if it's done by a lefty, you know, like the Charlie Kirk assassination.
I don't know if that guy was a lefty or not, right?
I think there's pretty solid evidence.
I think there's zero evidence so far that he was a
Zero
lefty,
evidence?
right?
Like, well, I mean, what do you think about the bullet engravings?
I mean, all of them so far seem to be Epic Gamer references or whatever.
what is that supposed to mean? Or like,
They're just like they come
that
from
could
games
still-
and TV shows and stuff.
that could still indicate a leaning, though.
It could.
That
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's impossible that he was left leaning. I'm just saying there's not really any good evidence of it right now.
Okay, but like probably more, I think good enough evidence. Like you wouldn't bite the bullet and just say that he's probably a lefty.
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't?
I just don't think there's great evidence. I think right now,
If he's trying to take out one of the conservatives' top guys, what would be the reason for that?
I mean, he
if
could have
wasn't.
he could have been like a closeted gay guy who just hated the fact that like he was anti-gay, like he lived with a trans roommate and everything. He could have just hated, political people in general. He could have been trying to impress somebody. I don't know. Apparently, one of the Reagan assassins, or wannabe assassins, tried to do this. Like there are a lot of potential explanations. Whatever the explanation is, it could be an exceptional explanation because it's an exceptional event. But I'm just saying, there's not solid evidence where it's like, oh, this guy's definitely radicalized by the left, right?
But that doesn't outweigh, I think, the bullet engravings. Like, he didn't have to do that. He's doing that so people can know. He's claiming it. He's openly claiming it. So it's like that.
If he was, then
whatever
why would
that
there be any ambiguity at all, right? Like, there's no Discord logs of him being super left. There's no public statement of him being super left. Whatever the note was that supposedly there was a picture of, I guess, that wasn't anything super left. None of the text messages indicated he was super left. Like, he didn't make... His mom, who's super MAGA, my mom says I'm super left, okay? No offense, but...
I mean, I think that could just be like a coded, edgy thing to do.
Yeah, but
And,
how
like,
stupid would it be to
how
do a
much-
coded message when you're trying to make a statement to the world that you're doing a political assassination?
Well, like you're saying like you have to have 100% evidence.
I'm saying
in order
like
for
having
that to-
10% would be
in
nice.
order for that to outweigh the evidence that he's not.
No,
Which
I think
was
I'm think in a less charged environment, I'm taking I'm just looking at all the facts. It is weird that like if you look through this guy's history, if you look through his roommate's history, they look like aggressively normal people. Like their whole history is like so normal in terms of like comments online and everything. And that's really weird. Normally you see like really radical stuff. But like unlike the other side, because conservatives don't do this, I extend the same courtesy to, the I think the trans church shooter. No, I don't think it was.
I don't know that one.
It was
but-
either them or somebody else made a statement, or they said something like they supported Brandon Herrera or something. Did anybody remember this? It was a church person, yeah. But like looking at the context of everything, that person was like, "This is a meme statement. This person's not actually like a supporter of this guy, or if he is, it's like for non-related reasons, right?" So like I extend the same thing there. I'm not gonna say like, "Oh, this guy was 100%, a right-wing radicalized by Brandon Herrera person." I'm just saying like in the totality of things, like this shooter for Charlie Kirk, there's like nothing. There's not much here besides our bullet writings in terms of.
Well, I don't know that specific situation, but if you wanted to go to the Hortmans, I would say he has more evidence of being a left winger than the Hortman shooter was of being a right winger.
Why didn't the Hortman person like literally have a list of Democrats that they wanted to go and kill?
He also had the No Kings protest flyers there as well. So I'm like, I don't really know what to weigh. It seemed like he was more in a mentally unstable position than.
It seemed pretty like
than
driven and on
what
a
you're
mission.
saying
No?
the Kirk shooter was.
I don't think there's any evidence for either of these guys being like I'm saying crazy, very specifically like psychotic or delusional or something. Like hearing voices or something. Like I think they both did what they did for probably like logical reasons, like they could explain them from start to finish. I don't obviously support. I don't think it's good.
But I mean, the crux of it is you think. The turning down of the rhetoric should come from the president in your mind. In my mind, I think it should come from online media influencers because they are influencing the culture. And
yeah, but everybody on the right takes notes from Trump.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the right takes notes from Trump.
Everybody takes notes from Trump.
What do you mean? Like
on everything? Epstein.
Let me explain. So like
okay.
The online media culture, I think the people online, the young men online, were doing the work for Trump. No matter what he said, we were doing the work to get him elected, and that's really what won him the election was the online media and the rise of independent media, online media, not necessarily politicians. It's why Trump can say crazy things and Biden can be, senile, and it doesn't matter to people.
But I think it does matter. I think it says something that when Trump says crazy things, people go out and do crazy shit. Like nobody's citing Biden.
We'll trace that though. Like what has he said that has led to someone doing something?
Well, like he said, the 2020 election was rigged. He said that mail-in ballots were fake. He brought a ton of people to the Capitol. They went and did some crazy shit. There was the recent guy who, the kid who live streamed himself running over those two girls, who followed like a ton of like Trump and Charlie Kirk shit. And he said that these two girls were like making fun of Charlie Kirk's death. In terms of like,
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I know that's always a secret defense.
No, I really don't. Seriously, I don't know about that one.
I understand, but I feel like that's a big part of the problem. I feel like conservatives only ever hear about the things that like are the most relevant to them, and then
no, like I'm online, I'm on Twitter every day. I watch like a lot of video. I watch like a lot of videos.
I understand.
Everyone here is
but I'm
probably
saying
on
that
Twitter,
like if
too.
I were to like say that like I'm on Twitter every day, like we're seeing different things unless we're going out explicitly looking for contradictory evidence, right?
I'm talking like the big name stories. Like my first example was a Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah, but the big name stories are what conservatives
And
want
the
to be the big name stories, right?
Maybe. Like I don't know.
Do you agree
What's
that it was?
supposed to mean?
So I would say that it was unacceptable. I would say this is an instantaneous impeachment, like exile from the country moment. When Donald Trump was asked by, is it Caitlin Collins? Is that her name?
I don't.
Yes.
I don't know
When
who
she
that
was
is.
I think it was her that asked the question. Well, she said, you wanted to lower the flag to half staff for Charlie Kirk. Do you think in retrospect that it's kind of in poor taste that you didn't do this for the Hortmans when they were killed in Minnesota and Trump didn't even know about it? Like that seems exceptionally crazy to me, no?
And Trump did. This is my first time hearing this.
I
story.
know.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Stop.
Yeah.
Calm down. You fuckers don't know about shit unless I watch on stream either, okay? So fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. I know how this shit works, okay?
So I just don't feel comfortable commenting on something I don't really know the whole the case for. You know
Let's assume that was true. Would that be a disgraceful, disgusting moment?
that he didn't lower at half mast.
No, that he didn't even acknowledge that he knew about it. He was like, I don't know, who's that?
That would be bad. That would be bad. But like,
Did you ever see the video after the shooting happened where somebody asked him outside the plane? They were like, "Are you going to call, Tim Walz and talk to him?" And he was like, "That guy's a whack job or whatever. I'm not going to call him or say anything."
No.
Okay. If he did
I've
say
never-
that,
I've
that
never
would be
seen-
kind of bad too, though, right?
I that was too fast. I didn't.
If he did say
comprehend
that,
what
though,
you
that
said.
would be bad, right?
What did you say? I didn't
That
comprehend
when
what
he
you
was
said.
asked, I think outside of Air Force One, they were like, "Are you going to call Tim Walz or have a conversation or reach out to the governor of Minnesota or anything?" And Trump was like, "That Walz is a whack job. I'm not going to talk to him. Whatever."
Yeah. That I would say that's bad.
bad?
I would say that's
Okay.
bad. But
And then just
since
real quick, and
we're
then
going-
and then you go to your point.
yeah.
Would you say that those two things together, those two things together are worse than anything that Biden has said in the totality of his presidency about Republicans, or any individual instance of violence ever, and you can include Obama there too, and Clinton, and the other.
I don't know if I would say that. I would
Like,
have
can you
to-
think
I would
of
have
one
to go
worse?
back-
Yeah, just think of one. Maybe not off the top of your head, you can't. But like, can you think of one
Yeah.
worse? Like, what's the worst thing that like Biden ever said about a?
Well, I'm not like necessarily like a huge Biden critic or anything. I'm just saying like I know he was escalating rhetoric towards conservatives. Saying
Biden was.
yeah, like what was it?
You're gonna bring up the
Not-
speech.
Oh yeah. It's probably the speech. What was that after? Do you remember?
The MAGA Republicans ones that they're a threat to the country.
I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about.
Is
at
it the
this
one
point.
with the red background where he looks like Darth Vader?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is the red background. It is the red background.
So in that speech, like right after he says that, so Republicans always quote that one line, but he says, "I don't think that all Republicans are MAGA Republicans. I don't even think most of them are. I've worked with a lot of them in Congress, blah, blah, blah." But the thing that he's talking about, and I don't know how else he's supposed to address this, is the fact that the majority of the Republican Party still didn't believe the results of the last election. So when he says that, like, this is a threat to the country,
and they're allowed to They're allowed to believe that. They're allowed to.
I mean,
People are allowed to. Yeah, they're allowed to believe that.
well, no, hold on. I'm just.
What do you mean when I don't have to respond to this? But what do you mean? Do I believe it or not?
No, I didn't ask if you believe it. I'm just saying that, like, well, if people are allowed to believe that, then that means that Biden should be allowed to believe that they're a threat to the country, right?
If people
are allowed to
Yeah,
believe that the election
he's allowed to believe it. I'm just using this as an example of him inciting rhetoric, which is kind of a liberal talking point of like, let's focus on who's inciting the rhetoric. And so I'm analyzing who's inciting the rhetoric, and we keep pointing at instances before the Kirk assassination, and before that happened was the Trump assassination attempts. And I remember your rhetoric on this too. And so
that guy
I think
was also
that's
a
pretty
registered Republican, right?
damning. That guy was a registered Republican?
Both of them were, right?
Well, I don't know if that necessarily matters actually.
Well,
Like,
but if they were a registered left-leaning person, do you think that would matter? If they were
no,
a registered Democrat?
I think it's enough evidence to say if they're taking out one of the top guys or the president, that means they don't like him.
Well, what about the evidence that
And
the
we live
guy?
in a
What about
two-party
the
system.
assassin for the Hortmans? That wasn't enough evidence there that person and the list of all the other
I'm not
Democrats.
saying there is evidence there. We're working with two different rules. You're
Sure.
saying we should demand that the presidents denounce political violence or condemn it on the world stage. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
we should condemn online media influencers because they're in charge of the culture now.
Yeah, but I think the
which
right
has a
takes
big
their notes
impact.
from Trump.
I'm just going to disagree with that.
Can you give me any examples where there are huge
They don't take notes from Trump. Like
when
the
Trump says
right-wing
something, they'll always
culture
defend
was
it.
built independently, which resulted in Trump getting elected.
Yeah, but now Trump works with it, and there's like a top-down like structure where when Trump says something, everyone else is saying it, and everybody supports it.
Like presidents can influence culture from the top down, but it's mostly just in terms of we have the authority to enforce what the culture is saying.
Well, then why did all Republicans seem to not care as much about the Epstein files?
I don't know how that's related.
Well, because if that's what that seemed like they really cared about it for a while, but why did they stop? It's because Trump told them to stop because he said it was a loser issue, and then everybody took notes from him, and eventually that's cascaded through the party. And
my
that's
whole point is like you can condemn individual Republicans for not if they were big on Epstein files, and then that changed because they didn't want it to get found out. I think you can criticize individuals there. That's my whole paradigm is like we shouldn't be holding people responsible. We should just hold the people. I mean, the only people responsible would be the online media influencers for the culture and the rhetoric. But like you could just criticize individuals. You could criticize Charlie Kirk for what he said. It doesn't matter.
But I don't understand why we think that like the president of the United States can't have a large influence on the culture.
No, I'm not saying he can't.
Then shouldn't he be
I'm just
disavowing
saying
violence?
nowadays, which is different than history, it's the culture is run independently. It's through independent media.
Okay, I disagree, but we don't even have to agree on that point. Shouldn't Trump disavow violence?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's a moral failing of his to not disavow violence.
Yep.
And it's a greater moral failing for him to say that violence on his side is somewhat justified.
Violence on his side is somewhat. I don't know about that.
So when he was on Fox and Friends, they asked him about like violence on the left or the radical violence, and he says that when it was something I'm paraphrasing, but he says like when the leftists do radical violence, it's like Trans-Tifa or whatever stuff, but when the right does radical violence, it's in response to the left being crazy. So like, in a way, he made it sound like right-wing radical violence was righteous, and left.
I kind of believe that. I kind of agree with that. Like when we trace it back, and I've been following you a long time. I've been following politics a long time. When we trace it back, the first instance for me of like excusing political violence on a big scale was BLM Antifa, and that happened before J6. That happened before J6. So I'm like, I saw a ton of people excusing it, bailout funds for the rioters, and someone at the end of it, towards the end of it, someone was shot in cold blood. A conservative was shot in cold blood about that, and there wasn't any denouncing of violence there. So it is important to go
Also,
to
I feel like-
the first infraction. I'm curious to know what your first infraction.
Well, probably shots fired in the Revolutionary War or something. I mean, like, there's been violence for a lot of U.S. history, right?
Yeah.
But I'm when I look at the BLM stuff, I feel like there's a difference in that a lot of this is like decentralized. It sucks because conservatives make so many excuses for Trump because of COVID, but they never make excuses for Democrats on COVID, which is whatever, I guess. But like everybody was crazy around the fucking BLM riot time, right? Everybody's inside. We all watched George Floyd die for 9 minutes and just people fucking lose their minds. I think a lot of the BLM like rioting stuff, I think was bad. Destroying neighborhoods, all this shit, I think is always bad. I think Democrats paid electoral prices for it, and I think a lot of them, when Biden came into office, he had to denounce and say that like violence is unacceptable, guys. We can't riot. It's not okay.
But why do you think it's important to say on both sides if we know where the side that it came from?
Well, because violence does come from the right, and we should all want.
But I'm asking you for the first example where it came from the right that was before BLM Antifa.
What do you mean?
The first example of like political violence that came from the right that was before BLM Antifa. You know, like in my lifetime.
What about it? Or are you asking for like an example of it?
Because you get into a revenge cycle. The first time that infraction's made and politicians don't denounce it and everyone supports it, and we can get into BLM Antifa, but like the first time that's made, then the other side has the prisoner's dilemma of like, okay, well, we can't just be condemning, our sides.
But the Democrats have been condemning their side over and over again, and everybody.
Well, you're kind of just making the all lives matter argument of like, oh, we're condemning.
You guys made the all lives matter.
Well, you're making it now. You're saying we need to condemn all violence, even if you knew it came from one side.
Sure, I think we should all condemn all violence. I think that's a pretty acceptable.
That is kind of just an arbitrary rule that you created.
That's not. I think it's a really good rule that
follow.
everybody should condemn political violence.
Before you can be principled about that. Like, because that's really what's happening is you're saying before
I
I
am
can make
principled
any,
about it.
be-
I think
before
that-
I can make any statement on Charlie Kirk, it's like I need you
I need
guys
to know that
need-
I have a
and
partner in civility.
And I need to ask
Yeah.
President Trump.
Yeah.
I need to ask him, as if that would do anything. I need to ask him to turn down the rhetoric before you, Destiny, make a.
Yeah, that's a principled position. It's better than Trump's, right?
But my principle is better. Is what
I don't
I'm
care
saying.
about your principle. I care about the president, the leadership of the United States, right? You acknowledge that I
I'm
have a
here-
different.
I'm-
Wait, you acknowledge I have a different principle than Donald Trump, right?
But I'm here to criticize you. Like that. That's what I'm
Okay.
here
Well,
for.
then my position is
But-
that
but
I
we-
think that it's
we
I think that it's
compared it.
as
We
somebody
already
who's a
compared it to Donald Trump.
what?
We already compared it to Donald Trump, and I'm saying if you go back, my paradigm.
So you think
lasts
it's
longer.
immoral? You think it's immoral to have the position of, I'm willing to condemn violence. I condemn all violence. I'm willing to condemn any amount of violence as long as my civil partner is on the same page as me and is willing to condemn it as well. Do you think that's an immoral position to hold?
Not an immoral position necessarily. I'm just like, why can't? It seems like what we understand about like principled positions is more in line with what I'm talking about. Is you
How?
can make
Why
it
do you lock your car
can
door
make
at
it
night?
regardless.
Do you lock your car doors?
Do I lock? Yes.
Why?
I lock my car doors. So it's safe. Everything.
Yeah,
is
because
safe.
somebody might break in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like you take precautions if you feel like on the other
Regardless,
side is
I don't
gonna-
need him to do anything to lock my doors.
Yeah, I understand that, but like I don't know if you would like necessarily like lock the kitchen cabinet cereal away from like a partner or whatever because they're going to steal it because you have some level of trust there, right? When you're operating in a civil society, there's some level of trust between you and the other side or the other sides or the other parties involved. When that trust is broken, there's no morality or virtue in constantly attacking your own side over and over and over again. I would say that that's actually an immoral position because all you're really doing is throwing, especially the more
How is it not like? It's the most easiest principled position to take to like come out and condemn political violence.
I
like,
agree.
in
That's
the
why
case
it's
of the
immoral
Charlie Kirk
because it's an easy
assassination.
position to take. It's thoughtless, it's brainless, and it
No,
accomplishes
but
nothing.
the Democrats have always used this just as a weaponization tactic to recuse accountability from their
But they
side.
don't. Every Democrat came
if
out
you-
and criticized the Charlie Kirk for political violence. When Trump do you recognize that Trump and Biden react differently? Like when natural disasters happen, that Biden deploys FEMA immediately, doesn't play games with it. Trump plays games with it. Do you acknowledge that?
I don't understand what that point is.
So Biden will immediately reach out to governors. He'll immediately make whatever funds available needs to be available. He'll call people, talk to people,
Yep.
whatever. Trump will play games. In California, he was saying, well, you guys have to agree to change the water rules, or I'm not sure if I'm even going to send FEMA to blue states. Trump plays games with it. Biden doesn't play games with it, right?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. What
I'm,
is that
I'm,
supposed
it's just, it doesn't have to mean anything. I'm just asking a simple question. That Biden, if there is a natural disaster in a state, you don't have to worry if Biden is the president, if anything's going to happen. You know that he's going to do what he needs to do as president to step up and provide those resources. With Trump, I have no idea. If I was a Californian and a natural disaster came, I have no fucking idea if Trump's going to actually step up and do what he should do as leader and deploy FEMA in the way that it should be.
I don't know either, but
That's not good, right?
I don't see what your point is.
No, I don't.
see what-
Stop
I don't see what
trying
your
to
point is.
preempt my argument. I'm just saying that in and of itself, that's a bad, immoral thing, right?
What is?
That Trump won't do his job as president and take care of Americans, all American citizens.
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean, sure? It's a bad thing. It's immoral. It's like a huge failing as leader. It's one of the few
Well, you have
things.
to weigh that against all the other things that he's responsible.
It doesn't
for.
matter what else you
That's
said.
the
That
only-
in and of itself is like a moral failing. Like he
I'll
should.
I'll say yes because
Okay.
it really doesn't mean that much to me. My whole point was like, why are you asking us to do something before you can make your take?
I've already made my take.
When we know that it doesn't even do anything, you already admitted that, like, oh, the president coming out and condemning all violence doesn't do anything.
When have I ever said that?
You said that at the beginning. Hence the political assassinations that happened afterwards. You said that, Destiny.
Wait, I said that the president condemning violence doesn't do anything?
Yes, you said it doesn't end up doing anything. Yes.
I don't. Did I say
almost
this?
verbatim. Almost verbatim.
I don't think I said this.
Run it back.
How can I run it back?
They'll run it back. They'll run it back.
If I thought that the president disavowing violence didn't do anything, then why would I ask Trump to disavow violence?
No, that's my question. Why would you ask Trump to disavow violence?
We just spent the whole beginning part of this debate where you were arguing that the president disavowing violence doesn't matter because the culture is controlled more by alternative media and online figures, and I was saying no, I think the president matters.
All I have to define is my paradigm, which doesn't recuse people of accountability if we just say all lives matter, basically. If we just say we should condemn all violence, that's not the truth of the situation. Like if you were to say the same thing about BLM Antifa, it's like that's not the truth of the situation. This is the all lives matter.
The issue, yeah, but the issue is that, wait, so are you just checking? Are you acknowledging that the all lives matter argument was a bullshit argument?
A bullshit argument? No, I'm not taking a position on this.
Okay, well, because you're using it against me like it's a bullshit argument. The issue.
No, I'm just letting people know. I'm just letting people what you're using.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that, like, if, like, for nuclear weapons, it wouldn't be moral for the United States to just throw away all of our nukes into the sea, right?
Yeah.
That there's a morality there to protecting ourselves, to protecting our own citizens with a nuclear stockpile, and unless Russia agrees to do it at the same time, we can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I apply the same scenario to you. I imagine apply it to the Second Amendment. We apply it to most places in our life that we're civil with people who agree to be civil with us. You can't enforce civility from one side. It has to come from cooperation from two individuals.
I agree with you. That's why you have to call out the truth of who was responsible.
Let's
say all,
sure.
like every time just say all that, and it doesn't do anything.
Let's roll this back. Sure, let's roll this back. Okay, let's say that there's one side that now I know that you're not going to agree with this reality, but let's say hypothetically one side never calls out their own side when there's violence. They never condemn their own side when there's violence. They ratchet up the temperature over and over again when there's violence, and then when there is violence on the other side, they say you guys need to disavow all your violence. Do you think that in that world, is it moral for the other side who maybe isn't even being violent? Would it be moral for them to disavow?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So I understand the position of that. I understand emotionally like why that feels like a good thing, but I think that emotion is built on a bedrock idea that it's going to be reciprocated. And if it's not ever reciprocated, now for people like me, whether it is, well, I guess maybe I might be more at risk. I don't know. But like for more vulnerable people in society, in terms of who's subject to conservative policy or maybe wider violence, depending on how you view ICE or whatever, I feel like you're throwing all those people under the bus when conservatives are able to just, energize their side, ratchet up the violence, constantly scream, into the microphones that we need a civil war and all this other stuff. And then on the left, you just keep disavow. What's the point of that?
As a response, I think people are calling for civil war now because of the political assassination of someone as high profile as Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but like Biden, Obama.
World wars were started for that exact same reason. So that's not like
Biden, Obama, no world war started yet because a podcaster got killed. Okay, but Biden, Obama, all these people.
Political assassination.
All these people.
And they tried to assassinate President Trump, which would have been a parallel.
When you say they, you mean Republicans?
No, I don't mean Republicans.
Who's they?
I mean
Republican shooter.
Okay, fine. Republican shooter.
Okay,
but still, that would start a. Wars were started for the exact same reason.
What happened after the Republican white kid shooter shot Trump? What did Biden do? I think he increased the Secret Service. He said everybody needs to calm down. He said we should never kill each other for political violence. He said all the right things.
Sure. Yeah.
When this guy shot Charlie Kirk, before Charlie Kirk was even dead, Trump was like on media blaming trans, Tifa, all sorts of crazy stuff. We had no evidence of anything. Isn't that like super deeply immoral that the president and the vice president would come out and start making statements about the shooter before we even knew anything about the shooting?
I would say they probably think they knew more about the shooting. Like I don't know.
What is that argument?
What is that? Hold on. Argument's about.
No. What? Okay. Hold on. They probably thought they knew more. Like what?
No. That matters. Like just like it matters. Like if Trumpers believe the election was stolen, it's the same thing. Like
yeah, but they believe it because Trump told them that. Trump doesn't believe the election was stolen. He just lied. Why? Trump didn't know if the shooter was left leaning or not. He just said that because it fits his agenda. That's not acceptable for a leader to say, to just start making up theories about the shooting before we even know anything about the shooter, before they even knew anything about the shooter.
It would still matter, like, whether they believe that it actually happened or if they didn't. That would still matter.
I would agree if they believe it actually happened. It makes it even worse because now they're delusional because they have no reason to even believe it. They don't even have any evidence.
I just don't know where this path of argument.
Don't stop trying to preempt it. Just like live in the moment and be a human being.
No, I don't know.
It's bad when a president.
Know what your argumentation is.
My argumentation is that the president should have been guessing the motives and the ideology of the shooter before we knew anything at all about the shooter. That's like a deeply immoral, horrible, terrible thing to do.
Before we do anything, yeah. I'll agree.
Before we know anything.
Like you just said, if he doesn't know anything, we shouldn't do anything.
He shouldn't make any statements about the idea, right? And then also, like, I don't think. So here's another issue. You talk about BLM. Okay, so prior to BLM, like, if we look at, like, the Charlottesville thing, Donald Trump was asked if he would fucking disavow, neo-Nazis or disavow the Proud Boys. And Donald Trump's statement was, like, stand back and stand by.
That was I thought that was for J6.
nice and
Stand
close
back
to the
and
mic
stand by.
there.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was for J6.
Well, they showed up on J6, but no, I think it was in.
No, but the Charlottesville instance that you just brought up,
Yeah.
he was saying that's a soundbite, and then after that, you know what he said? He said, "I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis."
Well, but it was a neo-Nazi march, right? Oh, you're talking
yeah.
like. So he also said
I
he
thought
said the thing
you
about how
did
there were good people on
Charlottesville
both sides.
and then
or
went to
whatever.
January 6th, though.
Well, no. Hold on. He said that there were the good people on both sides argument or whatever. But I think it was like preceding, or I'm sorry, I think it was pretty soon after Charlottesville. He was asked about like denouncing like the Proud Boys and stuff. I think that happened pretty soon after Charlottesville, right? And the statement that he said, it was unhinged. He said, "Stand back and stand by." What the fuck?
Yeah. And that sounds a lot like your coded incitement of violence recently. That sounds a lot like it.
So when Donald Trump said that on Parler, you literally have like the leaders of the Proud Boys. You've got Stuart Rhodes, you've got Enrique Tarrio saying like, "Heard loud and clear, sir." And then these guys like made top secret signal groups and they organized like huge fucking, groups of people to go and break into the Capitol on January 6th. Like that's like a direct, and then Trump pardoned all those people.
But January 6th was after BLM Antifa. That's my whole point.
But those guys heard their orders loud and clear from Donald Trump's statements before the BLM Antifa stuff, the stand back and
I don't know
stand
if
by.
you can prove they're getting it from Charlotte.
They said it. They said, "Heard you loud and clear, Trump, standing back and standing by." It was on Parler that they posted this.
Okay, well, I'm not on Parler, so well, how am I supposed to? You think I'm on Parler? Is it an
I'm not saying you're on
expectation
Parler,
that
but
I
I'm
should be
saying
on
that,
Parler?
these were some of the most important, I would say, court cases in U.S. history because all these people were convicted of seditious conspiracy. But then, so these guys all made big groups of people to break into the Capitol. They were the first ones in on January 6th. And then after they were convicted and a jury of their peers and everything else of seditious treason or seditious conspiracy, afterwards, when Trump was reelected, he pardoned everybody, including these guys. How is this not like a clear signal to like do the violence? Like I'm calling for it, you did it, and now I'm like pardoning you for getting convicted for doing the violence that I called for. Like this is the most.
That was hard to trace. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay, Donald Trump said, "Proud Boys, stand back and stand by, but let me tell you about Antifa."
Yeah.
And then Proud Boys tweeted out, they said, "Heard you, Donald Trump, loud and clear." Then they made a plan to take over the Capitol on January 6th. Then they followed through with the plan on January 6th. Then they got arrested and convicted of seditious conspiracy related to January 6th. And then Donald Trump pardoned all of them related to January 6th.
I think stand back and stand by is less coded incitement and violence than what you have said about Trump's assassination attempts and Charlie Kirk's assassination attempts.
Okay, but like you can look at my community and you can look at the differences in like how people are functioning. Like I've said like a million times that there should be no political violence in this country. It's a really bad thing. You can't find Trump making these statements. Everybody in my community knows that like I don't support political violence and I think like political violence is horrid. It means that like the system has completely failed. Like everything is like going to shit. That civil war is not a good thing. That none of us should want that world of reality. And that I think both sides shouldn't do it. Remember, you're looking at the fucking Rittenhouse defender guy, right? That's like one of the huge things that I cut like a ton of my like community off over, right?
No, and I respect that.
Sure, but I'm just saying that like my position on violence is pretty much like it's a self-defense thing. Like, but otherwise, fuck up. Like I'm not here supporting rioters ever. I think it's cringe as fuck. Like I had a debate on Sam Cedar over the fucking shoot. I don't even remember the guy.
It's your right to do it. I'm just saying I don't think that is I think that's a moral hypocrisy from your point, from your standpoint.
What's like the worst thing you think I've said?
I think one of the worst things is probably that the worst thing to have happened was for the bullet to have missed Trump, or speaking on Corey Compatoir's death, that you F around and find out when you go to these rallies, and that what did you expect? I think you said something along the lines of like, what did you expect coming to those?
Hold
on. But like when you say what did you expect, that implies that you should expect that. And that's like way more coded incitement of violence.
When you say, okay, let's follow through on that last one.
Yeah.
What do you think I mean when I say that? You should expect that.
I don't know. Like you're on the other side of the aisle.
No, you
me,
have
so
to know.
I have
You're
no
giving me a lot of like.
No, I don't have to know. I don't have to.
Well,
know
no,
what
but you're
My
claiming
whole
to
point
know.
Is
what do you
your
no? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think it
I'm
means?
judging your statements. I'm judging your statements.
But what do you think? What do you think
It's
it
my
means?
first time I've ever talked to you. How am I supposed to know that?
Well, you obviously have idea. You just said that those statements were worse than Donald Trump's statements, where I can draw a clear line from him motivating people,
the
committing
statements
crimes, and then
alone,
pardoning them.
not off of what I think you meant by it.
But words are meaningless. They're just sounds. Ooga booga, right? Like they have to
They're
mean
not
something.
Meaningless. They're not meaningless.
No. Hold on. Wait a minute. No. Stop. This is a dumb argument. When you say words, there has to be a meaning ascribed to the words. Otherwise, we're just uttering sounds. If I say random things to you, if I utter speech that means nothing to you, then that doesn't mean anything. You are ascribing a meaning to the things I'm saying. So you said earlier that when I said, what do you expect? that you said that was like a thinly veiled call for violence or whatever. Is that if you follow through for however much of my content you've watched?
Implication. Yeah. No, I think that's a direct implication that what do you expect? Well, you should expect violence if you attend these rallies.
What, and then why? What was the motivation? What was what was my conversation
I don't
about
know
this?
if that part matters. I don't know if the motivation matters. Why does the motivation matter?
Because when I speak, I say more. I didn't just like go live and then say 2 sentences and then turn my stream off.
You're asking me to interpret a whole lot here. I'll try to find a concession if you want to try to find a concession because I don't understand.
Do you live your life in like 2-sentence quotes? Is that how you view every single?
No. I just trace the statements. I trace the statements people make. That's
what does tracing the statement mean?
Like the objective meaning of the statement, which sometimes there's not going to be an object, and that's where you can throw in coded language.
Hold on.
But
I think all of you guys should. I think
statements-
everyone in here should eat dogs. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you leave this like thing saying, "Wow, Destiny's audience is a bunch of dog eaters, and Destiny wants all of his audience to eat dogs"? Because I said that.
Say that last part.
That Destiny wants his audience to eat dogs. That they're all probably dog eaters. Destiny encourages dog eating.
No, probably not.
Okay, because it's like not. I don't talk about this a lot. I'm not a big. Shut up. I'm not a big dog cuisine person, right? Yeah. So I think that like.
I'll make a concession if you want to make a concession. I just don't know.
What is my concession? I'm not going to make the concession that I want violence.
I'll make a concession, but it seems like we're at a standstill. Like I don't understand. Like I'm submitting a paradigm.
Well, sure. Here, I can explain, and you can tell me if this sounds like it tracks with every other thing I've said. Right? Is that if you engage in a political violence where every single thing you talk about is the end of the world, every single party is trying to invade you and destroy you and kill you and take over everything and mutilate your children's genitals and leave the border open intentionally to flood you with illegal immigrants, and then all the words and verbiage you use is like this, like the holy war, the fight, we got to take over the enemy, they stole your government from you, right? If those are the things.
And what has resulted from that? And I think my point is.
Wait. Look, I'm just saying that when you say all of these things, right? If somebody shows up at like rallies and starts shooting, that's not that surprising to me, right? Like I'd be like, okay, yeah, like I mean, this kind of makes sense. This tracks, right? This is like the verbiage and everything is like this is the end of the fucking world. Everything is coming to kill you and take your country away and destroy everything. Like, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if that event had some kind of political violence involved.
But what if Charlie Kirk was preaching that and then someone kills Charlie Kirk? That wouldn't make much sense then.
What do you mean?
That wouldn't make much sense. Like you just described. Lost my train of thought. What was your last point?
That if you're like in a side that's constantly preaching political violence and turning up the temperature as high as you can, it wouldn't surprise me that there are like, yeah. I mean, I would say that kind of flows outward to like a lot of different.
And then there's the part of like, what if most of that, the immigration topic that you see as incitement raising the temperature, what if that's like a real issue,
There is no real issue that requires you to label a detainment facility alligator Alcatraz.
I agree.
That's just cruelty.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Sure.
I think that was bad form, and so that's the concession I'll make. I guess.
But it's not just. It gives an indication for what the other person, like, what's going on in their head, right? So if the other person,
wasn't it DeSantis that did like
every single Republican laughed at it and thought it was epic and base and sold merchandise for it and thought it was cool and Kristi Noem defended Donald Trump.
Not me, but
what?
I said not me, but I'll concede that alligator Alcatraz is an example. That's an example.
Sure. So,
but I mean, the immigration topic, it was what you cited as incitement of violence. I'd say that's actually a real issue, which was going to be my second.
Things can
point.
be a real issue, but also you could talk about them in a hateful or insightful way.
But you can't just say, "Oh, that's incitement of violence."
I didn't just say, "Oh, that's." I just gave you a specific, concrete example of a way that it's kind of insightful with the way that Republicans deal with it when they say things like.
So I think the alligator Alcatraz example is valid. I don't think the immigration topic as a whole can be.
I've never said the immigration topic as a whole, but Republicans
that's
don't.
How you started. That's how you started it. You clarified and you said alligator Alcatraz, and that's what I conceded to.
I don't think I ever said in general immigration. I feel like I've listed pretty specific things, but
yeah, it was jumbled in there. It's hard to remember everything that you say, but it was jumbled in there.
Okay,
I do know that.
Let's assume that it was jumbled in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Republicans and Donald Trump speak about everything in an existential, hateful way. So when violence results from that, that's just not that surprising to me. I make the same criticism sometimes of Democrat rhetoric. I don't think they've gotten to the point where they're inciting violence. But when they say things like, billionaires own everything, the donor clusters everything, I say like, well, when you leave people no option but to not participate in elections and then to do violence, like that's what people are going to do. That's not surprising.
Which one? Participate in elections or do violence? Which one are we leaving them no option to do?
Both. I think that's what happens when you tell people that you can't participate in elections.
Those are two different things, though, don't you think?
One leads to the next. If people feel like their vote is irrelevant or their political system isn't responsive to them, then the next step is violence. That's what happens, right? How do dictatorships end? Usually with a coup.
You can't say that happens, but that's not justified. That's not morally justified.
Whether it is or isn't is not what we're at right now. I'm just saying that is what will happen.
what do you? This is a moral conversation. I'm critiquing your morality. This is a conversation about morality, not like efficacy. I don't know.
Well, no, but I'm saying, well, sure, but as part of this, what I'm saying is there are certain things that you can tell people that will lead to predictable things. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yep. And what are those things? Yeah.
So, like, if I were to tell like a group of people that there's some guy coming to kill you, and I say this over and over and over and over again, and eventually these people, you know, find this guy in an alley and they beat him up and kill him or whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, that's pretty obvious. That I mean, like I've told these people forever that they're gonna, get killed by this guy. It's not that surprising that they're gonna kill the dude. Whether or not it's moral for them to do it or not is a separate conversation. But like, that's not that surprising. People have to feel like they have options. If you take all the options away, then violence becomes the only option.
I don't think they've taken all the options away.
Who?
I think Republicans or whoever you think are taking all the options
I
away.
I agree with that. I agree they haven't taken all the options away. That's why I tell people stop being doomer and you should vote and everything and all this stuff. But Republicans, Donald Trump especially, says that all the options are gone. That's why on that January 6th speech he said, like, you have to fight like hell or you're going to lose your country. They're stealing the election from you. They're stealing, all the votes are rigged. All the mail-in ballots are rigged. They're taking everything. They're rigging everything. The deep state is against you. They're cutting off your children's dicks. The libraries have too many gay books. Like, every single thing. There's an invasion right now from the whole Democratic Party's Antifa and their domestic terrorist organization. Everything is like an existential fucking end of the world shit. Like, we can't find any Biden rhetoric that matches any of this.
All right, Spencer, final thoughts.
Oh, here, wait, we'll let him go. Before we move on to the next Destiny guy, who's like, oh, let's talk about vegan and or whatever.
But I think he actually believes that it was stolen. That's the whole thing. Is like, it's not necessary. If he believes that, he's not just raising the rhetoric. Right?
But he is. You can still believe a thing and raise the rhetoric.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he's doing it. But that's even scarier because now he's justified in that, right?
But what if he was justified in it? Like,
then if he was justified in it, then I think he'd be justified, right?
If the election was rigged in a certain way? I'm not saying the votes itself were fake, but like, what if it was corrupted?
I agree with you. Yes, I agree with everything you're gonna say. Yeah,
then
but it wasn't.
That would be pretty bad.
It would be.
Well, we could have that conversation about whether it was or it wasn't. But that would still be very bad.
It would be bad, but it wasn't rigged. There was no evidence of it.
Justified in his response.
I understand.
That would be justified in his response.
But if you were having a hallucination and I was coming at you with a knife and then you killed me for it, right? Sure, but you're hallucinating, right? This is detached from reality. So whether or not something might be personally justified to you because you're delusional or hallucinating is different than, like, is this an objective true thing in the world that we can have good responses to? Donald Trump didn't.
Do you think he was hallucinating? Because it's important.
No, he was lying.
Lying.
Yes.
Okay. So you think he doesn't believe the election was rigged?
Correct.
And he's just saying that.
Correct.
Okay,
because every single person that he tasked with doing an investigation, all of them told him it wasn't rigged. Every single court case, essentially, but one in like Pennsylvania, they lost. There was no evidence ever that showed that the election was rigged. He had nothing compelling to ever believe any of it, but he still told people it was rigged, and he brought him there to protest the outcome of the election.
All right, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
It always is. Yeah.
Like whether or not he believed that it was rigged, that is a whole nother conversation.
Well, if he's believing things with no evidence, isn't that pretty problematic?
With no evidence, no, not necessarily, because you could have an administration.
Okay,
that,
I'll agree with anything you're saying, but I just want you to understand the problem that you've just presented me with. Okay, so this is the uncomfortable or weird position you put me in. That's why I have the position I have when people ask me to disavow violence. What you have laid out is all the justification needed for a violent insurrection to overthrow the government. If you genuinely believe
that's the whole point. Is I'm saying,
but hold on, wait. I can't do anything. I can't do anything to dissuade you. That I can disavow a million times. It's not going to change your mind on whether or not the election was stolen. It's not going to change your mind on whether the deep state is rigging everything. So unless you guys are willing to come over across the aisle and say, okay, fine, political violence is bad when everybody does it, there's no point in me saying it. All I'm doing is subjecting myself to...
There's no point in doing that. There's no point in doing
But there is because...
it still leads to political
There is because Democrats don't want political violence in this country.
We don't know that. How are we supposed to know that?
Because they disavow it over and over and over and over and over again.
You have the whole other side of, okay, we've analyzed this to death, the rights rhetoric. How about the left's rhetoric? How about the left's
We
rhetoric?
never talk about the rights rhetoric. What are you talking about?
All right, well, this is just an example where we live in two different realities.
We talk about the rights rhetoric so little that you don't even know a lot of the major things I'm bringing up. What do you mean?
No, I knew a lot of the major points.
You didn't know that Donald Trump apparently didn't know the Minnesota... What?
You brought up fringe cases.
The Hortman thing is a fringe case?
No, I brought up the Hortman thing.
The
I brought
Antifa
up
shooter,
the Hortman thing.
the Trans-Tifa church shooter? I don't think that's a fringe case.
Okay, maybe that one, but that...
The Charlottesville thing? I don't think that was fringe. This was debated a lot.
I knew about Charlottesville.
Okay, January 6th is not... I don't think I brought up any fringe cases.
No, I agreed with most of those. I knew about most of those.
Okay.
The only one I didn't know about was the trans church shoot. I remember hearing about it, but I don't know the details of the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the ones that they've like harped on for. That's why they said that the Charlie Kirk shooter was trans. was
Well,
because
yeah,
of that church shooting.
I don't care about a lot of the trans rhetoric, to be fair, but like,
I know that's great, and you know what, I'm right there with you because I'm a cis bi, I guess, whatever, fucking male. So I don't give a fuck about it either. But for people in the country who are having their rights stripped from them, right? It kind of probably is shitty.
What rights are they?
Well, the rolling back of like trans healthcare in a lot of places, the lack of guidance now from the CDC or the NIH relating to like hormones for anybody. In some states, I think they've just made it like fully illegal.
Those could be valid issues of children receiving hormone therapy. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So those could be valid criticisms.
Yeah, they could be, but I can't hear the valid criticisms when it's just veiled with hateful, vitriolic speech.
Okay, I don't know what to say to that.
Don't be hateful and vitriolic, and maybe people will take it more seriously.
Well, I could point to leftists being hateful and vitriolic.
On Twitter. Do you see the difference? Like the elected leaders, these are the people that when...
I'm the one who thinks that online media is the most influential.
Yeah, but you think that because you consume right-wing media that shows you left-wing TikTokers. Like, your impression of the left comes from what the right wing tells you the left says.
No, I see a lot of the left-wing posts, too, and I'm like, wow. That
the right wing is showing you.
Principled.
Like, you can, like, if
but
I
they
were to
still
ask
made
you,
the statements, though. They still.
But the people on Twitter, though.
People.
But there were no lawmakers, no leaders, nobody that that was like, oh, cool, Charlie Kirk died, right? Every single large figure on the left condemned it.
And I'm saying that doesn't matter, and it doesn't do anything. That doesn't matter, and it doesn't do anything.
I'm just saying, I've never heard of a radical shooter that killed somebody, and they open his diary, and this guy's like, Joseph Biden, this is the guy that fucking radicalized me. I'm gonna go fucking get these dudes. It's always somebody more radical than that.
You were talking about the politicians just now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I haven't seen the left-wing online media influencers, not just denounce the Kirk assassination, because that's just a baseline. That's just basic. But take accountability. I think we're really talking about take accountability or responsibility for. We should at least look to your rhetoric first. If it came from
I would
your
agree
side,
with that, but you guys don't look at the center-left rhetoric. The center-left rhetoric is generally pretty chill. You look at people like fucking Hassan, and then you paint all of us with that brush. That dude wants violence. That's why he flew to fucking France like a pussy to go and have his little clout pussy, hounding farm or whatever over there while he does his little race shit, right? Yeah, those people do want that. But like, again, nobody's getting radicalized by fucking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? You acknowledge that, right? Nobody's getting radicalized by these two political leaders, right?
Yeah.
There are people that are getting radicalized by like people on the in the right ecosphere that's like directly tied into Trump. Like, you will never find on the left a Stephen Miller in the White House. That will never happen. You'll never find on the left a Jared Kushner, a family member who's managing massive...
Well, what do you mean like a Stephen Miller?
There is no family member from the Obamas, from the Clintons, from the Bidens who occupied such huge positions in the White House that were negotiating deals in the Middle East, right? You agree with that, right? Or anywhere in the world, right?
Are you talking about Stephen Miller?
No, I'm talking about Jared Kushner right now. Sorry.
Okay.
So Kushner was Trump's son-in-law, who was like the architect of the Abraham
That's
Accords.
nepotism. That's nepotism. But you could find someone like Stephen Miller, not saying like, oh, he's as intense, like borderline
in the
fascist,
White House, though.
Borderline fascist.
In the White
House.
House.
It's just the right wing's equivalent of what we think is a Stephen Miller.
Yeah, but wait, but I'm saying I'm just saying on the left.
Yeah.
Where in government?
Where
in government?
Well, I would name like some representative. This is off the top of my head, but like.
Like the most radical ones are fucking are AOC
like the
and
squad.
Biden.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say like the squad. I was going to say the squad.
Yeah, but AOC and all these guys all condemn the fuck out of the Charlie Kirk shooting and everything anyway. These people are not like...
I'm saying that doesn't matter. They're the politicians.
So you think that if we were to take...
I'm criticizing
let's say that,
the online media influencers who are in charge of their side's culture. That's what I'm criticizing.
I understand, but I'm saying that the right in charge of their culture just pushes violence. And I'm saying, like, even the honest question.
Give me something to concede.
Honest question, okay? Let's say that Trans Tifa shows up right now and they abduct both of us, okay? And we're in a room and they tell us only one of us is coming out here alive, okay? Mm-hmm. And you get to make the big choice. And what the Trans Tifa super soldier, black trans woman tells you, he says, listen up, okay? Here's what you have to do. I'm giving you a basket. There's two choices. Mm-hmm. You have Stephen Miller and you have AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib, and who's the fourth one? The squad. Who's the fourth one? Is it really? I never heard that name. Whatever. And Bernie Sanders. All five of them, okay? Yeah. You have all five of these people, okay? You have them in one basket. And then on the other side, you have Stephen Miller. Now, whichever one you choose, you have to go through and find the worst statements that they've made. And then your opponent, me, has to find the worst statements from who you don't choose. And whoever statements are worse survives. Do you think that you're going to find more like abhorrent, objectionable, crazy, vitriolic stuff from all of those people, the whole squad of Bernie Sanders, or am I going to find worse from Stephen Miller?
I would believe that, but that's because worse is subjective. I would believe that. Worse is subjective, though.
How then? Like,
Worse. Worse.
I feel like conservatives become postmodernists when it comes time to like have an actual concrete. Jesus.
I don't know.
Did you have any final
Okay,
thoughts?
yeah, go
there,
hit me up with your final thought. Yeah.
Spencer.
I'll see time. It's cool.
Are you sure? Yeah.
I mean, I have more topics, but I don't know.
Well,
how
we
much
might
longer.
bring you back,
Okay,
but we'll see.
okay.
We're going to give a shot to our other debaters, but we might bring you back. So, everyone, Spencer.
Thank you.
It's not easy to get up here.
I will say so. My position that I'm I guess pro-Trump, and this is the reason why I didn't buy the debate ticket because I didn't have anything until recently. His action on the H-1B visa, I have found, shockingly, I support.
Do we have? Is that $100,000 thing? Is that like confirmed? Is that 100%, or is that like still another talking idea thing that might happen in 2 weeks?
So it's very likely going to happen.
Okay.
We've seen a reaction kind of across the nation and some other countries as well. Living here in, the Bay Area, this is something I see directly, and I know quite a few people with this visa as well. There are a few things that are concerning. I've looked at the numbers, and of the recent data that is available, 75% of those who work in tech, and when I say tech, I'm talking about the large companies that are here. 75% of these workers are indeed H-1B workers. Now, the H-1B visa was designed
Is that true? 75% of all tech workers in the United States?
That is, according to the most recent data available. We have a room full of smartphones. Oh, sorry. We have a room full of smartphones. I encourage those to Google it. I may be wrong, but the last time I checked, which was the data that I had was pre-COVID, that's what I saw.
Okay.
And so surrounded by world-class universities and a lot of grads who struggling to get jobs, and computer science is not exactly unpopular, why can't these companies hire more American workers? What's going on here? I think disincentivizing them, relying on H-1B is ideal. And if it's this $100,000 way, then so be it.
So I mean, like, we can always like cut some like foreign workers to increase wages for domestic workers. I'm pretty sure that number of H-1Bs is like under 20%. Just on a cursory Google glance, 75% that's a lot.
The last time I read it was 75.
That's
is
a
that
lot
not
of
confirmed?
That's a lot of H-1B workers. That sounds like a Trump stat. But also, okay,
so
but here, I'm
75
I'm curious to test just on this like idea. Real quick, what industry do you work in?
If I am incorrect, I work in analytics.
Okay. Do you think that you should be kicked out?
Well, I'm not H-1B.
No, but you're part
I
of the
have
country.
one
You're
parent.
born in Canada.
One parent from each country.
Okay. Said you were from Nova Scotia.
Indeed. Right. My father's American, mom's Canadian.
Okay. Well, Indeed is a hop and skip from Indian, so I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying.
yeah,
Let's say that we got rid of H-1Bs and we also said no more dual citizen fuckers. Okay, wherever you were born or whatever, that's where you are.
Yeah, but like, if there was some like measure of like, wow, dual citizens sure are causing a lot of problems. Like,
Which you are,
I
right?
would
Like you're
say-
here taking a job from an American that could have that job, right?
Oh, that's a good one, Destiny. Maybe, but like, I don't think that like, given the nature of the H-1B visa itself, right? It was designed for really hard to fill positions in which there are no American applicants available. That's not what it's being used for. Like and we have like, and there's places out there like hospitals and stuff that need very specific doctors who have very specific credentials. Pediatric oncologists who can work in cardiac surgery, whatever. Yeah, sure. But for what it's being used for now, it's just being misused. And I think Trump finding a way to disincentivize that was shockingly something I agree with him. I didn't vote for him, but I agree
Okay,
with
I don't
that.
believe any of this. Okay, here's an issue. Okay, nothing that has ever been said about conservatives makes sense. Okay, have you heard of the fucking fence post in the forest or whatever? Do you know what this thing is?
Do not. Go
Okay,
ahead.
you're wandering in the fucking forest. I guess you're on LSD or whatever. Okay, and your liberal friend sees a fence post and he's like, "Oh my god, I don't know what this is here for. Let's fucking take it out." But your conservative friend sees it and he's like, "Well, it's been here for a long time. It's probably here for a reason." And like this is like Chesterton's fence that liberals want to upend and destroy everything, and conservatives want to maintain and conserve or whatever, right? Okay, why is it that when a conservative finds like some process that they don't like the immediate go-to is to dynamite and destroy the entire fucking thing? It makes me believe that they don't actually care whether the process was like problematic or not. They just hate the whole thing in and of itself. Because anything in life doesn't work. What the first thing you would do is you would try to fix it, or you would do something to like alleviate the issues if you thought there was anything beneficial there. Now, if you thought the whole thing was trash, then you would just get rid of it. So like if we think this, so H-1B workers are supposed to be, you're supposed to make a good faith showing effort to the government before you apply for an H-1B visa that you've tried to fill the position. So if people think that that's not happened, then why not change, I guess, whatever we feel like they have to do to demonstrate to the U.S. government that they tried to fill this position and they haven't been able to?
I agree with that, actually. The thing is, nobody's doing it, so yes, I don't think we should throw the system away.
But isn't that kind of what Donald Trump's like $100,000 or whatever? Isn't that kind of what he's doing?
Yes, but it's the only, this is the only time this attention, a president has paid attention to this. Biden hasn't. He'd said never said anything regarding that.
I don't believe this.
Never.
I don't think you're just really a real human saying this to me on stage right now.
Wait, so
because you would never.
Wait, so when did Biden ever address H-1B?
I don't fucking know. Probably not.
No, he did not.
Okay,
And
but
so,
no, but that's not
did
what I don't
Obama?
believe. That's what
No.
I'm not.
Like,
That's
so,
what I'm not. That's
yeah.
what I'm not believing. Okay, what I'm not believing is this idea that like it's this weird argument that's wheeled out where, well, at least he's doing something. So the fuck what? Like just
Yeah,
because
it's-
like there's a problem and somebody does something doesn't mean that the thing they're trying is automatically respectable or good, right? Like
I
there are
think it's an
like you've heard the
effort
saying like you're only making it worse, right? Like that could be a thing.
Yes.
no?
Okay. Could he have gone through Congress and passed H-1B reform?
Not gone through
or
Congress,
something like that?
but
I
like
don't-
had a brain processing the problem and actually figure out like, well, what the fuck is the actual solution?
Do
What
you
is the
think
problem?
he sat in a room and came up with this in 5 seconds?
Probably. I think that probably Stephen Miller said, "Fuck Indians. I don't like these, Pajeets or whatever the fuck, and we're gonna get rid of them by doing this H-1B thing." And then Trump was like, "Oh, explain this to me." And in between all those fucking orange pasty tans or whatever, he signed some fucking EO. He had no idea what he said or what it meant. Yeah, probably.
I don't know if it was exactly targeted at Indians, so to say. But
Sorry, I have a lot of Canadian friends who hate Indians, so.
no, I think Indians are lovely.
But I think don't Indians also don't they make up the like lion's share of like H-1B tech workers? I think
Yes, they make up. I'm sorry,
they do. Yes, yeah.
65. You said. The majority. So they make up the majority. So over half. And I do know that like the Indian government did make a response to Trump's proposal on this, and they were like, this is going to hurt our economy. We get a lot of money for people who send money back, and I hate to see the ripple effects indeed. However, it's nothing else is being done, and so. It kind of pushes one to think if I'm on the left and this is something that bothers me, and nobody is doing anything about it, I'm gonna think to myself, okay, well, this is something. Like this is the first time I've ever seen the issue addressed, and living here, it's a very kind of present issue, and especially with the high, the issues that are in this area.
Do you know who Uncle Adams is?
I do not. Who is Uncle Adams?
Don't worry about it.
Very well.
I can't engage with this argument because I still don't believe this is a real argument.
What do you not believe is real about it?
I don't think there's any other circumstance in life where you would accept any effort towards a problem, even if it made the problem worse, just because somebody's acknowledging there's a problem.
Destiny, how is this making it worse?
Because he's effectively just blowing up the H-1B system without running this through Congress in any way, shape, or form. Meaning it might just be what?
It won't affect current holders. Those who hold it now will not have to pay the $100,000 fee.
Sure.
It's a feature of applicants.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's blowing up the program and it's going to cause
Well,
mass.
I mean, I imagine no one's probably going to apply for it in the next 3 years or whatever.
Do you think no one will apply?
For $100K?
Like there will be people who.
Is it? I'm sorry, I've actually not hired H-1B. Is it $5,000 for the app or is it more? Does anybody know?
It used to be about
what?
$5,000. It was
about
about $4,700.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
I don't know, for $100K, that's a big ROI. like you're going to need to close.
But the H-1B was designed for exceptional talent. If they're exceptional, then they must be worth it.
I don't think H-1B is exceptional talent. I think it's just to fill positions.
Or like highly needed talent.
Could be,
right?
yeah.
So
like
if they're
a position
really,
you can't
really
fill in
needed,
the
you can't
US.
find anybody else.
Yeah.
There is going to be ROI there. There's going to be like, they're worth this investment. We can't find
Well, but
anyone
the
else in the
ROI
country.
needs to be
There's
a
no
lot higher.
American.
The ROI needs to be a lot higher now than it was before, right?
Yes, but it's still like doable. It's still something like these mega corporations can afford if they wanted to. But
Sure, it'll just mean
it'll
higher cost of
disincentivize
whatever
it.
things.
It'll disincentivize it a little bit.
I mean, it can. I think that right now, like right now we're having tech hiring problems, okay? But but these fuckers had fucking amazing jobs for a long time, okay? Fuck these guys, okay? These guys got hired in COVID. Comp sci graduates had like a fucking 0.9% unemployment rate, okay? When these guys tell you about their struggles, all right? This is like Hassan talking about how like his Tibetan monk dog, like, his dog food costs $7,000 a month, or that his pants cost, like too many mortgages or whatever, right? Like tech workers will come out and say some wild shit like, I just graduated from college and I can't find a single company willing to hire me at $125K a year. It's ridiculous, okay? I hate tech workers. Fuck
There
all
you
of
go.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, boomy motherfuckers. Fuck you. But what I'm saying is that, okay, and the honest ones will tell you that, like, especially like during COVID, I think in the period post, there is a huge rush to hire tech workers.
Yes.
And then there was a pretty brutal correction where a lot of them got laid off. And then I think around like 2023, I think this like picked up again. And then I think as of recently, there's been another kind of like layoff. And now we're like, I don't know if we're
Yes,
going to like,
there's
but like
been
in the ebbs and flows, like you're going to hire H-1B workers because you just don't have the American workers to fill it. But then like when you have the ebb and then the flow and you lose workers, you're probably going to work harder to maintain, I would guess maybe the H-1Bs is because you pay the application fee, everything else. So like
Yes,
the
but
percentage
also
might be higher, but yeah.
It's unfair for the H-1Bs because they're beholden to their employer. If they get fired, they get deported. It's a package deal. So like
How many fucking people working in San Francisco are like, oh my God, like I'm a slave to fucking Amazon or AWS, and now I'm going to be deported. I just want to go back home to the fucking.
Well, no, like if you hold an H-1B.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, like these
If
people
you
take
hold
these jobs for a
H-1B
reason.
visa, but if you hold H-1B visa, like the company has extreme leverage over you.
Yeah,
like,
every fucking employer does. Welcome to
Not
fucking
if you're an
capitalism.
American. If you're an American citizen, you can say, "I'll walk," and you can walk. You have the right to. This is California, at will employment.
Can't you leave for H-1B?
Well, we have Medi-Cal in California, so indeed.
It's complicated. They can enslave you if you're an H-1.
You have to be. Your employer sponsors your visa, so you have to.
You might
be
have to pay
tied
back-
to an
yeah, sure, it's
employer,
gonna be a bigger
or
commitment,
else your
sure.
visa is rendered invalid. And with this president, you will get deported.
I'm just saying that like they're making these decisions for a reason, right? Like I don't think like people are acting like the H-1B system is like the fucking guys in Dubai whose passports are being taken from them, putting like 10 people in a shack. Like I think H-1B people. Like it's weird. This argument is not real. This is not real either. This is not a real argument. Like no
Wait, what's
conservative
not
believes.
real about
No,
this
it's like when
argument?
conservatives like we're kicking all the illegal immigrants out because we're saving these poor children from being
No, it has
fucking
nothing
sex
to do with-
trafficked.
I'm not concerned
okay?
about
No,
illegal
but I'm saying like you're saying like
immigrants.
these H-1Bs, these poor H-1Bs are being enslaved, and that's what we're doing a favor for them.
That's one of many issues with this program.
It's not an issue with the program.
Okay, so
Overwhelmingly, people with
you
H-1Bs,
can-
I
I'm
don't think
sure-
they're like, oh my God, I'm in
I
America
never-
and I'm being
well,
enslaved by my fucking tech
Okay,
company
well,
mastermind.
Stephen, I never said overwhelmingly. I'm just saying I don't
think it's a
simply
problem. I think it's a
saying
part
that
of
it
it,
is
yeah.
indeed a problem.
I don't think it is.
And you simply don't think it is?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that they're probably in all of the Indian society or whatever for people that
Why
are.
must they be Indian?
Because I think overwhelmingly for the tech industry, I think that's like the largest representation of them.
Okay, we'll
But
go with
anybody
that.
that's
We'll go with
applying
that.
for an H-1B,
Indeed,
right?
okay.
For anybody that's applying for an
India, East
H-1B,
Asia, okay.
they're probably, my guess is, probably some of the more highly educated people in those countries because they've
Yes.
got the technical know how to apply for an American job and they've got the willingness to move to America, right?
Okay.
So they're probably some of the most privileged class, meaning in their countries, they probably have a much higher choice of jobs they could work, but they're not going to pay as well. And they're making the choice to apply for the H-1B and come to the United States or whatever and work here. So I doubt in general that these people are like enslaved by their masters to do work and
Okay.
Like, it's like a minor
I don't
annoyance.
know, enslaved is a bit.
I'm sorry, I'm using hyperbolic language. I think most of them
they
probably-
are literally contractually beholden to the employer.
Yeah,
Right?
but like I understand,
if the
but like
employers just started doing them wrong in some kind of way, there are any sort of, we know that these companies are not altruistic, right? They're going to do.
I understand. It's just like a con for benefit, right? But it's like a very minor con, and people choose the benefit. Are you familiar with like the concept of tuition reimbursement?
No.
Okay, so the way that I've heard it works generally is when I go to the casino, they offer this. You let's say you're at a job, and they'll say, hey, if you want, you can go and get a bachelor's or a master's degree. We'll pay you more, and we'll even cover the cost of your tuition. Okay. But you got to work for us for 3 to 5 years or whatever. Otherwise, when you leave, you got to pay us back the cost of your tuition, right? I mean, so like on the way,
Puts
you're
you
kind
in
of like
debt.
on the hook, but it's like a huge benefit. A lot of people like accept that and pursue that, and they are okay with that. And I guess theoretically, your boss could treat you like shit, but nobody would ever say like, well, if we got rid of tuition reimbursement, at least we wouldn't be beholden to our masters because we are, on the hook for this tuition. They'd say like, well, that was a big benefit, and there is a con.
All right, you get the final
Wait,
word,
well, here,
my
let him.
friend.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah. Finish your train of thought, Gary. Yeah.
I mean, I
I mean, here, how about this? The vast majority of H-1B holders are happy to have H-1Bs, right?
maybe. We don't know. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Why do they apply for them?
Well, they
This isn't
apply
a real-
for them for money. I mean, right? A lot of us take jobs we don't really like so we can make ends meet. But I'm saying, like, they apply for them because they want the job. Yes, they want the job.
Okay.
That's their goal.
Okay.
Indeed.
And now we're making the program virtually unusable, or it's going to be exceptionally.
We're making the
Gated.
we're making the program less accessible. I'll
Okay.
agree. Yes.
All right. And ostensibly, we're doing that, I guess, for the domestic American worker, I guess.
That's what I'm choosing to believe. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can't read Trump's
Well,
mind.
no, I will
and
say,
I don't
like,
like
no,
the guy,
I mean,
but I
that's
like
a stated
I
reason.
like the policy.
That's a stated reason, and I agree. That's why, right? It's a protectionist immigration
Yes,
policy
to-
to protect your domestic labor, and
Indeed.
maybe in certain times, I guess this is all I'll say. Okay, if you were concerned about the H-1B program, then I feel like you would look at like what I feel like I've only done this one time, and so many claims about this are so overblown in terms of like how many people are participating and what companies have.
Yeah,
to
I
do,
mean,
like,
that-
how
that's
you-
75%
But what I'm saying is like what you would say is like, okay, well, if there is like I think that H-1B program is being abused too much by corporations, so I'm going to put like these new guidelines in so that it's not being abused as much, right? If the graduation rate of some sector is too low, or if I don't think you've done a good faith showing and trying to hire people, or we're going to even make like a public portal for people that are applying for H-1B jobs to have American jobs or whatever, or American employees looked at first. Like this is a person who sounds like, oh, okay, well this guy probably wants to, modify the H-1B system.
Yes.
When I see Trump come in and do this wacky and wild $100,000 limit where fucking people didn't even know the implementation. You had people trying to grab plane tickets, come back. Nobody even knew what the fuck this looked like because you've got this senile fucking moron on stage, signing an EO. He doesn't know what it does, and no one even has any guidance on it. This is like a deeply unserious approach to this problem, and I'm not going to give him good credit for approaching it just because it's a problem nobody else was acknowledging. And I feel like that train of thought would carry over to every single other problem in your life. You would never accept somebody approaching a problem you have in a horrible way just because at least they're saying something about it.
Okay. I could.
All right.
All right,
Put your hands together for our friend here. It was a great run.
Thank you.
Under Trump's immigration zero tolerance policy in 2018, over 5,000 children were stripped away from their parents. And according to a Yale human rights report, between 2017 and 2021, more than 4,600 were stripped away. And 1,360 were never reunited with their parents. But I have a question more broadly regarding the concept of, what morally relevant distinction do you make between yourself and Trump when you can't name the trait between mother cows and calves and migrant mothers and children who are stripped away when 9.5 million are stripped away each year in the U.S. alone?
Well, I think the moral difference is there's probably different categories between like humans and animals and other humans. So you could be okay with one and not the other, and it'd be a different thing, even if you think that they should all be morally condemnable, like actions.
Wait, but that's actually naming something similar that I believe I would expect out of Trump, right? Because he would try to say that even though children and mothers are being separated from one another, there's some trait regarding them that he finds to be acceptable that everyone else doesn't see is acceptable. I mean, it just seems like if we were to go back in the 1850s and I were to ask a slave owner, hey, if your consciousness was uploaded to the experience of this black person, he would just reiterate the same sort of point that you mentioned, that there's differences between the white and the black individual, and instead of actually naming the trait or set of traits. So, I mean,
Do you think that do you think a human life and an animal life are exchangeable, like have the same moral consideration, like from one to the other?
you mean morally equal?
Yeah.
You often equate moral sufficiency and moral equality, and that brings up a really good question because it's quite obvious, as you've said many times before, that no intelligent vegan position would actually equate the two. There would be some sort of hierarchy, like when you spoke to Cosmic Skeptic. And so I think this actually exposes my point yet further because if about 70 million would have been stripped away between animals between that time, and there would have been about 5,000 children. I mean, that's about a difference of, what is it, 70,000 times? I mean, or 7,000 times. Is it really the case that the moral value of animals isn't even to a sufficient level of consideration, even though 70 million would have been stripped away between that time and only 5,000 for children?
I mean, I think you can have hierarchies within buckets. So, like, we could say that, we wouldn't necessarily say that, like, we would put one human life would go in a different moral bucket than another human life. But, like, if we were comparing two humans, to some extent, we have to make some of these calls when it comes to, say, organ transplants, right? If you could transplant a new heart into a 90-year-old patient versus, like, a 20-year-old patient.
Where's the moral dilemma? You could value both. You could denounce both. It's not like you have to choose between the
Yeah, but we're
animals
not
and
talking
the
about
children.
that. So the thing that you're hitting me with is you're saying, what's the difference morally between you and Trump if you're condemning Trump for separating human babies and
The
human
morally
adults?
relevant distinction, not just the difference.
Well, sure. Well, I mean, I think it's a morally relevant distinction that that I would protect greater classes of humans than he would, even if neither of us would protect, I guess,
If you
animal
can
life.
value both, then what do you mean greater? What's the relevance of that?
Well, you're drawing a larger circle around what should be protected than what I would draw. I would draw a smaller circle, and then Trump would draw an even smaller circle still, so that would be the difference, right?
What do you mean smaller circle? The arbitrary.
As in, my circle would include immigrants, and his circle doesn't include immigrants. So mine is larger and his is smaller. But you're saying, well, why is it that if you're
You mean the net amount of total beings, right?
well, we're talking about categories of people, but sure.
Is that a yes? Because you said smaller circle.
No, net implies number. I'm talking categories of things. Like I'm talking about different categories of things.
So what do you mean by the larger and smaller circle?
The larger circle would include a greater number of categories of things that I would protect in terms of life.
Right, which effectively means the total number of beings, right?
Not necessarily, no.
So then what do you mean?
There's a difference between a category and a thing itself, right? Like a category could have a million things.
What's the category
so somebody
that's
could protect
encapsulate?
10 categories, and each category could have one thing, and another guy could protect one category with a million things. But
No offense, but this all sounds like jargon, right? Because if I was asking someone
Hold on,
again, who's
wait.
a slave owner, if I ask someone who's a slave owner, what does it exclude?
This is not jargon. I'm being pretty precise with my language. I'm saying that I would draw a bigger circle around the categories of things, not necessarily the individual numbers of people in those things or the individual numbers of things in those categories. I'm saying there are certain categories that I care about, like the separation of immigrant children from immigrant parents, and Trump doesn't seem to care about that. So I would have apparently I'm casting a wider net in terms of categories.
Sounds
there.
exactly what Trump would say. He would just make a point that he at least cares about a larger number of beings than some other dictator who cares about less, like Xi Jinping or Putin or, North Korean dictator.
Yeah,
Like,
but that might be true, right? I don't know if I would fight. If Trump were to say, well,
so then it's not a morally relevant distinction then, is it?
well, the
Because you
distinction we're
drew a
trying to draw
line
is
that
between me and Trump. There might be a morally relevant distinction between like Trump and Hitler. I would acknowledge that.
No. But the morally relevant distinction that I was asking you was with regards to the separation of mothers and children. And if he would effectively just say the same thing, that there's somebody out there who's worse than him, that doesn't justify the question that's being posed.
Yeah, but we're not justifying anything. You just asked for a distinction. You
A
can have
morally
distinc-
relevant distinction.
You can have a morally relevant distinction between two things, but both things are still bad. There's a difference between assaulting someone
Well,
and
then
murdering
it sounds like you're
someone.
assuming that. So do you want to ask what a morally relevant distinction would be defined as, instead of just taking it to mean something that can be posed to the agent themselves?
Well, I guess when you say morally relevant distinction, what do you mean by
The
that?
same exact way that Isaac would have posed it to you, Vegan Gaines would have posed it to you, despite you,
That's
going
not
to your
telling me
echo chamber
anything.
on
I'm
the
asking
stream.
you what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, so I was trying to finish my sentence. So the same thing that would be meant, which is to your own view. Do you think that you avoid the logical consequences behind the thing it is that you're justifying? That would be.
How
so
can
you
I
na- you
avoid the
named trait
logical
being human.
consequences behind the thing that you have to own the consequences of the thing you're justifying? No.
But what you mean, like admit that you hold the position?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. I would hope you're not being dishonest.
Okay. So what is the?
Well, I mean, it's your view, right? So you said the trait was being human. Was the trait that made it morally acceptable to, strip mothers and children away in one context and not the other, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
But now we're talking about like how I'm protecting things. Before, the thing that you premised this on was that Trump's distinctions were his distinction between immigrants and non-immigrants. I can't criticize that because I don't draw a distinction between
not that you
humans and
can't.
non-humans.
Not that you can't. That it would be a morally relevant distinction, and it would be very funny
When you say morally relevant, what do you mean when you say that?
So yeah, I'll say it again. That the logical consequences of the view, right, morally relevant, would be a large distinction. I'm not saying it's the case that cows don't have hooves. Or
No, wait. I just define that thing. I don't
cocktail.
understand what that means. Morally relevant. What do you mean a morally relevant distinction?
A morally relevant distinction would be something that makes a difference of consideration to a large enough degree that it would move you from one position versus the other.
Okay, so it has to be something that it's like a binary, like, or it's like a categorically different thing. So like, there's no morally relevant difference between assaulting someone and murdering someone to you. They're both just wrong, right?
Assaulting someone and murdering someone. No, there's hierarchies to these concepts, of course.
Well, okay, so then I don't understand. Then it feels like that saves my argument from your morally relevant distinction.
Having a hierarchy doesn't mean that you're not excluding beings from having protection with regards to their right to life and basic autonomy, simply because of what you just mentioned was a species, right? If my gene detector just went off and found out that destiny is actually not the species of what you are, which is human, is it okay to kill and eat you by your own logic?
Well, I don't know. That's a whole separate argument.
You don't know?
Well, that's a
Wait,
totally
but if
separate.
hold on.
You're jumping.
But if
you're
it's your
jumping.
view, if it's your view,
I'm not going to answer whatever question you say because you're jumping topics completely. The initial question was whether or not I would be able to essentially to criticize Donald Trump's position if it would be hypocritical of me to do so
you
because I'm not
can
vegan.
justify it, but the question is if you can justify it to any meaningful degree to which your audience would say, oh, wow, that's something that makes a difference. When Frederick Douglass gave his speech on the 5th of July in 1852, he talked about the very core foundation of name the trait. The same underlying logic that said not what difference is there, but he essentially pointed to a trivial difference. Or Elizabeth Stanton, who asked, the same prejudice that allowed for color, allowed for sex. It's just these trivial differences. So I think that democracy was built off of this same exact question that's being posed to you, and you just keep essentially running back to these concepts that no one can really understand when they try to unravel it. I'm still having difficulty understanding it. Is the trait human that you think makes it acceptable?
It is, but that wasn't what the initial thing was. The initial thing was me and Trump can have a different position on immigrants, and I don't lose the ability to criticize
You keep
them for
saying
that.
different and taking out the component that I think matters, which is morally relevant distinction.
Sure, we can have a morally relevant distinction on how to treat immigrants, and I can
To
criticize
whom? To yourself, right?
What do you mean?
You said we can have a morally relevant distinction, right?
Yes.
From your own view, right?
Sure.
I would ask your audience if you think that you're morally distinct from Trump because you drew the line at where moral value was lost simply because of the trait species. Again, I think if you were honest about the reductive that I gave you, which falls from the view that I took my little beep detector out and it said destiny is actually an android, that your audience would not want to kill and eat you by your own logic, but you would agree in order for, I'm sure, to maintain logical consistency that that's the case, right?
Not necessarily. That's a really complicated question.
Wait, no, but it would follow from the view. If the trait was actually genuinely what you just said, which was being human, then it would have to follow from your view. You shouldn't not know that. You should know that. This is just like when you spoke to Vegan Gains. You said you weren't sure, but you should be sure if that's your view.
Sure. So that's a totally different argument. We were focusing on the Trump thing. If you want to have like a general argument, I guess, about veganism, that we can have like the general argument about
It's
veganism.
still,
but
no. It entails the concept of name the trait, but it still
No,
reduces
name the trait
down
is
to,
a
it still
singular-
reduces down to Trump
No, so
because if
name
you
the trait
think,
is a singular way by which we can try to expose a non-vegan's hypocrisy when it comes to veganism if we want.
not hypocrisy, logical inconsistency, or absurdity, and it seems like you're taking that one.
Whatever, sure. Whatever you want to say. But the
broader question's about Trump, though.
Yeah. Even the comparisons to the slave-owning people before, I don't think were necessarily compelling. Like, even if a person, might have a bad view on slavery, we would still say there's a huge moral difference between a person's view on human life who wants to kill all humans or enslave all humans versus somebody who wants to enslave just a certain race of humans. The person who wants to enslave anyone, would you not recognize there's a difference between those two people?
Again, you keep saying
I'm gonna
difference.
ask
It's a
that
morally
over-
relevant
Is
distinction.
there a morally relevant distinction between those two people? Somebody who wants to enslave all people or somebody who wants to enslave just one kind of person?
One, of course. If there was a
so
woman
they
who was
can
going to
have
be
a
raped and
morally-
killed versus
Yeah.
just killed, I would obviously choose one evil over the other. But
Sure,
that
so then
moral
why
dilemma
can't I make the
doesn't
same
get you out of-
distinction?
That moral dilemma doesn't get you out of the base question, which you don't have to choose either.
What do you mean you don't have to choose either?
You don't have to choose either atrocity.
Sometimes you
can
do,
denounce-
though, right? Like in an election, you have
Is
to.
that the context that's being asked of you?
Well, the context that was being
You
asked.
can't answer yes or no. I'm just going to ask you, is that the context that was originally being asked of you, or did you assume that?
I don't
Because-
know. I don't know how this maps onto the concept. Originally, it seemed like the question.
Sure. So stripping mothers and children away
Yes.
for the context exactly as we do in regards to animals, which is just to eat them. Or Trump actually at least has a better, on the book superficial sounding reason because he's trying to protect America. But you're actually lower than that on that tier because you're talking about the
Then
concept
don't
of just
vote for
eating
me. I guess
animals.
if you care about veganism. I mean,
Wait, what's that?
don't vote for me. I guess if you care about veganism. I don't.
That sounds exactly what Trump would do. He would use humor in order to deflect instead of actually defending.
I'm
his
not
position
using
logically.
humor to deflect. I think that you can have two people that are both
You
non-vegans.
just said don't vote for you,
You can
right?
have
Was
two
that your
people
position?
that are non-vegans, and you can have like a moral distinction between the two in the
You
positions
just
they
said you're
hold.
not joking,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. What?
Well, you just said don't vote for you on veganism. I think if Trump said don't vote for me on black rights, again, you've only proven my point that you are MAGA. You're succumbing to the same exact ideology underlyingly. That,
Okay, do you
guys,
think
that's
that-
not to say that he has the identical views that are held, but the underlying logic therein. And if you think that there's a morally relevant distinction, I implore you to actually think about it.
Okay.
Saying okay rhetorically and not going back to how you think you're morally distinct doesn't get you out of the point.
I've already said how I'm morally distinct. You don't
You've
accept the answer
said
because
it, but
you're.
you have it, but every single time rhetorically you've lost it because you're going up against.
No, I
someone who's
haven't lost it
philosophically
because you want to
competent.
have a further debate on like how to justify the position of veganism.
No, underlyingly, it comes back around to that. If you think that there is some sort of a distinction between humans and animals that makes it acceptable, but if your justification hinges on you being distinct from Trump because of that underlying distinction, that's not necessarily the same thing.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So the broader question is still, how do you morally distinguish yourself from Trump? Underlyingly, there's a premise of that if you can't name a morally relevant distinction between humans and animals, such that one atrocity of stripping mothers and children away in one context because of species is acceptable, then yes, you can go back to name the trait. But if you're the point is just that there's two separate questions. One's a question within a question with regards to name the trait. I just assumed, or not really assumed, but knew from what your public position was last on veganism that you said, the trait was species, so on and so forth. You had a chance to name it again, but that again, that doesn't sound like anything else Trump would or wouldn't say. It sounds exactly like what he would say. He would try to name mothers and children are being stripped away. Well, they're just another species. Don't vote for me when it comes to, black rights or women's rights, Jew rights, any of these other rights.
Okay. I think I'm understanding what you're getting at. Okay. I'm going to try to rephrase your argument and tell me if this is what you're saying, okay? All right? Okay. I think you're trying to say that I have a position on veganism versus non-veganism, and part of this ultimately would reduce down to an argument related to name the trait. And my justification for killing animals versus not killing humans would be that I would name some trait that you would say that if you would explore through argumentation, you'd find this ultimately an arbitrary distinction.
No, not that I would think that either you from your own view or anybody else can judge
Anybody
it.
logically would say this. Okay.
What's that?
Anybody logically parsing the statements or anybody...
No, there's a big distinction there because you might just say, well, that's from your own vegan perspective. But if it hinges on the core values that you already have regarding human rights and it starts from a human and says at what point is moral value lost, you don't get out of that by saying that I already value animals because it doesn't start from that. It would be true of your own view that if you said, again, I took the little beep detector and it found out that Destiny was an android, that would presumably be problematic from your own view.
I mean... maybe. I don't know how we would resolve that. I mean, we can talk about that next.
You say maybe, but is the trait
hold on. You keep trying to... I'm just trying to understand your argument, okay?
Okay, sure.
So it sounds like you're trying to say that I'm using name the trait to draw a distinction between human and non-human, and I'm using that to justify why one is okay and one isn't okay, but that ultimately, if I were to explore that, I wouldn't be able to justify my arguments there. But that if we look at Trump, I'm trying to criticize Trump, and you're saying, well, your criticism of Trump is that he's essentially using, like, name the trait between immigrants and non-immigrants, therefore we're both powering our positions with the same type of argumentation. So how can I criticize one versus
Not the
other?
same. I don't know if same type of argumentation means the same underlying logic that attempts to make a distinction between.
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I understand your perspective when it comes to that. We would have to explore, I guess, the vegan side of the argument more. Do you think on a broader level, do you feel like there is a difference between those two types of people, or in your mind is every single non-vegan basically like incapable of logically criticizing like any other non-vegan
No,
position?
that's a separate question, right? Being able to logically criticize somebody else that's worse than you is distinct from whether or not you succumb to the underlying logic of the other party in question.
Do you think that it might be that one party might be preferable even if they use the same
Sure.
underlying
So
logic?
I can understand where, if I understand you correctly, you're trying to say, for example, can a pedophile judge Hitler? Of course they could. For example, somebody who's bad can judge somebody else who's worse, but still operate under some sort of disregard for the rights of other beings. That doesn't really get you out of the position in question. And so all I understand from you so far
Okay,
is
wait.
I'm
So
very
then,
confused.
just so we can establish, so I can criticize Trump, and I can say that one side, the Democrats, is preferable to the other side.
It was never a matter of if you could say that you could criticize
well, sure.
Trump.
Then we should be able to
it's
say
if
yes.
you
Then I
had a
can,
morally
right? I
relevant
can,
distinction.
right?
It's if you had a morally relevant distinction.
Okay, but I'm just we have some shared ground. Like we can say that one side is preferable to the other, even if both are non-vegan.
We've gone through the concept of moral dilemmas, but this is a matter of moral sufficiency.
I understand that, but I'm just asking the question again. Can we say that we prefer one side over the other, even if both sides are non-vegan, because of other moral positions they might hold that might have some more relevance?
Saying that you have a preference is not the question, though, that was originally posed to you.
No, that's the question I'm asking right now.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is this water available?
Yeah. Wait, did you drink it?
No.
Well, I mean, someone else has been drinking it, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so, so then rephrase, catch me up. So what is our disagreement on right now? You're saying right now that I'm not able to criticize Trump's position on immigration because we don't have a morally relevant distinction between how I justify non-veganism and how he justifies kicking illegals out
You
of the
could
country.
say that's what caused you to be logically consistent, but it seems that it would make you absurd because you said the trait was species, but then you actually contradicted because you said you're not sure. So is it the trait species that distinguishes the two?
I mean, can't there be, if we're talking about like a category of actions that somebody's taking, there's like a category of actions that would probably be unacceptable against a certain category of thing. It seems like even if me and Trump disagree on how we arrive at a certain place, like we're both using kind of like name the trait. If you're going to say I'm using name the trait, we're both using name the trait to power different types of arguments. Like I feel like your criticism here would be more on the nose if Trump was using name the trait to just like kill illegal immigrants.
No, I'm not saying that the result of the action necessarily means that it's going to be, the removal of the right to life in those situations. That's why I analogize just the stripping away from mothers and children. There's a further problem, of course, of murder and so on, but I just think it's very interesting to focus on the specific concept as it pertains to what I've seen you be passionate about several times, which was, human mothers and children be stripped away and then criticize Trump for it, but then not be able to say what the trait is. Again, you say it's species, but then you don't actually bite the bullet on that.
Well, I mean, I think I would bite the bullet on it, but we would have to explore the other hypothetical you gave more.
But when I took out the beep detector, found out that you were an android, you weren't even sure if you'd find it to be okay for you, by your own view, if you were to be killed and eaten.
Well, because I think it would significantly alter the understanding of what it means to be human, and it would probably significantly alter the understanding of what I even think of myself. Right?
Is that just to say yes, you'd be consistent on you being killed and eaten for food because we found out that you weren't human?
I don't know. We would have to explore what that means.
If you
when we
don't
say
know,
that we're not
Destiny,
human.
respectfully, if you don't know, then it's not your position.
No, what it means is I have to think about it a little bit more before addressing.
But then the
hardcore
trait is
vegan.
not. But then the trait is not species if you're not sure about it. That's a contradiction.
I understand that you can say these words because you've ran down these arguments 50 trillion times in the
No,
vegan
no, no,
Discord
it's like-
server
if you-
because
if you think
Isaac and
I'm-
Vegan
if
Games
you
have trained
think
you.
it's
What I'm
false,
saying
if-
is that like
if-
I'm not
no,
going to sit here and
Destiny,
own.
you're trying to gain rhetorical ground.
No,
If you
hold
think
on.
it's
I'm not
false-
gaining. Hold on. You've been screaming the entire conversation. Okay, chill. Okay.
Screaming?
All I'm saying, well, no, but you're like rattling off like all of the hardcore fucking debater vegan
Okay, well,
points
then
like
make a
crazy.
distinction there.
I don't know if I can at this point in time. I'm not
I
prepared
know
to
you
have a
can't make a
hardcore
moral
debate.
distinction with regards to the rights of life of humans and animals, so you can't make a
Well, no, I can make the moral
regards to
distinction, and then I
yelling.
consider the life of humans to be life that should be protected, but I don't consider the life of animals to be protected.
That's just that's circular. So I'm wondering what the trait is.
Well, it's not circular. It's axiomatic. It's just foundational, right? I value human life. Some people value greater than human life, right? I don't know if you can justify that.
If you're trying to say it's irreducible and you have some sort of virtue that says that you just care about the species in question, right? Like it could be axiomatic, but it still has to be something true of the being in question. Because otherwise, if it was the same being and you had a difference of attitude, that would be contradictory. Like, how would you distinguish if you were blindfolded whether or not you would kill one set of being versus the other? You wouldn't just say it's axiomatic. There'd have to be something that was described.
Wait,
of
I don't
the
even
trait.
understand what the purpose of that question is. That could be applied to two humans, and you might be able to not distinguish it if you're blindfolded. How does that?
With regards to whether or not you find it acceptable to take their life.
How could, if you're blindfolded, you don't even have the
You have
ability
the
to
traits
gather
described.
enough.
You have the traits described to you. So if you just said it's axiomatic, and I said that, well, I don't know which being to kill by means of your own view. What do I do? And you just say kill the one that's human. That's effectively just reducible to you saying it's because of their species. So that's going to reduce down to some thing.
Why does
true
it
of
have
the
to
being.
reduce down to anything?
Because if you were talking about the same object and you had a difference of attitude, then it would be a contradiction. It's like
It
saying
doesn't
I'm
have.
on the
Wait.
outside
Why
of the room.
can't a thing just be in the same category of objects? Like I can talk about two different humans without having to morally distinguish one category of human from another category of human.
If you were talking about the same context of the removal of rights, but you had a difference of attitude, or you claimed to have a difference of attitude, but you said that there was no morally relevant distinction between the two, that's the contradiction.
I don't understand how there could be a contradiction. I can have different human beings that are all human beings that have different categories of rights.
So say that there's two beings that are in front of you, and I ask you, which one would you find to be acceptable to kill? One's a human, one's a cow. And you just say you just value the one, not the other. It's going to beg the question of what about the being that would cause you to say that one has more
Sure,
value.
the fact that one is a human and one isn't.
So the trait is species then.
Sure, yeah.
Belonging to the hoping. You just said that it wasn't your trait, but again, if I took out the beep detector,
I never said that it wasn't. I never said that it wasn't my trait. I'm saying that I can still draw distinctions between two humans without having to say that. It's a contradiction because I'm recognizing there might be different rights between two different humans.
No. The concept isn't if one has more or less moral value. It's with regards to, again, the same exact context of the removal of the moral value of the beings. So it's you can. if I understand,
Trump is not removing the moral value of any beings, though. I don't understand the comparison there.
wait. He absolutely would be if he's. You just said it yourself.
No,
earlier,
this was the
right?
thing I was pointing out earlier. I was saying that-
undocumented. You said undocumented immigrant or people are having their rights removed, and that's not happening to people who are documented or.
Yeah, but they're not having all of their rights removed. Trump is still treating them as he would treat.
Did I analogize all the rights?
Yeah, yes, that was the distinction we were literally just talking about 2 seconds ago.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I clearly said with regards to stripping away children from their mothers.
Then what is your issue with what I just said 3 seconds earlier? So then we agree. Then Trump is not stripping away all of their rights, correct?
I didn't just say all their rights. I said with regards to the situations of where mothers are being stripped away from their children.
Okay.
So I said 5,000 at the beginning.
Okay.
That happened
So
between
back me up. So what is our disagreement then on this?
your attempt to try to justify the distinction between yourself and Trump is apparently you're confused on if that's species or not. So I don't know how you really distinguish yourself from this guy that you're going on a whole anti-Trump.
So I don't understand how I can't say that Donald Trump doles out different sets of rights to different groups of humans that I don't agree with.
No. You keep saying you don't understand how you can't say something.
I don't understand.
That's
That's
a
not a
modal
morally
term.
relevant distinction between how Trump doles out rights to somebody and how I would dole out rights to
Wait,
somebody.
what was the first part?
I don't understand how we can't. There's not a morally relevant distinction between how the two of us assigned rights to different categories of people.
Do you think there is one?
Yeah.
Is it belong to the species human?
No, I don't think. No, not generally.
So then, what is the trait then?
But, well, it would be like immigration status or nationality or skin color sometimes.
Yeah, so if somebody looked at Destiny and looked at Trump and said that the reason why you excluded one set of beings and he excluded one set of beings was because in his sense he said nationality, the arbitrarity of the moral value in question from one set of beings versus another, I think to any other being would say if they looked at the immigrants in question and said, oh, they found out tomorrow that they weren't actually belong to the species Homo sapien because the beep detector went off or their mind was transferred into another being.
We're not talking at the level of species though.
It would be if that's your justification. You said that's the thing that distinguishes you and Trump, such that if someone were to look at Destiny, they should view you morally distinct from Trump because this is how you draw your exclusion versus how he draws his exclusion.
Yeah, but I don't understand what the problem is there.
I'm sure you wouldn't, just like how a slave owner wouldn't understand what the problem is.
But the slave owner would see the
if it's
distinction.
axiomatic and it's irreducible to just not, like Nick Fuentes, like when Vegan Gains asked you, like, you just value white people with blue eyes. I mean, yeah, you just value that. But I highly doubt that, right? Because again, when I made it very abundantly clear and said my beep detector went off and you're an android, you then got all, oh, I don't know if I would be okay with being killed and eaten for food.
Well, no, it would probably radically redefine how I would view that category of thing, so it's hard to imagine that thing.
Then it's not the case that it causes a reduction of moral value, is it?
Well,
So then it's
nobody
not
has
the
ever
trait.
been measured with a gene detector and been found to have not had human genes. So I mean, like, it's
Wait, what?
Nobody's been measured with a gene beep detector.
That's a
and it's been-
hypothetical denial.
No, what?
You said nobody's been measured with a gene detector, and I'm asking you if it were the case that they were.
If somebody asks me how many different, like, what different types of bathrooms should be in a theater, and I say
Okay,
male and female, and then you say, so you believe that there are two genders, and I go, yes, so you would only have two bathrooms, and I go, yeah, and it's like, what if I had a gene detector or some magical thing, and now I found out that there were 10 genders, and I go, okay, well then I guess I would have 10 bathrooms, and then you go, oh, so then you wouldn't have two bathrooms.
What is it you think
Well,
I'm
of course
analogizing?
Well, you're saying that there's some beep detector, then I would find out that I am somehow not belonging to the species of human or whatever. That would radically probably redefine the way that I view that category, and so I would have to reconsider a lot of my, I guess, moral considerations for it.
So then you wouldn't name the trait belonging to the Homo sapien species then as
No,
the
I
reason
would
why.
because that's never been a thing that's been contradicted in the category
But you
of
can
Homo sapien
posit the
species.
thought experiment, just like how, again, if the black rights activist and I was in 1852
Just
along with
because I
Frederick
can
Douglass,
posit the thought experiment doesn't justify it in real life if the thing never actually comes to fruition.
those are the logical consequences of your view. If the white person's consciousness was transferred into the black person's consciousness and they were to say to me, well, that's not of the real world, this, that, or the other, and they tried to escape from it, or if the woman was to say it to the man, if the person who is exploiting Jews were to say, hey, don't put them in a concentration camp because of that, and they tried to run away from it because they said, well, it's not of the real world, guys. I know you love to posit that to your audience to reject hypotheticals.
But those things
conveniently.
I don't reject hypotheticals.
You
I'm
do.
honestly,
You just did. You said that doesn't happen in the real world.
I'm not rejecting your hypothetical. You're rejecting my answer to the hypothetical by saying I'm avoiding the hypothetical. You're telling me
how
that
am I
if you could
rejecting
scan a magical device on me, and it would show
See,
that I'm
that's the rhetoric right there. You said magical device.
this would be a magical device.
What's the
I'm
value
sorry.
of saying
I'm
those
sorry.
words?
A scientific device that measures me, something that delivers.
How about just instead of giving any cute words on the side, you actually
You literally
engage
called
with
it a gene beeper, didn't you? What do you mean?
Is that the point of fixation with regards to
I'm
what's
not
being asked of
fixating
you?
on it. I was trying to get to the hypothetical.
This is exactly Trump antics.
Okay.
Hey, look,
This
everybody,
is
you're
vegan
gonna
server
talk-
antics,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
okay,
you're
it
only
is.
making my point.
What I'm saying is that if you could measure me and it turns out that I belong to a totally different species, then that would probably radically alter the way that I view the category of human being. And so
And the you now, but now you're equivocating off of the point in time. I'm
hold
asking
on,
you
I'm
now.
going to finish this. When I say that beeper were to beep me and I were to be non-human, it would radically alter the way that I would define that category and view
Am
that
I
category.
asking that
And then
version
it
of you
would
or this?
probably, and then all of the morality that is entailed by my understanding of that category would also probably necessarily cascadingly change.
If I understand that correctly, you don't understand the hypothetical because I'm asking you now what your current preferences are. So if you were to look at that version of yourself, would it be okay? I'm not asking once the beep detector were to go off, would that version of you then change? You can think of it now. I can hypothesize, hey, later I'm going to go to the store and pick out cherry versus blueberry soda. Like you can just posit the hypothetical and imagine that version of yourself. But we're asking the current version of you.
Yeah, but the hypothetical to some extent is absurd because you're posing.
There we go. There's a hypothetical that I was waiting for. So go ahead.
Okay. I would say that my feelings of the hypothetical is absurd is because you're implying some abstract thing that can emerge from something that I would say is impossible for it to emerge from. It's like a logical impossibility.
So on what modality is it impossible? You said logical, right?
Yeah, that there's no way that a human being like me can emerge from something that is not like a human understanding of our DNA or whatever.
Wait. The impossibility is logical, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm sorry. What's the claim that's specifically logically impossible?
That the abstraction of a human being emerges necessarily from the underlying genetic stuff that makes up humans. However you want to define that.
I'm trying to understand. The abstraction of a human being emerges from what?
From our DNA.
So you're just trying to say you can't imagine an alternate being that looks like you but doesn't have human species?
I'm saying that it doesn't seem to be a thing that's part of that category of human being.
Of the human, yeah. I mean, that's your trait, right? It's stipulated that they don't have the species human. So, but your problem was that it was a logical impossibility. That doesn't encapsulate a logical impossibility if you can imagine the being.
No, but it would radically change the way that I would view that category, and there would be a bunch of other cascading effects that would come from that.
But Destiny, that's not a logical impossibility.
No, but it would. I'm just saying that.
But you just claimed it was.
Okay.
If you want to be not like Trump, can you at least concede that?
So it's not about being like Trump. The issue is that like because you guys.
So you can.
So just okay. So I understand that you guys like to railroad everything down into like these like very 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 discrete like top logic ones. It's not respectfully. You're not capable of having. The reason why our earlier conversation was failing, by the way, is because you have this concept that you learned in the server called morally relevant distinction, and you cannot like fathom anything. That
No,
doesn't,
I understand
like,
it outside of
no,
the
you
server.
didn't. You couldn't understand anything. That's why I had to rephrase your argument like 5 times for us to have some type of conversation with each other. But so the issue is that like if somebody were to tell me, would you ever recommend drinking a radioactive poison, and I say, well, no, I don't think I would ever recommend that ever. And they're like, oh, really? Well, what if radioactive poison was sometimes healthy for you? Then I say, okay, well, then I guess that I would.
I'm not changing. No, I'm not changing the context. It's held constant. So
no, nothing is constant because in my mind right now, my being cannot emerge from a non-human DNA foundation. That's impossible.
You said if it were sometimes acceptable. Was that what analogous to what I said?
What do you mean?
You said in your analogy, you said, well, what if I told you that the radioactive poison? It's unclear how any of this tracks, but if I could at least get one component that I think you're analogizing.
Wait, you can't understand you're completely and totally unable to understand my analogy. It's totally.
I'm trying to understand. You said in your analogy, if someone were to say, what if this radioactive poison were to sometimes harm you? And I'm wondering how that tracks back to what I said.
Okay, what if the radioactive poison was actually always healthy for you, was always good for you?
Okay, how is that that's an example. How does that track back to what I said? How does that plug in?
You really can't understand how it tracks back to what you said.
What specifically are you trying to analogize?
Okay, I'm going to restate my thing and I'm going to let you figure it out, okay? I'm saying that if there is a thing, okay, there's a cup of radioactive poison, and when one of the properties of this is when you drink it, your body dissolves, okay? And I say you should never drink the radioactive poison. And if somebody says, oh yeah, well, I, measure this thing, and actually, this radioactive poison, the stuff you call radioactive poison, this is actually okay for you to drink. So, like, now how do you feel about it? Well, my feelings about that thing would probably change radically, and all things that I define as like radioactive poison would change radically.
So I've heard you restate it, and since you want to play this game of natural language instead of actually spelling it out clearly for me, I'm going to give it to you. You said that there's somebody who would drink a radioactive poison posed as a hypothetical. I don't see how there's anything analogous in terms of the logical components there. And then if you're talking about what I thought you were discussing, which was proving that this was somehow a logical impossibility or something that you couldn't answer or something like that, I didn't get that either from your hypothetical.
What?
Try to gain more rhetorical ground. It's okay.
I'm not trying to gain rhetorical ground. You're the one who's using. This is the reason why nobody likes Isaac, by the way. This is why, because of the way you guys
I
debate,
can't
right?
hear you. This is the reason
the
why what?
problem is that you're trying to gain rhetorical ground by smashing prop logic and pretending that you're making any kind of coherent point.
You know what the
If
funny
the goal
part
is to just like smash
you know
the prop logic and do it, you can do it.
Is plastered
But
online.
no
Why
one
do
is
you
talking.
think?
No one is talking about name the trait right now. I know that you really are super eager to run down that
No,
line
no,
of
no.
thought,
I'm giving it as
but
an
nobody's
example.
trying-
I mean, you were just trying to cut me
what
off.
I'm saying is that there is a
trying to
lot
cut me
to
off.
explore. I'm not trying. You literally just told me to try to win rhetorically, so I'm going to try to win rhetorically. Okay? You're trying to ask me a hypothetical, and you're saying that I'm refusing to engage with a hypothetical because I'm telling you the hypothetical entails more than a simple yes or no. If somebody were to scan somebody and show that, hey, this thing that you have this understanding of as being a human being can actually emerge from a totally different thing, well, then my understanding of that category and all of the things that I feel about it, moral, metaphysical, and everything else, those things would also probably radically change.
If you're saying I didn't give you enough context, then
No,
you
that's
should
not
say
at
that.
all what I just said.
You just said
I
you
didn't
would-
say that. I didn't say that at all.
So then, what are you trying to say? That's true.
Try to figure it out. What did I just say?
Destiny, this is condescending.
I agree.
What
All right,
specifically? What specifically, with regards to the hypothetical, are you posing as a problem? Because I'm
The problem is that I don't think
confused.
humans can emerge from non-human DNA. One necessarily entails the other.
Right, you said cannot. That's another
Yes.
modal term. Right. So do you think that's what I asked you?
No.
So then you're not tracking the hypothetical.
I am tracking the hypothetical. I'm just saying
You
that
just said no, that's not what I asked you. And the whole audience laughed just a moment ago with regards to when you said the term condescending.
What I'm saying is
but
that if you were to
didn't- but
show
you didn't-
me-
You admitted you didn't track the hypothetical, so I'm going to give it back to you. I said if I took out a beep detector and found out that you were technically not human, you're telling me that you can't understand the concept behind it because of some sort of idea that the hypothetical I gave you is absurd, logically impossible. Whenever I unpacked that, you didn't have an answer.
I'm saying I understand the concept behind it. I'm just saying that thing.
That's all that's required.
Okay, I'm saying that it would radically change my concept or understanding of that particular category, but it wouldn't necessarily change the way that I engage with it. The category of human. Maybe instead then I would split it into two categories of, I guess there's maybe subdivision human A and subdivision human B. But these would still be part of the ontological category of human, so you haven't escaped
The current
human
you now,
problem.
the current you now is making that decision. Then you're saying.
I'm saying that could be possible. I don't know what the difference would be. I guess we would have to dive more into the distinction. But if you measure something and you find out that it's actually something that you didn't think it was, then I would have to reanalyze that category. I'd have to change the way that I view
What
it.
I'm asking to you now, so is it the trait belong to the species Homo sapien or not?
Right now it is, yes. But
When I gave
All
you
right,
the
final
reductio-
thoughts,
wait,
Mr.
no, wait, hold on.
Vegan. Final
Hold on,
thoughts.
wait, hold on. Okay. When somebody 10,000 years ago identified something as water, okay, and they identified a thing as water, and when somebody today identifies a thing as H2O, are they identifying the exact same thing? Do they both mean the same thing? Are they both saying the same thing?
Not necessarily.
How not? What's the difference?
If someone were to, from your hypothetical, if someone were to describe the same concept, but someone were to understand it differently, then no.
So two people, you bring them 10,000 years ago and a modern person. One person looks at a thing and they go, that's water. And the other person goes, that's H2O.
Okay.
Are they identifying and talking about the same thing?
Of course, yeah. If they point to the same exact object and say that they described it differently, but they're talking about the same thing.
Do they have? Could they not have a different understanding of the thing? So, for instance,
could.
the guy who says something is water, maybe the other guy, and then you say, water and H2O are the same thing, and then you identify it as H2O. Well,
Wait,
maybe it's not.
But it's not the same thing. This was originally about moral sufficiency, and I know that you've tried to take.
No,
out
hold on.
throttle
We're not at the moral sufficiency. I'm just saying that
That's
people.
the
I'm
thing
saying
to
that
compare.
just because we've refined our understanding of water doesn't mean that all of a sudden water doesn't exist. Or water is the same thing as every other thing. Much the same that if you were to
But
put some kind of
Destiny.
detector on me and you were to show that
What do
human
you-
beings or what I consider to be human beings emerge from something that's not just human DNA, therefore species doesn't matter. Well, it might be that species matters, but there's a further delineation that I would draw. Maybe, possibly. That could be the case.
When you say matters, that's relative to something, which was originally
Matters
what?
insofar as moral assignment goes.
You just said that's not what we were talking about. You said no, it's not about being
Not
morals.
about the water and the H2O
That is,
thing, but that's
that
the
is what the
distinction I'm saying.
discussion was, though. It
Yes,
was
but
about
if you were to
moral
put a
value.
beeper on, okay, so here's a possibility. Let's say you put a beeper on me and you find out that look, it's not human DNA, it's human B DNA. Then I would go, okay.
What do you mean by human B DNA?
I don't know. Whatever the beeper measures. What would the beeper measure?
That you're not belonging to the species Homo sapien. That's
What the
only
species
trait that
Homo
you-
sapien is
that's the
that's
only
a
trait that you
category of
said-
stuff that can expand or shrink depending on how we define it, though.
Of course, but your trait that you said causes the morally relevant distinction where moral value is lost is just not belonging to the species Homo sapien.
Sure, but there could be greater subdivisions of the species Homo sapien if that's what you measure on a device.
Is that to say that if there was a non-Homo sapien belonging species that you found out you were, that you could possibly value it?
Well, it would be hard to imagine.
Is that yes?
It would be hard to imagine that.
You don't want to answer yes or no.
I mean, I guess yes, that could be the case.
So then it's not the case that necessarily belong to the species Homo sapien matters to you. You can say it's being subjectively similar. You can say it's beings that are similar. You can name whatever trait or set of traits you want, but you're invited to think about it instead of just jumping.
I'm not really
and naming
naming
a trait.
necessarily a trait. I'm naming like a category of things.
Is it a thing true of the being of one set of beings versus another set of beings?
What does it mean by a thing true of?
A characteristic, a property about them. So if I look at humans, you recognize there's a set of characteristics or things true of them, right?
Sure, although I'm not.
It's not a gotcha. You're not signing off on anything crazy.
I don't trust him. I'm not worried about signing off on gotchas.
Oh, okay.
So I think that I mean, like, I think that
there's a set of things true of you, Destiny.
Sure, there is a set of things that are called human beings. Yes, I think scientifically right now it's like Homo sapiens. How we define that category of things.
Characteristics. Right. So those are all built off of characteristics.
Sure.
Okay, and so we'll re-explain this again, that the concept of animals have a set of things that are true of them as well, right?
Sure.
Okay, so that means that you do understand the concept of traits, which is just to say things true of the two sets of beings. And again, name the trait is asking where moral value is lost between the two sets of beings. So when you say that the trait is belonging to the species Homo sapien, but I were to remove that thing that's true of the being, in this case you, because of the beep detector, then it would have to follow logically. It's not trying to pull a gotcha, because I don't care about whether or not you succumb to that position. I would hope that you would actually be logically consistent and not absurd and say that you do have moral value still.
Yeah, but
you're
the
one who
problem is
named
you're trying to
that you
say
don't.
that the mistake you're making is you're thinking that if you can show that the underlying property that I cared about is somehow different, that would necessarily explode that underlying property, or I never cared about that underlying property at all.
Wait,
when it might be
what
the
do you mean
fact
by
that there
explode?
might be, let me explain. There might have been some old person who says, I like to drink water, and water is important to me, but sometimes the water kills them because they're drinking salt water or something else that's poisonous. And go, okay, well, actually, no. It
we're
wasn't the
changing
water.
the context
I'm not
again.
changing the context. It wasn't the water that was important. It was the H2O that was important. You just hadn't identified that trait yet, right? So it could be the case that you could identify me as some different species or some finer thing or whatever that I wasn't aware of before, but that wouldn't necessarily say, oh, well, now I'm going to explode my concept of what moral value gets assigned to every single species that exists.
So when name the trait is posited to you, the context is held equal of the two things. So it's, for example, in the as you understand name the trait with regards to veganism, it's killing and eating one set of beings for food versus another. With regards to Trump, how I posed it, I said with regards to stripping away children from mothers in, of course, like an innocent context where, they want to be with each other. So when you say, what I don't understand is when you go back to the radioactive point, where I lose you is in trying to track what.
I don't even think. How do me and Trump even have a distinction on the traits? What are we even talking about there?
Wait. Can I just get?
Actually, I don't even know if that distinction works because me and Trump still identify both as like being like moral humans or whatever. We just assign like different.
Can I understand what you're trying to say about the radioactive point? Because I don't even think I understood what.
This is not an example that comes up in the vegan server. What do you guys normally argue on?
What are you talking about?
It sounds like if you haven't heard like a particular argument before, you can't fathom it. Like you can't follow any of my analogies or any of my like.
Particular view is.
My particular, I explained it like 20 times. I'll explain it again for you. That's okay. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Please don't take advantage of the natural language that I'm defaulting to because I'm just nervous on stage.
I think I'm using.
That sounds like something Trump
First
would
of
do
all,
in
I
front
think
of
I'm using
reporters.
natural language most up here. Okay, you're the one that wants to keep harping back on like using the.
I'm just trying to make sure I actually understand you, and it doesn't seem like you're trying to understand me or help me to understand you.
Okay.
So back to the radioactive point. Thank you. Back to the radioactive point. What were you trying to specifically make a point about insofar as this context is concerned? Because if I ask you with regards to one context that's held equal, but the traits about them change, and you mentioned radioactive content, and sometimes it hurts you, sometimes it doesn't, that doesn't sound like it tracks to what I'm analogizing.
What I'm saying is that if I identify human being as being this foundational trait that I think we all share, that we're all like the thing that gives us moral consideration, and then you say, well, I just measured something, and it's that human being thing that you're valuing is actually not a human being thing, it's something else, then what I would say is, well, I would probably change my definition of human being then to encompass whatever the new thing that you measured was.
So if you would change the trait from your current view, then that's not the trait. What is the trait?
It's not so much that I'm changing.
Or set of traits.
It's not necessarily that I'm changing the trait. It's that the trait was a proxy for something different. Much the same that when people in the past say
That's just meant to mean the same thing.
What?
It's reducible. So if you said
but I don't know how reducible anything ultimately is. So the guy that says water might not think water is reducible to a molecule, but like in the future we might know the water is reducible.
Can I explain what I mean when I say reducible instead
Sure.
of it being so? Okay. So when you say you would change human because you would presumably find that hypothetical to be unpalatable to your own preferences, then what it sounds like you're saying is that you would consider Destiny 2.0 or that other version of you to still have moral value. So from your current perspective, you could just recognize that and say that it's not the trait belonging to to Homo sapien and just try to think and elaborate on it like you said you would.
Well, I would have to ask like what the differences are.
What differences are of what?
If you're measuring something and you're saying that the science detector is measuring something different, the next question would
Not
be, what's the
belonging to the
difference?
species Homo sapien.
Yeah,
Because
but they
the
don't.
trait,
The,
as I
the
asked
science
you-
detector doesn't measure that, right?
Wait, what?
The science detector doesn't measure ontological
No, it's
categories.
it's stipulated in my hypothetical that it would measure that.
Well, then it feels like you're almost begging the question. Like I don't think I can.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like
What's
you're,
circular?
the fact that you're necessarily like prohibiting me from answering the question in a way that is logically consistent because you're saying
There's a lot of weird language baked in. What do you mean by prohibiting? Because you're able to give whatever sort of answer you want.
ooga booga.
If you don't like the logical consequences of your view to justify that you would kill Destiny 2.0, all I'm going to say, Destiny, is you should really think about how that's probably because you actually are not like Trump. And I actually did have faith in you. I think you're a lot smarter than that. You don't have to be on the wrong side of history. But every day you wake up and you say, you know what, I could change my view. I could think about this further. You'd still be wealthy. You'd still be popular. You'd still have, all these things going for you. But unfortunately, you just don't want to recognize what Isaac has pinned you on, what Regan Gaines has pinned you on. And that's philosophically. That's not in terms of combat. You could have a private discussion.
Okay, I'll get right on that. Okay.
All right, I think we're going to move on now. Put your hands together. He had a really good run.
Like I said, great seeing you again. So I have two topics that I want to talk about, and that was specifically how the government shutdown is the Democrats' fault, and also the second one, if we have enough time, being the militarization of cities being justified.
Sure. Can you, before, pull a mic right up to your face? Because you got it.
I mean, I don't want to kiss the mic like last time, bro.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're the first one up, so you're the first person to kiss it. Yeah, okay, so you want to talk about the government shutdown that's happening under the Republican president, Donald Trump, again, in a Republican-controlled Congress again. It's the Democrats' fault again.
But what about the clean CR bill, man?
Okay, what about it?
The Democrats literally voted against it. The Democrats are holding the American people hostage.
Why can't Trump negotiate with him? I thought he was the
He's
great
trying
negotiator.
to. He literally tried to
Well,
with
he
Hakeem
literally-
Jeffries. Did you not see that picture? That
Well, what
Trump
happened-
28
well,
picture?
What happened in the negotiations?
They failed because the Democrats didn't want to vote for it because people like Chuck Schumer are caring more about, I guess, their leadership, like their position, rather than the American people, because Chuck Schumer doesn't want to get primaried by AOC.
Okay, so I don't know 100% on how the CR stuff works for the Senate. Is Chuck Schumer the only Democrat in the Senate that can vote, or are there like 45 others?
I mean, yeah, of course, but what about Hakeem Jeffrey? I mean, they all vote in unison, do they not?
I don't know. Do they?
I mean, yeah, they
weren't
do.
There Republicans,
That's why.
weren't there Republicans that Democrats were able to persuade to vote for
Yeah,
legislation
only some
under
of them,
Biden?
like John Fetterman. Yeah, but there's still other people who don't want to vote for it because they want to vote for their party, which would be the Democratic Party.
So Democrats are the minority in both halves of our Congress. President Trump is a Republican.
Bro, you need 60 votes to get a bill passed in the Senate.
So they need to get 60 votes.
They're trying to, but Democrats does not.
They're trying
Democrats,
to? What
yeah,
do they,
Democrats
how do
do
they,
not want to
What was
vote
their
for
negotiation?
it. The negotiation for, well, first there was a clean CR bill, and then the second one, the Democrats proposed another one, and that one also failed because they want to have provisions for illegals.
They don't.
They do, actually.
For how?
So basically for reimbursements, so when an illegal goes to, I guess, an emergency room, the federal government would have to, I guess, reimburse the government. Not the government, the hospital, sorry, misspoke. So that's basically paying for illegals to have free health care.
Hold on. You're talking about an emergency room visit.
Yeah, but you understand that the federal government is going to literally reimburse the hospital. Who pays for that reimbursement? Just curious.
They're legally required to treat people.
Who pays for that reimbursement? Just curious. Who pays for it? Don't avoid the question. Come on, who pays for it?
Well, it depends. It's either going to be the federal government or the hospital.
And where does the federal government get their money? Just curious.
Right now, I guess through tariffs by taxing middle class and working class people.
No, actually.
Well, as of the one big beautiful bill, they get it from the Treasury by printing it.
What do you mean?
We're still running record deficits. We haven't done anything to address the debt at all.
Actually, the tariffs, he's trying to offset the deficit with tariff revenue.
Yeah, it's failing miserably.
How?
By not raising anywhere near enough money to offset the massive amount of money we're borrowing.
We were under a $1.6 trillion deficit. Did we not negotiate deals with other countries? Like
No,
the
we
EU?
haven't yet. No.
So what was the whole EU deal that happened in August?
We the same deal we have with the EU is the same one that the Republicans have with the Democrats right now for the CR.
What do you mean?
There is none.
There is none. That's a complete lie. They're still negotiating.
That means there's not a deal yet.
No, they're trying to make a deal though.
That's what negotiating means. You're negotiating a deal. It hasn't been negotiated yet.
Yeah, but you said like why doesn't Trump try to negotiate? He literally is also trying to negotiate a deal.
Maybe he should have worked on negotiating with Congress so that we didn't have another government shutdown.
He's trying to. He literally
rejected having a meeting with them before they.
He made a truth just last.
We had a troll for the last event. Okay.
Okay. We're all good now.
Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good, Don? Good job. Okay. Pull us back.
Completely forgot where we were. Not gonna.
You
lie.
mentioned that Chuck Schumer had voted for prior CRs.
Yeah.
Didn't vote for this one.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer answered that question. He said why. It's because in prior ones there's been negotiation. There's been open dialogue between both sides. On this right here, like Johnson has said that there will be no.
So would you not say that when Donald Trump invited the Senate majority and the Senate minority leader both in the cabinet, is that not like, I guess.
Both in their what?
When Donald Trump invited them, that famous picture with the Trump 28 hats? Is that not trying to have some open discourse to negotiate?
I would say that having the Trump 2028 hat
okay,
in
he
and
was
of
trolling.
itself makes it. Well, then he's trolling. Well, now the government shut down, so it's his fault.
No, it's not his fault.
It
It's
is
the
his
Democrats'
fault.
fault.
It
They're
is
for
his
holding
fault.
the
It's
for not
his fault.
voting. No, it's
why
the
would you
Democrats'
troll? Why
fault.
would you troll during a meeting if it's so important to keep the government open for the American people? Why troll in like arguably one of the more important meetings you have relating to funding the government?
Because why not? Just fucking.
Why not? Because now the government shut down and now
No,
he has to
just
eat
what
it.
you're saying. So you're saying just because he's trolling, that's shut down the whole government. That's like so disingenuous.
Well, no, the government shut down because the Republicans aren't negotiating anything with the Democrats.
They're
what
trying to. Are they?
What did Trump say he was willing to give?
Mike Johnson says he's open to, and also like
did
I
Trump
said,
say?
Donald Trump just last night saying that he's open to negotiate.
You said they had that meeting. What was Trump willing to give in that meeting?
I think he said that he asked the Senate minority leaders what they wanted basically, and they basically wanted to give these provisions to help out these illegals, and Donald was like,
they wanted to restore what was cut from Medicaid.
No.
Yeah, which was the one big beautiful bill.
No, because the one big beautiful bill reformed Medicaid.
Yeah, by making cuts.
For people who are undocumented.
No, people who are undocumented can't
yes,
get Medicaid. People who are undocumented cannot get Medicaid.
I swear, Mike Johnson, he cited from the Senate's, congressional, I can't remember the exact name right now, but basically they said that there are like 3.2 million undocumented people under Medicaid. You covered it during your stream.
I don't no. They can't. They don't qualify for Medicaid. They can't qualify for those things. You have to be a legal alien or you have to be a citizen.
An illegal alien.
Illegal.
Oh,
a legal one. Yeah.
So, no. So sorry.
The problem is that like Trump, you understand like the frustration. Like Trump can literally do no wrong.
That's not true.
Well, okay. Is it just a coincidence? Is it just a coincidence that he will have presided over more government shutdown days than all the other presidents combined in history?
I don't think that's a coincidence. No, I think it's just that Democrats, they have a big hate for him and they want to blame him for everything.
Okay. So then Donald Trump can do no wrong.
No,
right?
he can't do wrong.
It sounds like if anything bad happens on him, it's just because he has to deal with a bunch of haters.
I mean, he does he not? Like,
didn't Biden have to deal with a bunch of haters?
The current did Biden?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But
so why was he able to pass
not as much as Donald Trump. I mean, you have the entire country, fucking rallying against him with no.
You don't
kings.
think didn't Biden at one point have literally 2 special counsels one against him, one against his son while he was in office?
And didn't Donald Trump literally have like 4?
No, all of them were dismissed as soon as he came into office.
Yeah, because he beat the case.
No, he didn't. They were dismissed because he was elected president.
No, that's
the one case that was tried. He lost. The case. That's where those 34 felony convictions come from.
Didn't Jack Smith dismiss it?
Because Donald Trump came into office, they had to.
They had to. Well, okay, so you're saying that when he's out of office, they might like bring it up again?
If he survives that long, I don't know. He's old.
Come on, man. But
at some point, we have to say, okay, well, do you at least acknowledge Donald Trump is a really bad negotiator?
Some things.
On everything.
Not on everything. I mean, the whole Ukraine thing right now, it's just a big
pretty
flop.
bad, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Israel, Hamas, that's pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think we're trying.
Yeah, we've got
to-
the 47th peace deal lined
it's
up.
not even because like of Trump. It's because he's like cucked to Netanyahu.
It's because he what?
He's cucked to Netanyahu.
A little bit, sure.
Yeah,
But, like-
'cause Netanyahu is holding him like he's like his handler.
Well, no, I think it's more that just Trump is an idiot and thinks that Israel's
I
popular
mean,
with
did you
old
see
people.
that picture of like Donald Trump, pulling out the chair for Netanyahu?
Maybe, but then there's also the picture of Netanyahu having to call and apologize to the Qatari leadership.
Yeah, but like that was because they just wanted to negotiate this like I guess peace deal.
Sure.
That's
Okay, so
happening.
if Donald Trump is a cuck for some people, Donald Trump hasn't done anything with Ukraine, Russia. We have another government shutdown. The two things, arguably, that Donald Trump could have taken credit for, one would have been the Abraham Accords, which was supposed to be peace in the Middle East. Seems like that's not
Yeah, I
working
don't-
out.
yeah.
And then the other one would have been the renegotiation of NAFTA into the U.S., Mexico, Canada
Well,
Free Trade
to be
Agreement.
quite
which is-
honest, when he came into office, he actually wanted to get rid of NAFTA. He was, he said, American.
why didn't he get rid of it?
He said, well, because he had to play in politics. You have to, I guess, make some compromises. So that's why he didn't entirely get rid of it. He reformed it. But when he first came into like the political scene, he said, Americanism, not globalism. He was one of the people who championed to get rid of NAFTA. But like I said, you
Yeah,
have to
so
make
okay, so now
compromises.
his renegotiation of NAFTA is blown up due to the crazy.
What do you
tariff-
mean as blown up? You said that last time. What do you mean?
As in, like, Canada and Mexico fucking hate us now. We don't have a good trade relationship with them, and we backstep
blown
them.
up.
What? Blown up is in we had a an actual trade deal, not the ones that
Yeah.
aren't Truth Social. We had a real trade deal with both those countries, and now we are tariffing them with no cause.
Well, like I said, there's reasons why we're tariffing them because of the fentanyl that's coming
that's
in from
blowing
Canada,
up the trade
and also-
relationship. That's you think we're tariffing Canada because of fentanyl?
And that's what Donald Trump said. Did he
I
not?
know that's what he said. Do you think that's why we're tariffing them?
What?
He also said he would solve Ukraine, Russia on day one, and Israel, Palestine on day one.
Well, he said in 24 hours, but not which 24 hours.
Sure. So we could do like a Genesis chapter 1 reading of like how long is a day for Donald Trump deciding stuff. But yeah, so it seems like the great negotiator has not negotiated anything that's lasted.
Well, no, the one big beautiful bill, he negotiated that, got that passed.
He did do that, although now
Okay, so he negotiated something.
he did, but it was a betrayal of all the things that he promised. Like
How is it a betrayal?
Because he promised that he would find waste, fraud, and abuse in government and cut it. That never
he
happened. Doge
tried
was a
to.
complete
Doge
Yeah.
was a flop, but it was good in
a total flop. And then the one big beautiful bill had a massive increase in the debt ceiling, and it's more deficit spending and more borrowing from the Treasury.
Well, that's to help out, I guess, it trickles down when you have these tax cuts.
It what?
It trickles down when you have these tax cuts.
Yeah, that's called Keynesian economics, and Republicans champion against that for years. They don't like deficit spending by the government because they think it causes inflation and ruins.
I don't think it's deficit spending. I think they're cutting some resources so they can allocate it to different stuff.
But when the government spends money that it doesn't have,
I know what a
it
deficit
incurs a
is.
debt, so it is deficit spending.
Well, I think they're cutting some programs and they're reallocating those
Yeah,
resources.
but on the
so
programs
they're-
they cut, they're still running a huge deficit. They still have to borrow more money to spend.
Like USAID, I mean, we cut that, did we not?
$50 billion.
That saved $50 billion?
Yeah, but what is our discretionary, non-discretionary total spending? Is almost what, $7 trillion?
Well, in the trillions.
And now we're having to it's like $7 trillion. And now we're having to bail out our fucking soybean farmers. Now we're having to bail out Venezuela or Argentina. I mix these two up. I'm sorry. Fuck South America. Okay. Now we have to bail out. I'm just kidding. Now we have to bail out Argentina for God knows what reason.
You don't know why we're bailing out Argentina? I don't.
Well, I know it's because he likes Malay or whatever. I guess.
What? I think there's a more nuanced reason than just him liking Malay.
With some more nuanced reason.
I don't know, but I would look more into just him liking Malay. That's kind of stupid.
Is there like a Jew thing involved here?
No, that's not. Why would you assume that?
Because you're MAGA. And you're
Well,
young?
no, because
so like
MAGA
95% of the time is a Jew thing? Why?
Well, no,
What is the thing with Argentina?
I don't fucking know.
Okay. Good troll. Yeah, so Trump sucks.
Trump does not suck.
I mean, it seems like everything that he touches turns to shit. It seems like he's failed like monumentally in his job as a leader of Congress, like a spiritual
Okay,
leader
you're
of his
holding him
party
to
for
such
Congress.
a high standard, bro.
What?
Like, you hold him like to such a high standard.
hold
Why
him to the
didn't you
same
hold
standard?
Biden to the same standard?
Biden exceeded whatever standard anybody set for him on every level.
How?
And Trump has failed. Well, he managed to pass tons of comprehensive, huge legislation, some that the Republicans wanted to but couldn't, like an infrastructure bill. He managed to create a ton of jobs and bring down inflation by the end of his term.
But he also passed stuff like the Green New Scam.
He didn't.
Yes.
No.
The Green New Deal not passed under Biden?
No,
So who did it pass under?
it didn't.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that the leadership he provided on the world stage was good for Ukraine, Russia. He actually stuck to the commitment to pull troops out of Afghanistan.
Right, that totally flopped. We literally left so much like military equipment there in Afghanistan.
Sure, it was part of the Afghan army's equipment. What were we going to do, take it from them?
No, not all of it. We left our own equipment there.
No, we packed up and we took our stuff and we left in place what we had granted the Afghanistan army to use.
That we granted?
Yeah, what do you think we spent like 20 years there doing and training the
So
forces there?
we paid for that equipment that we left there? Just
Yeah, welcome to war. Yeah, you pay for shit.
So that's our equipment, is it not? If we paid for it?
If I give
And
you a
then
birthday present, do I own the present? What do you mean?
I wouldn't call that a present.
Well, yeah, we were, I guess, nation building. Yeah, you invest in the other country and then eventually leave. We weren't going to take all the stuff.
I mean, did the Taliban, like, I guess, government that, not Taliban government, did the Afghan
national government, yeah.
Yeah, did that not collapse?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a complete flop even after we pulled out.
Yeah, but I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to stay there forever.
So why are you going to like try to like say like that's such a good thing that like Biden did when it
good that
completely flopped?
It's good that it stuck to the date because Donald Trump was the one who kicked the can down the road and scheduled the pullout date for outside of his term. But at least Biden stuck to it instead of just keeping us there for another 4 years.
I'm sure it was because he wanted to do it more strategically, like better. Than
and why didn't he negotiate that the first time? You see this pattern of Trump fucking all of his negotiations
bro.
up?
Like you can't just negotiate.
Then why did he negotiate
in like 24 hours?
Why Biden negotiated stuff? No.
In 24 hours?
No, why? Trump didn't have to negotiate anything in 24 hours. He was president for 4 years.
Like I said, you're holding him to this high standard.
I'm holding the standard just being a president. He failed on every single level. Human decency, basic decency, like
Human
presidential
decency?
decorum, like being able to champion legislation.
What do you mean he failed on human decency?
Like the fact that he constantly attacks enemies, the fact that he constantly.
What about how the one big beautiful bill literally helps out middle class Americans? I mean,
the ones that all got their Medicaid cut for them.
No, isn't there like a policy in the bill that says if you make under like 80K, you get like 5K in tax credits back?
I mean, there might have ultimately been some tax cuts that were made permanent from the last tax cuts, but I mean, like
those tax cuts help the middle class.
But it's just deficit spending.
Okay, but it helps out the middle class.
Yeah, but when Biden was sending out stimulus checks, you guys were crying that there was too much money.
But Trump also sent out stimulus checks.
I know, yeah, kind of.
Everyone liked that.
No, all the Republicans blamed the stimulus checks and stuff for inflation.
Okay, but how did the American people feel?
Okay, hold on.
Just
Do you think
curious.
that is deficit spending to help America good or bad?
It depends on the situation. I mean, because like let's look at like for example, like in 2008, we had to use some deficit spending to bail out the banks. If we didn't do that, we would have gone to a depression, and that's coming from the Federal Reserve.
I agree.
So, like I said,
but
in some cases,
when Donald Trump initiated the initial when he did the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, there was no pressure. He didn't have to do that. When he did that back in, what was it, 2017 or 18?
2018, I think.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. We weren't under any economic turmoil. Like the markets were fine.
He wanted to help out Americans, did it not? Did not help out Americans?
But by deficit spending, for no reason.
But did that not help out Americans?
If you think deficit spending helps, then yes.
Did it not help out Americans?
If you think deficit spending helps, then yes.
Oh, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, why don't you like deficit spending?
Well, I mean, I don't think deficit spending is necessarily bad, but you probably have to have like a control. I don't know why you're giving me that face. Republicans are the ones that freak the fuck out every time Democrats deficit spend, even though these motherfuckers spend like a white woman at JCPenney's. Like the Republicans spend like fucking crazy.
What about when the Democrats were literally giving billions of dollars to Ukraine?
I think that's a worthy cause to give money to.
No, it's not. That's a whole proxy war. Victoria Nuland literally kicked out Yanukovych in 2014.
Even if it was a proxy war, who is the proxy war between?
Ukraine and Russia.
Wait, that's not a proxy war. That's just a war.
But America. But basically, the reason why America is involved is because the whole war is about like which sphere of influence Ukraine would be under.
Sure. So let's even run with this. That it is a proxy war. Shouldn't we be working on that? Isn't that good for us?
No, it's not actually because it strains our relation with Russia.
Well, but they're our adversary, right?
No, they're not. Russia is not our adversary.
If Russia's not,
you say Russia is our adversary, I mean, we're not in the fucking Cold War anymore, bro.
Well, I mean, we just have contrary interests globally. I don't know why, but we do. I don't know.
Well, probably because we've been fucking sanctioning them since like the early 2000s.
Okay, well, why hasn't Trump done anything about that? He didn't make them our friends from 20.
He's trying to. Did he not just?
He was president for the first term. Why didn't he do it
in August?
Why didn't he do it his first term?
What do you mean?
Why didn't he make friendlier relationships with Russia in the first term?
Did he not? He tried to. He literally met with Putin during his first term. Did he not?
Yeah, he also met with Kimmy. He didn't get anything done. What does Trump brag about from his first term? He says, I was the first one that gave javelins to Ukraine. I was the one that let them blow things up instead of all the blankets that Obama gave them, right? So all he's bragged about is making Ukraine more offensive.
No, but he's also bragged about how he's met with Putin multiple times.
Yeah, but that's my line. What do you mean? You said you want us to be with Putin, right?
What?
You said you want us to be with Putin, right?
I think we should have a better relationship with Putin.
Okay, and Donald Trump seems to have failed with that because you just said he said that he's not with Putin multiple times, right?
When did you say that?
Didn't you just say that?
No,
Did I misunderstand you? I thought you said, but he said over and over he's not with Putin.
No, I said he's with Putin. He met with Putin. I said he bragged how he met with Putin.
Oh, he's bragged about meeting Putin sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also bragged about giving more weapons to Ukraine in 2017 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we have nothing with Russia. The strikes on Ukraine have just gotten worse and worse.
Because we've also been sanctioning Russia for God knows probably 20 years, and we have investments in Russia. So why are we gonna sanction a country that we have investments in?
Why is he doing it then?
He didn't do it. We were doing it Obama did it.
Isn't he sanctioning people that are trading with Russia? Wasn't that part of the big deal with India recently, that Trump is sanctioning Russia's trading partners now?
With India, yeah. He sanctioned India because India buys petroleum from Russia.
Okay, so what do you support in regards to Russia, and how do you think Trump is furthering that? Because it feels like he's all over the map right now.
In a way, it does feel like he's all over the map, but I feel like we should, pull out of Ukraine, stop helping them, and we should make our relationship with Russia a lot better. Pull out of NATO as well, because NATO is another reason. I feel like the whole reason that NATO was even made is to be an adversary of Russia, so that's not really helping, this peace that everyone wants.
Why would it be adversarial to Russia if it's a defensive alliance?
It's a defensive alliance between the West and Russia. That in and of itself is fundamentally adversarial, is it not?
I mean, only if they attack, right?
But yeah. Not only if they attack. It's we've been expanding our borders more and more to the east. When Gorbachev,
we expand because countries ask to join NATO.
But you understand that when Gorbachev tear down the wall, he told H.W. Bush explicitly not to expand to the east, and H.W. Bush agreed. But
no, I don't think
happening,
so. I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I know it didn't. I promise it didn't.
It did.
There's that 1 inch east, not 1 inch eastward quote that had referred to the militarization of East Germany. Right? That referred to the militarization of East Germany. Mm-hmm. You know how it's impossible that he made that promise that they wouldn't expand eastward? It's because when Gorbachev was, I don't know if it was the premier or whatever of Russia, you still had the Warsaw Pact and you had Russia. There was no place eastward for...
And the Warsaw Pact completely dissolved after the USSR.
After, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was...
So after the USSR dissolved, why didn't we get rid of NATO then?
I'm saying, why would he have made an agreement in the 90s, or at 1990 or 89? Why would he have made an agreement not to expand eastward when the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact was there? Nobody knew it was going to collapse. That's why I'm saying that agreement never existed.
Because he didn't want the NATO to expand closer and closer to Russian borders.
They were already all
They could have. I mean, and right now they are getting closer.
No, I'm saying Finland. At the time that promise couldn't have been made because they were right up to each other. Mm-hmm. Like your Baltics and everybody were in the Warsaw Pact, and everybody and Poland, everything is in the Warsaw Pact, mm-hmm. and then NATO countries are right up to the border of the Warsaw Pact countries. So why would they made an agreement not to expand eastward? There was no place to go eastward unless you knew, into the future, that the Soviet Union was going to collapse. I know that's a bad one. Greenwald, everybody uses that argument, but it's bullshit. I'm just saying, also, there's no agreement on paper, and Gorbachev himself has come out in an interview and said that wasn't an agreement, and there was no formally signed agreement. It would make sense for there to be an agreement. But regardless, Trump has done nothing.
No.
This is really hard. This is a hard position for you to defend, right? Ask me to defend anything about Biden. Watch how easy this will be. Ask me to defend something about him.
I mean, he did the CHIPS Act. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, but give me something to defend. That's hard for you to defend about Biden, yeah.
Defend about Biden?
Yeah.
I guess how he lied to the American people about him not being senile.
I feel like there's more evidence of Biden's mental faculty than there is of Donald Trump's.
Yeah, I mean, Biden was falling downstairs.
So, one, he might have taken a stumble once. He's an old guy. That has nothing to do with senility, number one. Number two, didn't Trump himself have a stumble walking up the stairs to Air Force One? That Rubio...
but as many times as Biden, and also, did you not see that whole debate that they had last year?
I watched the debate. The debate performance was bad.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if can you really defend his debate performance?
No, I thought it was a bad debate, but I don't know if it's evidence of senility. The problem is so we've seen Donald Trump make a multitude of errors. He was sitting right in front of a guy that he didn't recognize when he was talking to all of the world leaders at that long table, right? And he had to ask where the leader of...
and also...
right?
He called... And also Biden called the president of Egypt the president of Mexico. He mistaked that. Or
I
I'm
don't
probably
remember.
getting them to those two reversed, but anyone
I don't
can
know if he
find
did.
the clip.
Donald Trump said he was flying to Russia when he was going to Alaska. It was kind of weird, right?
Well,
Donald Trump seems.
I think
Donald Trump seems to forget a lot of things too now as well, right?
didn't we buy Alaska from Russia?
Well,
Did we not?
Do you think that's what Trump was referring to?
I think so. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Did we not though?
Donald Trump
Did we
looked like
not?
he was. Donald Trump looked like he was playing
I voiced
Rust,
the question.
okay, walking down the red carpet, okay? He was like zigzagging, dodging sniper fire, okay, when he was walking to that meeting with Putin. He seems to forget a lot of stuff. He seems to not know any of the
So
executive...
does Biden. Yes.
No, I don't think so. He might have stumbled or stuck to talking sometimes, but like, so for
No,
instance,
not
here's the thing. You
sometimes.
look this up when you get home. I have never in my life seen Biden sign an executive order that was handed and
Yeah,
explained
because he signed
to
it
him.
with a fucking auto pen.
No, that was handed and explained to him. He would come out, he would explain it on stage, he would walk over and he would sign it. Donald Trump
They
literally...
were doing that for the TV.
Okay, how do you
for the
feel when
American
Donald
people.
Trump is having these papers given to him and explained to him before he signs them, and he's just
I
nodding
think they're
along
doing that
agreeing?
for the cameras.
You think Donald Trump is pretending to be a clueless dipshit who doesn't know what he's signing for the cameras?
I don't think he's pretending to be clueless. Why do you think he's clueless about it?
Because they're handing him the thing, explaining to him. He's going, "Oh, good idea," and then signing it.
I mean, what's wrong with letting the president know something he's about to sign?
Because they're his executive orders, he should probably know what's in them before he signs
Yeah,
it.
that's why they're explaining it to him.
Okay, so Stephen Miller is probably running the White House more than Trump right now.
I don't know about that.
You're laughing. You know it's true, right? That's a hard one, right? Yeah, like this is the issue. You don't have a... I promise you that when you do, assuming our country still exists in 10 years, if you do Republican debates, they will be much easier than this because it is just a totally indefensible president. And every time you try to defend anything, you have to engage in the craziest mental gymnastics to make any of it work. It's really
You think I'm
difficult.
doing mental gymnastics right now?
Yeah, of course. How do we explain the fact that this guy's presided over more government shutdown than every other president combined?
Because the Democrats hate him.
Yeah, it must be because of all the haters.
Yeah, it literally is.
Meanwhile, if I point to the biggest haters in the universe were the Republicans under Barack Obama, it wasn't even close the level of hate.
I mean, well, because you had people like John McCain who were like unifiers.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why it was a less
John
tense
McCain was a
situation.
unifier, and he was the guy that objected to Donald Trump's vote to pull the ACA completely. Remember that there was a
Yeah,
gasp
he
on
killed
the
the
floor?
bill.
And that was the unifier. How did Trump bungle that one?
What do you mean?
How does he not have any? How can he not do anything effectively as a leader?
Well,
Donald Trump can't
he
lead.
got the one big beautiful bill passed. That's doing something.
Barely, but I mean, like
barely.
he managed to pass a thing in the same way that if somebody asked me to cook dinner and I ordered McDonald's, like
No.
technically I got the job done, right?
No.
Donald Trump came in.
That's such a weird
Did he
analogy to have.
Okay, well let's see. Did Donald Trump promise to lower the deficit and the debt?
Yeah, the Doge.
So failed that with the one big beautiful bill, correct?
Because it's raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah. And borrowing more, and the deficit is increasing. So he failed that. Doge didn't really find waste, fraud, and abuse, despite all the...
No, they did.
Why
We were sending like fucking condoms towards Gaza. Do you not remember that?
We were sending what?
Condoms to Gaza.
I think it was like Madagascar.
Oh, fuck.
Or Sudan or
Oh my God, no. So we were sending condoms to Madagascar. So much better.
Well, it's part of our like USAID program, yeah?
USAID.
Yeah, USAID, yeah?
Yeah. I'm glad we cut that because that's complete waste.
Why is it a complete waste?
The condoms to Madagascar. Why are we sending condoms to Madagascar?
What, do you think that we might have a vested interest in preventing?
Why are we
like-
sending
Can I-
condoms to Madagascar? You're
because
not
they-
really answering the question.
They prevent
Destiny.
the spread of the transmission of sexual diseases.
And that's the American taxpayers' responsibility.
It's in our best interest. What, do you think?
In
Where do you think
Madagascar?
diseases come from?
Where does what do you mean?
Oftentimes, they can come from poorer countries that don't have the same sanitation, they don't have immunization, they don't have the same level of like hospitalization. Like diseases can manifest in these places, and they don't respect borders the same way that we might want them to. So if there's like the whole transmission of the Omicron variant, I'm pretty sure the idea was that bounced around in a whole bunch of immunocompromised people.
No, the whole Omicron was complete bullshit.
Okay, I forgot. I'm sorry. I can't
Yeah.
use the COVID example. Diseases can come from poorer places. It's good sometimes to have like, a hand in helping the population, and it spreads American influence. It spreads American goodwill. Like it's a worthy mission, and it's considering all the other money we spend on shit, it's relatively cheap.
So you want your tax money to go towards condoms in Madagascar?
If that part of the broader
Is that
mission
yes or
abroad,
no?
yes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's complete waste. We don't
How is it a
we don't-
complete waste?
Because we don't need to do that. That's not in our best interest.
An easy investment in preventing the spread of disease in other countries.
Yeah, because the HIV is totally going to come back from Madagascar.
I mean, it spreads. Stuff spreads. What do you mean?
Yeah, because it's totally the fucking 80s.
Because what?
It's totally the 80s. No, HIV is not like a problem anymore.
There are other diseases that can. There are other diseases that can spread as well, right?
It's like such a big I guess what?
Jump to imagine that. Like, don't we have issues right now with antibiotic resistant like syphilis and gonorrhea? Like, these are issues that like across the world, people are a little bit worried about. If you can prevent the spread of some of these diseases in some places, it kind of helps everybody. And if we can have such an easy way to influence the world, like, why not?
Yeah, but I don't want my tax money to go towards
Why
that.
not?
Just not. I don't want fucking. I just don't want.
Do you think that our money should help anybody? Are you religious?
I think it should help Americans.
Are you religious?
Not really.
Okay. Do you think that you have any obligation to help somebody if you have like a disproportionately wealthy ability to do so?
I think we should help out Americans.
We do help Americans. We do both at the same time.
Yeah,
But
Americans
helping other
for
people
America.
also helps Americans, right? It gives us a better view around the world. It allows people to have, like healthier stuff in their country, which prevents blowback, to our country if it's like the spread of diseases. It gives us more influence in places. Like, aren't these all like good and easy ways to build influence that doesn't involve like nation building or wars or bombing people or anything like that?
No, I think it's complete waste.
Okay. You keep saying like my tax dollar. Do you even pay taxes right now?
Yeah, I have a job.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't worry. Called off to be here.
All right. Do you have a final topic you want to quickly chat with Stephen about?
Let me think.
Or are you good?
I think. Well, I mean, like, okay, hold on. We are in a tremendously wealthy nation, the wealthiest nation on the planet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to have a positive rapport with other nations. That's in our best interests, right? For other nations to look favorably upon us, right?
Depending on the nation, yeah.
What do you mean, depending on the nation?
like would you want like a nation that's like run by a dictator to look favorably towards us?
I mean, you yourself said that you want Russia to be friendly with the United States,
Putin's
right?
not a dictator.
What?
Putin is not a dictator.
Yeah, he
And in fact,
basically is.
no, I think Zelensky is the dictator.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's literally kidnapping people off the street and then forcing them to like be in the military.
That's called a draft or conscription.
Yeah, okay, buddy. So would you want to get drafted in the military?
I mean, it would depend on the war.
What if the person who's getting drafted does not agree with it though? Like most of the people.
Tough shit. I mean, what do you mean? You have
Tough
to be
shit.
able-
Okay, so then what if you don't agree with it then?
I mean, it would depend on the war.
Well, so then tough shit actually, because no, you'll get drafted either way.
Then I'd fucking leave the country, I guess. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
I
I mean, we
don't-
can talk about like the war. They're being invaded by a neighbor. If Mexico and Canada decided to host like a joint invasion of the United States and I had to be drafted from my country, then fuck it. I guess sign me the fuck up.
Invaded by a neighbor. I think the Luhansk region, which is primarily Russian or ethnically Russian, wants to be a part of Russia. So I don't think it's an invasion.
So, one, you don't get to just want to be a part of another country and then secede. Number one. Number two.
Well, Ukraine was literally a part of Russia for like 500 years and even before that.
Okay, and the whole southwest of the United States was part of Mexico, and there's a lot of Mexicans that live there now. Do you think that should go back to Mexico? What do you mean?
No, they lost that shit, and
Or
also
part of
and
France,
then
whatever.
also they sold it. They sold that land.
Okay. These are deeply unserious arguments, right? Ukraine was a country from 91 onwards. Everybody recognized it, including Russia. They can't take it
91
back.
onwards.
That's time moves in one
how
direction.
Long, and how long was Russia a country before that?
I don't know, the empire of the fucking hundreds of years.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so?
So they have more of a, I guess, legitimacy towards Ukraine than fucking whatever Ukraine is now.
Okay, so if there are a couple natives outside that want to take over the government because they think that Native Americans have been here longer than the colonizers.
Well, they lost it. So tough shit.
Okay, and the
They're not
Soviet
stolen.
Union collapsed, so they lost all of their, Warsaw Pact countries and their Soviet Union bloc states. So
Yeah, because we gave it up.
no,
Well,
because
not
they
we gave it up. They gave it up.
Yeah, because
sorry.
they collapsed, right?
Yeah.
So Ukraine was one of those. They're a country now. They have their own borders. Russia doesn't get to take any of that.
And if they do,
What?
and if they do,
Then people should stop them.
no.
Okay. Do you think we should have intervened in World War II?
We were forced to intervene when we got attacked by Pearl
We
Harbor.
weren't forced to. We didn't have to.
Pearl Harbor.
So that didn't make us have to.
What do you mean they didn't make us have to? Did Japan,
Nobody would force us to go to war. We could have just bombed Japan.
Japan bombed us.
I understand they bombed us, but
So then Congress declared war.
yeah, but they didn't have to. I'm asking
Yes,
you if
they
we should
did.
have. No, they didn't. What do you mean? It's not like they have
We're
to
not
do
gonna,
like.
we're not just gonna get fucking bombed by another country and let that shit slide.
Okay. So then there are times where if we get attacked, we have to respond, right?
Huh?
There are times where we get attacked, we have to respond, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we knew that Japan was going to attack us the day before, would it have been okay for us to attack beforehand if we would have known?
If we knew.
Yeah.
If that would have been a preemptive attack, then yeah.
Okay, so then why can't we like play that logic out a little bit further and try to preempt situations around the world that would be catastrophic?
Because
to
the
US
difference
interests?
is with that example is that we didn't know that we were going to get attacked before. This was a complete surprise.
Well, but I mean, we'd already kind of taken a side. There's a reason why we got attacked, right? We'd already kind of taken sides in that conflict anyway, right?
Oh no, I mean, I know we were sending funding or aid to Europe.
Pretty significant, right? I think we were already doing lend-lease with the Soviets. I think we'd stopped trading with Japan. Where are my history people?
So are you defending like why Japan attacked America?
Well, I mean, like I think they had reason to, sure.
They had reason. So then we had reason to attack them back, and that's why we
I
declared war.
agree with that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
so-
disagree, but I'm saying that we should probably be not as short-sighted to say that if Russia is invading countries in Europe, that we probably have a very big interest in not allowing that to happen because that's eventually going to spill over into everybody just deciding they can invade people again.
So you think there's going to be like a domino effect?
Well,
The domino effect has like been a myth.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it seems like they messed around in Moldova, okay, after 91. They did the huge thing in Georgia in 2006 or 8 or whatever. I don't remember, 2006 maybe, under Bush?
2008, I think.
No, 2008. No, I think it was under Obama. It might have been a little later.
It was-
But they went into Georgia, they took some territory,
They
and
invaded
they
in
came back.
2008.
And now they're in Ukraine trying to take some territory and run it back. Like,
Oh
why?
yeah, because Ukraine is going under the sphere of influence of the West.
So? That gives them the right to invade them?
Yeah, because would you really want like for example Mexico to have like a defensive treaty with a country like China, like when it's literally right under us? Would that make sense?
Russia's already neighboring NATO states.
Yeah, and that's a threat to them.
Well, then, no, in what way?
Because NATO in and of itself is an adversary of Russia, is it not?
When was the last time Estonia invaded Russia?
They don't have to invade.
When was the last time they threatened Russia? Russia doesn't feel very threatened by now Finland and Norway
Well,
and
like
Sweden.
this whole treaty is like it's a defensive treaty.
Yeah, if you
it's
attack us-
it's creeping up on their border. Is that not like they're basically forcing Russia into this?
That doesn't make any... Would you think it's weird if you go to visit your neighbor and your neighbor starts complaining that his neighbor put in like a new crazy security system for his house? And it's like, man, if you try to break a window there, these motherfuckers will hear everything. It's bullshit. Wouldn't that be kind of weird? Wouldn't you think that like that's a little bit strange that he's so concerned about that?
I don't really get your analogy.
What?
I don't really get your analogy.
My analogy is it's very strange that Russia would be so perturbed by a defensive alliance on their border unless they had like the inclination to attack other countries.
But like, what if like for example NATO randomly attacks Russia?
That's never happened.
It could happen.
Why would it randomly happen?
Because what if like they say, oh well, Russia is might do an attack, so we have to stop that attack through a preemptive strike.
That's retarded.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts there, Armando?
Nah, that's about it.
Okay. Everyone put
wait,
your hands together
wait,
for Armando. It's not easy to get up there and do this.